Chapter 266. F***CK. F***CK me. How the F***CK did I offend this guy? Fifth by forefather was on the verge of a mental breakdown. White robes, a long sword, that kind of appearance, coupled with the silver-haired lady beside him whose surname was Chu. On top of that, he felt a sense of danger from that person. It would be weird if he could not guess who that person was. The person in front of him was definitely Chu Kuangren. Although he did not know why Chu Kuangren, who had killed the Shang clan sage, would side with the Shang clan, it was obvious that Chu Kuangren wanted to protect Shang Qingxue. It was as if he was backing her up. What else could he do? Of course he would just let go of Shang Qingxue. Brother Chu, I really didn't know you were here, nor did I know that this lady is related to you. I'm truly sorry. Fifth by forefather lowered his stance. That scene shocked many people at the scene, especially Bai Feng. This was especially so for Bai Feng. His face was filled with doubt. Fifth ancestor, what's wrong with you? Does this person have some sort of background? B** starred. Fifth by forefather roared at him. It's all your fault for instigating the young emperor to let me capture Shang Qingxue. That's why Brother Chu was disturbed. You deserve to die 1,000 times over. At that, Fifth by forefather ignored the terrified Bai Feng. He placed his palm on Bai Feng's head and a violent surge of spiritual power poured out. In an instant, a mist of blood exploded. Bai Feng died on the spot. Chu Kuangren watched from the side without saying a word. However, Shang Qingxue, Shang Long, and the others were shocked and in disbelief. Chu Kuangren's intimidation was just too terrifying. He did not even do anything. All he did was show that he wanted to protect Shang Qingxue, yet an honorable supreme had no choice but to kill his own clan member in order to escape punishment. It was too terrifying. Did I ask you to do it? Chu Kuangren said calmly. Fifth by forefather's body trembled at those words. He said fearfully, I've crossed the line. Please forgive me, Brother Chu. No, sect leader Chu. Forget it. Go back and tell the Bai clan's leader that I've killed the Shang clan sage, but the people of the Shang clan wanted to keep a vigil for the Horizon Wing sect's martyrs. Tell them not to play any tricks. Otherwise, I don't mind paying the Bai clan a visit. Chu Kuangren said nonchalantly. His words scared the fifth by forefather so much that his scalp went numb. Anyone could tell that this was not a simple visit. After a trip to the Murong clan, 2 saints were gone. After paying a visit to the Shang clan, the saint of the Shang clan was gone. Fifth by forefather could not imagine what kind of scene it would be if Chu Kuangren were to pay a visit to the Bai family. Yes, sect leader Chu, I will definitely convey your message. All right, take your people and leave. Yes. Fifth by forefather felt as if he had just escaped death. He hurriedly led the remaining Bai family members away from the scene. Hold on, Chu Kuangren suddenly said. Fifth by forefather was startled. He turned around mechanically and asked nervously, Is there anything else, sect leader Chu? Bring his corpse away too. You can't just come to someone else's house and leave their trash everywhere, can you? Chu Kuangren said as he pointed at Bai Feng's corpse. Hearing his words, the Shang clan disciples' mouths twitched. Bai Feng could be considered a reputable sky pride in Nimbus City, but in Chu Kuangren's mouth, he was just trash that was not even worth mentioning. It's my fault. I'll bring him away now. Fifth by forefather heaved a sigh of relief. He thought that Chu Kuangren would go back on his word and kill him. After the Bai family members left, the Shang Long couple walked up to Chu Kuangren and thanked him for saving them. It's all right. By the way, sect leader Chu mentioned that you have an appointment with my ancestor. If I may ask, may I know where he is now? Lu Yun asked curiously. You won't be able to go even if you know, so there's no need to ask. All right then. Lu Yun had no choice but to let it go. By the way, Shang Long clan leader, I have a question for you. Please speak, sect leader Chu. Are you willing to take control of the Shang clan? The crowd was in an uproar when they heard that. They naturally knew that the Shang clan that Chu Kuangren mentioned was not as simple as taking control of a branch clan, but the entire Shang clan. The Shang clan elder's expression changed, but he did not say anything. Me? Take control of the Shang clan? Shang Long was dumbfounded by Chu Kuangren's question. He stood rooted to the ground and did not know how to answer. When the others saw that, they could not wait to kick Shang Long out of the way and take his place. They all swore to Chu Kuangren. Taking control of the Shang clan was a great authority and status for every member of the Shang clan. Can I take control of the Shang clan? Shang Long was a little hesitant. If I say you can, then you can. Chu Kuangren said calmly. Even the Shang clan sage and clan leader had been killed by him. However, the Shang clan still had a strong foundation, so he needed someone to help him take control of the Shang clan. Shang Long, who was also a member of the Shang clan, was the most suitable candidate. Firstly, his wife and daughter were the descendants of the White Robe General, and Chu Kuangren had promised the White Robe General that he would take care of them. Secondly, Shang Long was from a side branch of the Shang clan. He was not a direct descendant, so he did not have deep feelings for the direct descendant. If Chu Kuangren single-handedly took over the Shang clan's clan leader position, it would be easier for him to control the clan. Shang Long pondered for a while before he gritted his teeth and said, "Since sect leader Chu has bestowed upon me this opportunity, then I shall try my best to become the clan leader." No one in the Shang clan would not be tempted to take control of the entire Shang clan, and Shang Long was no exception. Especially after experiencing so many things in the past 2 days, he deeply felt the importance of power and authority. He wanted to become the clan leader and wield the highest authority in the Shang clan, so that he could better protect his family and fulfill his ambitions. Very well. Bring your family and follow me to the Shang clan's direct descendant tomorrow. From today onwards, you shall be the Shang clan's new clan leader. Chu Kuangren said calmly. The direct descendant elder beside him had a dejected look on his face. He knew that the Shang clan would be under Chu Kuangren's control from today onwards. The only thing worth celebrating was that the person in power on the surface was still a member of the Shang clan, so it was still acceptable on the surface. Fifth Bai Forefather returned to the Bai clan. When Bai Shuiyun saw that he was the only one who returned, he could not help but feel that something was amiss. He asked, "Fifth Forefather, what happened?" "Fifth Forefather, where's my son?" The Nimbus City Bai clan's head was also puzzled. Upon hearing his question, Fifth Bai Forefather flew into a rage. "Do you know that your son almost brought disaster to the Bai clan? I've already killed him with my own hands. He's right behind us." He pointed at the corpse that the Bai clan's guards had carried up. Witnessing this, the Bai family head's face turned deathly pale in an instant, revealing a deep sense of grief and indignation. "What the hell is going on? My son, how did my son cause such a disaster?" "Fifth Bai Forefather, what the hell is going on?" Fifth Bai Forefather recounted everything that had happened. Upon hearing that, Bai Shuiyun could not help but reveal a deep sense of fear in his eyes. "Chu Kuangren, how did that Shang Qingxue get involved with Chu Kuangren?" The Bai clan's head, who had just lost his beloved son, said angrily, "Even if he did offend Chu Kuangren, my son does not deserve to die." "Why?" Before he could finish, Bai Shuiyun sent him flying with a palm strike. With a grim expression, Bai Shuiyun said, "Not deserve to die? Do you know what happens to those who offend Chu Kuangren? Do you wish for the Bai clan to be doomed eternally?" The Bai clan's head, who was sent flying, spat out a mouthful of blood. He could not believe that Chu Kuangren had made the Bai clan so afraid of him. What kind of terrifying existence was he? Chapter 267. Fifth Forefather, do you think I should do something to make up for it? Chu Kuangren may have let you go, but there's no guarantee that he won't hold a grudge against you, Bai Shuiyun said with a frown. The higher they stood, the more they understood how terrifying Chu Kuangren was. His style of doing things, his extraordinary combat strength, and his terrifying background were things that even sage orthodoxies would not dare to provoke. They were afraid that this lunatic would suddenly come knocking on their door. Bai Shuiyun could not help but shudder at the thought of having designs on the people around this lunatic. He might not even be able to sleep well. Indeed. Fifth Bai Forefather pondered. "I'll go and prepare now." The next day, Bai Shuiyun prepared a bunch of rare treasures and brought the Fifth Bai Forefather to apologize to Chu Kuangren. However, he did not expect Chu Kuangren and the others to have already left. "Congratulations, host, you've drawn a legendary item, the Marrow Cleansing Pool." Marrow Cleansing Pool? Chu Kuangren opened his inventory and read the item's description carefully. His eyes lit up. The Marrow Cleansing Pool, as its name suggested, was a pond that could cleanse one's marrow and improve one's bone structure. After all, a cultivator's bone structure was already determined the moment they were born. A Taoist physique would be a Taoist physique, and a mortal physique would be a mortal physique. Without any special encounters, a cultivator's bone structure would not change much until death. Items that could improve a cultivator's bone structure were too rare. Only supreme elixirs could do it. However, this marrow cleansing pool could improve one's bone structure just by soaking in it. If news of this got out, it would cause a sensation. Of course, although the marrow cleansing pool's effects were terrifying, it was not without its limitations. For example, the better the bone structure, the smaller the effects. It was impossible for an ordinary Taoist physique to become a supreme Taoist physique just by soaking in it. However, this could not hide the horror of the marrow cleansing pool. Being able to improve a cultivator's bone structure by a little bit was equivalent to giving a cultivator hope to reach higher realms. With this item, wouldn't everyone in the Black Heaven sect be like dragons in the future? Chu Kuangren's eyes lit up. Although it was impossible for everyone to have a Taoist physique, at least it could improve every disciple's bone structure. Chu Kuangren was very satisfied with this prize. He only needed to wait until he returned to the Black Heaven sect to find a place to store the marrow cleansing pool. Young master, we're almost at the Shang clan. Lan Yu said beside Chu Kuangren. Okay. The elusive mirage arrived at the Shang clan's airspace. Everyone disembarked from the elusive mirage, and the Shang clan's elders who had long received the news, had already gathered together. In the great hall of the Shang clan. From today onwards, Shang Long shall be the new Shang clan leader. Does anyone have any objections? Chu Kuangren asked. The elders looked at each other in dismay. How would they dare to object? We have no objections. An elder said. Very good. With Chu Kuangren's support, the process of Shang Long taking over the Shang clan was exceptionally smooth. There were no intense quarrels, nor were there any voices of opposition. In just a few days, Shang Long had become the Shang clan leader. Before leaving, Chu Kuangren handed the Lu clan's ancient sword and a wooden puppet to Lu Yun and reminded her, this sword contains 3 surges of my sword qi, and this wooden puppet contains one of my sword qi clones. Keep these 2 with you. If you encounter any danger, you can use them. Everyone looked at the items on Lu Yun with envy. After all, the items that Chu Kuangren had given Lu Yun made it so that no one in the Shang clan dared to touch her. Anyone below the level of a sage, even an honorable supreme, would definitely die in the face of a single sword qi from Chu Kuangren. Thank you, sect leader Chu. Lu Yun accepted the items with some trepidation. Beside her, Shang Long said, Sect leader Chu, thanks to you, Qingxue has now awakened the deep freeze physique. I plan to send her to the Black Heaven sect to cultivate. I wonder if sect leader Chu is willing to accept her? Chu Kuangren took a good look at Shang Long. He knew that Shang Long's action was to express his stance. Shang Long was the clan leader that Chu Kuangren had single-handedly raised. Hence, he understood that the most important thing was to curry favor with Chu Kuangren. Sending a top-notch Taoist physique like Shang Qingxue to the Black Heaven sect was no different from a country sending a hostage to another country. It was to reassure Chu Kuangren. After all, Shang Long's daughter was in the Black Heaven sect, so he would never betray Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren glanced at Shang Qingxue, only to see her calm expression. She did not have the slightest bit of disappointment or helplessness that a hostage should have. It was obvious that she already knew about this matter. It was even possible that this was the result of her discussion with Shang Long. If you wish to join the Black Heaven sect, you can. The Black Heaven sect has its own assessment system. Once you pass, you can join the Black Heaven sect. However, I won't be returning to the Black Heaven sect in the near future. If you really want to join, you can go and take the assessment yourself, Chu Kuangren said. He did not care about the thoughts of his subordinates. After all, in the face of absolute strength, they could not escape his control. I will definitely pass the assessment and join the Black Heaven sect. Shang Qingxue nodded slightly with a determined look in her eyes. Alright, goodbye. After leaving the Shang clan, Chu Kuangren continued to wander outside. Just as he said, he would not be returning to the Black Heaven sect in the near future. After staying in the sect for a year, it was not easy for him to get out. If he were to return after just a few days, how boring would that be? However, he did not return to the Black Heaven sect. Instead, he returned to the Royal Azure Dynasty to refine a few rejuvenation pills and spring slumber pills for the Royal Azure Dynasty ruler to ensure his ascension. Soon, the Royal Azure Dynasty ruler began his ascension. Compared to Honorable Xianqi's ascension, the Royal Azure Dynasty ruler's ascension was much bigger. The Royal Azure Dynasty ruler's million-strong army surrounded the ascension site 3 times inside and 3 times outside, ensuring that no one would disturb him. In the dark, there were also countless experts observing and guarding. Don't let your guard down during the ascension. Everyone stay alert. Of course. Especially watch out for those from the Nine-Head clan. Humph, if anyone from the Nine-Head clan dares to disturb the Royal Azure Dynasty ruler's ascension, we'll kill as many of them as they come. Don't let your guard down. The Nine-Head clan was a clan that bordered the Royal Azure Dynasty. As the Nine-Head clan lived in the barren land of the Dao state, cultivation resources were scarce. Therefore, the Nine-Head clan would often invade the Royal Azure Dynasty's territory to steal resources. Now that the Royal Azure Dynasty ruler was undergoing ascension, it was not impossible for the Nine-Head clan to come and cause trouble. Forget about the Nine-Head clan. With him around, even the sages of this world would not dare to act recklessly. At that moment, a cultivator muttered in the dark. When the crowd heard this, they too turned to look at the top of a tall building in the palace. Their eyes were filled with uncontrollable passion. At the top of a tall building in the palace, a young man in a white robe stood facing the wind. An exquisite long sword was hanging from his waist. A man and a sword stood motionless as if they were one with heaven and earth. This man was a man of unparalleled talent. The sword was a sword of unparalleled talent. This man and sword stood on top of the city walls. Behind him was the rumbling sound of the Royal Azure Dynasty ruler's ascension, and the majestic aura of the heavens. In front of him, the street was so quiet that no one dared to move. Chapter 268. Chu Kuangren is in the palace. Cancel the plan. Tell everyone to retreat. D*Imminent Chu Kuangren is in the palace. Our plan to assassinate the Royal Azure Dynasty ruler has failed. Everyone retreat now. With Chu Kuangren around, we won't succeed. On top of a tall building in the royal palace, Chu Kuangren smirked as he looked at the quiet streets that were so quiet that even the chirping of birds could be heard. These people are quite sensible. The number of people who had come to stop the Royal Azure Dynasty ruler from transcending the heavenly tribulation this time was no less than the number of people who came with Honorable Shenqi. However, when Chu Kuangren stood there, no one dared to move. The Royal Azure Dynasty ruler's tribulation this time around could be said to be exceptionally easy. Boom. In the distance, auspicious clouds gathered and a powerful Taoist rhyme filled the air. Although it had not reached the level of a saint, it was very close. The Royal Azure Dynasty king had successfully ascended to the quasi-sage realm. Long live the monarch! Long live the monarch! Sensing this abnormal sign, the million soldiers guarding outside became extremely excited. They shouted loudly and sound waves surged into the sky. Chu Kuangren tapped his ears. That was a really loud scream. However, he was happy that the Royal Azure Dynasty ruler had successfully passed the Ascension Tribulation. The Royal Azure Dynasty king had successfully ascended to the heavenly tribulation. On the second day, the Royal Azure Dynasty king rewarded the three armies and hosted a banquet for all the generals. Naturally, Chu Kuangren was invited as well. In the main hall of the palace, the banquet was in progress. Toasts were exchanged and it was very lively. The Royal Azure Dynasty king's face was flushed with happiness. Come, this cup of wine is a toast to all of you. Thank you, monarch. Everyone drained their cups in one go. This second cup of wine is for my dear son-in-law. If it weren't for the lightning soother rod and the pills you prepared for me, I'm afraid my tribulation wouldn't have gone so smoothly. Come, let me toast you. Father is too polite. When the banquet ended, the Royal Azure Dynasty king asked Chu Kuangren to stay behind alone. Kuangren, I am now a quasi-sage. After a period of time, I will be like your master and live in seclusion behind the scenes. What about the Royal Azure Dynasty? This is also what I wanted to talk to you about. What do you think about letting Linglong take over the Royal Azure Dynasty? The Royal Azure Dynasty king stared at Chu Kuangren with a piercing gaze. Upon hearing that, Chu Kuangren was rather surprised. He did not expect the Royal Azure Dynasty king to make such a decision. In the history of the Royal Azure Dynasty, there is no precedent for a woman to be in power. However, it is still a rare occurrence. Does your majesty really intend to do so? As long as they have the ability, it doesn't matter if they're male or female. Monarch, do you have my reasons for doing this? That is only part of it. However, the most important thing is that I feel that Linglong is more suitable to inherit my position. Although the Royal Azure Dynasty king had considered Chu Kuangren's relationship with her, the real reason why he was so determined was because of Princess Linglong's talents. Over the past few years, Princess Linglong had displayed a temperament, and means that none of the princes could match up to. Even Gu Chang'e couldn't compare with him. I see. Chu Kuangren pondered. Does Linglong know about this? I haven't told her yet, but she should agree. She is an ambitious and resourceful woman, you should know that. Of course. Chu Kuangren smiled. He had known Princess Linglong for a few years now. Although they did not spend a lot of time together, he still had some understanding of her. She was a career-driven woman with both ability and ambition. There was a high chance that she would not reject the idea of becoming an empress. I plan to keep her by my side for a period of time and slowly hand over the affairs of the imperial court to her. Once she ascends to the throne, I will resign from the throne, live in seclusion, and start building up my foundation to become a sage. All right, I understand. Don't you have any objections? The royal Azure Dynasty king asked curiously. What objections can I have? There's no harm for me to have her as an empress. Besides, if it's her wish, I will support her till the end. Chu Kuangren smiled. He knew that the royal Azure Dynasty king was worried that he would be too afraid of the woman's dominance, which would make him unhappy. However, he did not have such thoughts at all. A strong woman and a weak man? That did not exist in his eyes. No matter how powerful Princess Linglong would be after she became an empress, Chu Kuangren would let her know that her man would always be her man. After staying in the royal Azure Dynasty for a few days, Chu Kuangren left. Before he traveled around, he went to the ancient battlefield. After Chu Kuangren's massacre, the number of tormented souls in the ancient battlefield had greatly decreased, and they had yet to recover. Hence, the number of adventurers in the ancient battlefield had increased. Of course, no matter how many there were, the ancient battlefield's core area was still a forbidden area that no one dared to touch. Meanwhile, Chu Kuangren was standing at the edge of the core area. He took out the jade pendant that the white-robed general gave him. This was the method that he and the white-robed general had agreed on. If he wanted to find her, all he had to do was come to the ancient battlefield and take out the jade pendant. The white-robed general would be able to find him by following the aura on it. Not long after, a white figure appeared at the edge of Chu Kuangren's vision. That person was wearing a white robe and wielding a long spear. His face was covered by a mask. It was the white-robed general from the ancient battlefield. "Why are you looking for me?" the white-robed general said. "Take a look at this first." Chu Kuangren took out another jade pendant, which looked exactly like the one that the white-robed general gave him. He'd gotten it from Lu Yun. Just like the Lu clan's ancient sword, it was a family heirloom. It could very well belong to the Lu kingdom's princess as well. The white-robed general's body trembled the moment he saw the jade pendant. He could no longer remain calm as he rushed forward to take the jade pendant and examine it. "I can't be wrong. This is the jade pendant that belonged to Ayu." The Ayu that he mentioned was the former Lu kingdom's princess. "You found our descendants?" The white-robed general was in disbelief. It had only been a few days. He was already prepared for Chu Kuangren to search for them for hundreds or thousands of years, but he did not expect Chu Kuangren to bring Ayu's jade pendant to him in just a few days. Isn't this efficiency a little too ridiculous? Not bad. Chu Kuangren nodded. How are they doing? The white-robed general asked. A sage ruler like him was a little nervous at that moment, afraid that he would hear some bad news. Don't worry, they're doing well. Mother and daughter? Yes. Chu Kuangren then told him about Lu Yun and Shang Qingxue. The white-robed general heaved a sigh of relief. He looked in the direction of the Shang clan and said to Chu Kuangren solemnly, "Thank you so much." "It's all right. I'm glad I can help you." The white-robed general did not say much. He took out an innate ferocious qi and handed it to Chu Kuangren. "This is the innate ferocious qi I obtained from a tormented soul. Take it first. Then I'll take it." Chu Kuangren smiled. He took the innate ferocious qi and absorbed it. The infallible tormented physique was one step closer to completion. Shang Qingxue is joining the Black Heaven sect, am I right? Yes. If everything goes according to plan, she should have passed the assessment by now and officially joined the Black Heaven sect. 2 days ago, he had sent a message to Elder Rian, asking her to keep an eye on Shang Qingxue. After all, she had a sage ruler ancestor like the white-robed general with her, so he had to give her special treatment. I'll leave Qingxue in your care then. No problem. If there's nothing else, I'll take my leave now. The white-robed general hung the jade pendant that Chu Kuangren brought over on his neck and returned to the core area. Let's go too. Chu Kuangren left with Lan Yu. Suddenly he received a message from Elder Rian. He was shocked when he read the message. The Sky Pride Championship? Chapter 269. The Sky Pride Championship? Chu Kuangren was shocked when he received the message from Elder Rian. Beside him, Lan Yu was also curious. What kind of competition is this? Yeah, it's basically a tournament where the Sky Prides from the 4 domains of Firmament Star will gather together to compete in an arena. This championship is jointly organized by the sage orthodoxies of the 4 domains. I see. Are we going to participate in it? Lan Yu asked curiously. Elder Rian asked me too. If we want to participate, We'll have to hand in a prize to reward the Sky Prides who perform well in the championship, Chu Kuangren said. Doesn't that mean we'll get to keep all the prizes? With your strength you can easily defeat everyone. Lan Yu's eyes lit up. The problem is that only disciples of the sage orthodoxies are allowed to participate in this championship. Elders and above are not allowed to participate. Chu Kuangren smiled helplessly. In other words, as the Black Heaven sect leader, he could not participate in this championship. It made sense when he thought about it. With his strength, there was no need for him to participate in this so-called championship. If he did, would he not be causing trouble for the other orthodoxies? With him standing on the arena, who would dare to challenge him? Let's go back to the Black Heaven sect. I wanted to have some fun for a while, but it seems like I'll be busy again. Chu Kuangren laughed. Master, are you planning to participate in this championship? Of course. Chu Kuangren grinned. Nangong Huang and the others have been cultivating in the sect for a year. It's time for them to shine. After all, they were Taoists and Sky Prides of the Black Heaven sect. He could not let them have too much free time. Both of them soon returned to the Black Heaven sect. When Elder Rian and the others received the message, they were already prepared to welcome them. They looked at Chu Kuangren helplessly. Sect leader, you've caused quite a commotion when you went out this time, Elder Rian said. Chu Kuangren said innocently, I didn't cause any trouble. Lan Yu and I have always been well-behaved. The corners of their mouths twitched for a moment. Well-behaved? So well-behaved that he almost turned the ancient battlefield upside down? So well-behaved that he went to the Scarlet Phoenix domain to kill the Shang clan sage? Like hell we'll believe you. Elder Rian and the others could not help but grumble in their hearts. Oh right, sect leader, that Shang Qingxue that you mentioned last time has already joined the Black Heaven sect. However, due to her unique identity, I've made her start as a true disciple, Elder Rian said. Initially, with Shang Qingxue's top-notch Taoist physique, it would not have been a problem for her to be directly promoted to a Taoist. However, she was still a member of the Shang clan and had just joined the Black Heaven sect, so it would not be appropriate to promote her to a Taoist directly. Okay, I got it. Chu Kuangren nodded. What did you say about the championship? Sect leader, please take a look. These are the rules and procedures of the competition. Elder Rian took out a document. Chu Kuangren took a look at it and saw that one of the rules stated that no elders or sect leaders were allowed to participate in the competition. The words sect master were even specially marked in red. It was as if it was telling Chu Kuangren, stop looking, I'm talking about you. You are not allowed to participate in the competition. Chu Kuangren closed the document and muttered, forget it if you don't want me to participate. Do you really think I care that much? Most of the Sky Prides in the world would not be able to withstand even half a move from him anyway, so there was no reason for him to participate in the competition. However, it was not a bad idea to let the disciples of the sect train. Elder Rian, please reply to the organizer and tell them that we will participate in the championship. You can decide on the prizes. All right. Elder Rian nodded. Also, there are still 3 months before the start of the competition. Call Nangong Huang, Murong Xian, and the other Taoists over here. We'll meet up at the Longevity Hall tomorrow. I'm going to give them a special devilish training. By the way, call Shang Qingxue over too. She has just awakened her deep freeze physique, so let her participate in the special training as well. Special devilish training? Elder Rian blinked. How devilish was that? Yes. Chu Kuangren grinned. He looked so good when he smiled. It was as if everything in the world paled in comparison to him. However, Elder Rian could not help but shiver. She silently prayed for Nangong Huang and the others. After chatting with Elder Rian and the others for a while, Chu Kuangren returned to the towering Heaven Palace. As soon as he entered, he saw a red shadow flying towards him. It was a red bird the size of a palm. Brother. You're? Lil Red. Chu Kuangren looked at the little bird in front of him curiously and asked in surprise, how did you become so small? Lil Red flapped its wings and stood on Chu Kuangren's shoulder. It said, I've had a breakthrough in my cultivation. I'm now an honorable supreme so I can freely change my size. I see. Chu Kuangren finally understood. Lil Red was the divine beast, the immortal godly phoenix. It had a noble bloodline, but the nobler the bloodline, the harder it was to transform. The godly phoenix had to at least reach the sage realm to be able to transform. I can always follow you from now on, brother. Lil Red said happily. In the past, Chu Kuangren felt that bringing a godly phoenix around was too eye-catching, so he usually did not bring it with him when he went out. Now that she could freely change her size, she was about the size of a small sparrow. Once she hid her aura, ordinary cultivators would not be able to tell that she was a divine beast. Alright then. I'll bring you along when I go out next time. Chu Kuangren smiled gently. Lil Bing also came out to welcome Chu Kuangren. While they were chatting, Lil Bing heard Chu Kuangren mention the championship and could not help but look forward to it. The championship, huh? When all the sky prides gather, it must be very lively. Chu Kuangren's heart skipped a beat. Lil Bing had been by his side for a few years now and had never left the Black Heaven sect. She rarely even stepped out of the towering Heaven Palace. Even when he was not around, she had been guarding the Taoist palace for him. Chu Kuangren was a little touched at that thought, so he smiled and said, "The championship this time will be very lively. Lil Bing, why don't you go and watch as well?" "But what about the Taoist palace?" Lil Bing was a little hesitant. "Don't worry, this Taoist palace has no legs so it can't run away. If you come with me you might have a chance to fight." Fight? Those are the top sky prides of all the great sage orthodoxies. Even I can fight? Of course, don't underestimate yourself. Your strength is not any weaker than those so-called sky prides. Also, how's the refining of the golden sword talisman that I gave you before? I didn't dare to delay, so I'm almost done refining it. Lil Bing opened her palm and a mysterious rune appeared. The rune was surrounded by strands of golden sword chi. A terrifying surge of sage Taoist rhyme emanated from it. It was a sage-grade rune. Chu Kuangren had obtained it from the gacha roll. Although it was a sage-grade rune, his sword Dao level was very high at that time, so the sage-grade sword talisman was not very useful to him. Hence, he gave it to Lil Bing for her to refine. With the sage-grade rune, Lil Bing's combat strength naturally increased. Although she could not fully unleash the power of the sage-grade rune, she could still fight some honorables with just this Taoist rune alone. However, her own cultivation level was not even at the Battle Monarch realm, which showed how mysterious the rune was. Chapter 270. The next day. Outside the Longevity Hall of the Black Heaven sect. Nangong Huang, Murong Xian, Jun Yi, Qin Wushuang, and the rest of the Taoists gathered together, waiting for Chu Kuangren's arrival. The only exception was Shang Qingxue, who had just joined the Black Heaven sect not too long ago. However, no one doubted her. After all, the aptitude of the deep freeze physique was there for all to see. She was qualified to stand with them. Shang Qingxue stood at the side, secretly observing Nangong Huang, Murong Xian, and the others. After all, they were the most outstanding disciples in the Black Heaven sect. Time passed. Half an hour later. Chu Kuangren arrived late with Lan Yu. Nangong Huang and the others did not blame him and greeted him with a fist salute. "Greetings, sect leader. I'm sure you all know why I called you here today. It's about the Sky Pride Championship. To be honest, I personally have no interest in this championship. But I think this is a good opportunity for you all to go out and see the world. That's why I've prepared a special training session for you all, lest you embarrass the Black Heaven sect in the championship." Chu Kuangren's words did not change the others' expressions. They already knew about the hegemony tournament. At that moment, Shang Qingxue raised her hand and asked, "Sect leader, do I need to participate in the Sky Pride Championship as well?" It was not that she was afraid, but she had just awakened her deep freeze physique, and her cultivation level was only at the Golden Core realm. She was not even comparable to Lil Bing. She would only be a bystander if she were to participate in the Sky Pride Championship. Not necessarily. It's just that you've just awakened your deep freeze physique, so you can use this special training session to polish it. As for participating in the championship, that will depend on the situation, Chu Kuangren said. "Oh, I see. If there's nothing else, follow me now." Chu Kuangren turned around and left with the others. The Black Heaven sect's territory was vast and there were many mountains. Chu Kuangren brought them to a secluded mountain range. "Sect leader, why did you bring us here?" Nangong Huang asked curiously. As soon as he finished speaking, an incomparably terrifying aura was released from Chu Kuangren's body and landed on them. Under this pressure, they felt as if tens of thousands of mountains had suddenly appeared on their bodies, and it was difficult for them to even move a finger. Shang Qingxue, who had the weakest cultivation, was instantly pressed to the ground by the pressure. Her face was facing the ground, and her breasts were almost crushed. *CKME. What was the sect leader doing? The other Taoists also looked like they were struggling to hold on. "This is the Battle King's domain. That's the sect leader's Battle King domain. How terrifying. Why do I feel that this pressure is even more terrifying than the gravity trial field? Nangong Huang and the others used their spiritual power to resist. However, the more they resisted, the more terrifying the battle monarch domain that Chu Kuangren unleashed became. Gradually, Shang Qingxue, who was the weakest among them, almost fainted. Chu Kuangren lifted his arm and transformed his spiritual power into a giant invisible hand that grabbed Shang Qingxue and tossed her to the side. Lan Yu was quick to react and quickly caught it. She smiled helplessly. "Sir, you really don't know how to take care of the fairer sex." As the pressure from the battle monarch domain increased, Jun Yi, Qin Wushuang, and the other Taoists could not hold on any longer. They lay on the ground in exhaustion, but Chu Kuangren still had no intention of stopping. It was only when a few of them were about to faint like Shang Qingxue did he finally toss them to the side within the battle monarch domain. Only Murong Xian and Nangong Huang were left inside the domain, struggling to hold on. However, they could not hold on for long before they collapsed to the ground. Chu Kuangren retracted his domain. 15 minutes. The strongest among you can only hold on for 15 minutes in my battle monarch domain. How disappointing. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. Hearing his words, everyone's faces were filled with shame. They were too weak. They were all famous Taoists in the outside world, especially Nangong Huang, who was one of the most famous young emperors. However, they were still weak in front of Chu Kuangren. Besides, I haven't fully unleashed my battle monarch domain yet. Chu Kuangren uttered another cruel truth, which made them so ashamed that they wanted to find a hole in the ground and hide in it. Forget it, I can't blame you guys. Maybe I had too high of an expectation for you guys, Chu Kuangren said. However, his words did not make them feel better. Instead, it made them even more ashamed. Jun Yi and the other two female Taoists were so ashamed that they were about to cry. It would have been fine if someone else had said that. However, it was Chu Kuangren who said that. In their hearts, Chu Kuangren held a high position. They worshipped him and saw him as their idol. However, when they thought that their idol was disappointed in them, a huge sense of loss engulfed them. Chu Kuangren saw the expressions on everyone's faces. Good, it seems like it's working. Only by striking them harder would they be motivated to work harder, and the effect of this special training would be more obvious. Don't just lie here. Come with me. Chu Kuangren said as he walked deeper into the valley. The exhausted Taoists gritted their teeth and struggled to stand up. They supported each other and staggered behind Chu Kuangren. Their spiritual power had been depleted when they tried to resist Chu Kuangren's battle monarch domain. Even though they were supporting each other, they still felt weak all over. However, they soon felt a strange spiritual power fluctuation mixed with Taoist rhymes coming from not far away. When they looked closer, they saw a pond that was emitting white mist not far away from them. The pond was huge, at least 20 meters in diameter. There was a partition in the middle that separated the pond into two sides. Nangong Huang and the others gulped when they saw the pond. They could feel a mysterious Taoist rhyme in the pond. This pond of water was definitely an incredible treasure. Sect leader, what is this? The marrow cleansing pond. You guys can take a dip in it in your current state. Strip off your clothes. The men go to the right and the women go to the left, Chu Kuangren said to the crowd. Nangong Huang and the others did not mind, but Jun Yi, Shang Qingxue, and the other women felt a little embarrassed. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and go down. You guys soak here for 2 hours. I'll come back after 2 hours. Chu Kuangren left after he said that. The remaining people looked at each other. Nangong Huang and the others went to the marrow cleansing pond on the right. There was nothing to be embarrassed about, so they took off their clothes and entered the pond. Jun Yi, Shang Qingxue, and the other two Taoists went to the pond on the left. They looked around and slowly took off their clothes. One by one, their beautiful bodies were exposed to the sun. They looked at each other, and one of the female Taoists suddenly raised her head and puffed out her chest. With a proud look on her face, she walked into the marrow cleansing pond first. The other three women curled their lips when they saw that. It's just a little bigger. What's there to be proud of? When the crowd entered the marrow cleansing pond, they could not help but gasp in surprise. They could feel a surge of energy from the marrow cleansing pond constantly entering their bodies, cleansing the impurities in their bodies. Their originally fixed bone roots had a slight improvement. Chapter 271. This pond can cleanse one's meridians and improve one's bone structure. Oh my God, where did the sect leader get this thing? No wonder it's called the marrow cleansing pond. This is amazing. The crowd gasped. They had heard of things that could improve one's bone structure before, but it was their first time seeing it, let alone experiencing it themselves. On the left side of the pond, Jun-yi could feel the energy in her body continuously flowing into the marrow cleansing pond due to the depletion of her spiritual power. Under the influence of this energy, her root bone was constantly being improved. My spiritual power is depleted and my body is empty. This way I can better absorb the energy from the marrow cleansing pond. At this point, Jun-yi's eyes revealed a trace of realization. No wonder the sect master exhausted us. So that's why. Cough cough. A Taoist with half his face submerged in the pond coughed as if he had choked and looked at Jun-yi strangely. Shang Qingxue and another Taoist seemed to have thought of something as their faces flushed red. Only then did Jun-yi realize that her words were indeed inappropriate. That's not what I meant. I understand. What do you guys mean? I don't understand. Jean Fian, stop pretending. You're usually the most slutty one. The last time I went to your room, I saw you hugging the sect leader's portrait. You look so horny. Ah, you saw it? I'm going to strangle you. The girls started to play in the water, their laughter crisp and melodious. Meanwhile, on the other side of the pond, Nangong Huang, Murong Xian, and the other Taoists almost had a nosebleed as they listened to the girls. Although Chu Kuangren had set up a barrier in the marrow cleansing pond to block their spiritual thoughts and prevent them from spying, it did not block out the sound. I can't believe these girls are so bold to defile the sect leader behind his back. Why didn't they come at me instead? Taoist Zhuohan scoffed. Dream on. The crowd looked at him in disdain. Say, if this marrow cleansing pond can cleanse one's meridians just by soaking in it, what do you think will happen if I take a sip? Suddenly, Qin Wushuang said. Do you want to drink the bath water? Murong Xian asked curiously. Qin Wushuang was silent for a while. Pretend I didn't say anything. Gulp. At this moment, the sound of swallowing could be heard from the side. They looked at Zhuohan in disbelief. Damn, you really drank it? You're amazing. I just need to verify it. Besides, this is a treasure that can cleanse one's meridians and marrow. What's wrong with me taking a sip? Zhuohan pursed his lips. How do you feel? Qin Wushuang asked expectantly. Sweet. The energy of the marrow cleansing pool is surging more clearly in my body, as if something is about to come out. Asterisk gulp. Asterisk a few bubbles appeared behind Zhuohan. Everyone looked at him in astonishment. Nangong Huang said with a sullen face, Don't tell me you just farted. Zhuohan looked embarrassed. I couldn't help it. Holy shit. I will kill you. I can't soak in this marrow cleansing pool anymore. Nangong Huang and the rest were about to climb onto the table when Zhuohan said weakly, Sect leader said that we have to soak for 2 hours. Everyone was silent for a moment, then silently retreated. 2 hours slowly passed. Everyone noticed that the originally clear water had gradually become murky. It was the impurities that were expelled from their bodies. 2 hours later, Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu returned to the marrow cleansing pool. Everyone was already dressed. After soaking in the marrow cleansing pool for 2 hours, their physique had improved and they were in high spirits. Chu Kuangren looked at the marrow cleansing pool and noticed that the water was a little murky, but he did not care. After a while, the marrow cleansing pool would automatically expel the impurities, which was very convenient. Very well, let's continue with the special training. Chu Kuangren said as he brought everyone to a valley. He found a large blue stone and sat down. Then he snapped his fingers. A sword chi clone appeared and he said, This sword chi clone has about 1/60th of my strength. I don't care what you do, but I want you to defeat him within a month. A sword chi clone with 1/60th of his strength? Nangong Huang and the rest looked at each other. After all, they were Taoists of the Black Heaven sect. Asking them to team up against a sword chi clone that only had 1/60th of Chu Kuangren's strength was a little overkill. No matter how much they admired Chu Kuangren, they could not help but feel that they were being underestimated. Sect leader, you're underestimating us too much. Why don't we give it a try? Chu Kuangren chuckled. I'll do it. Nangong Huang stepped forward without even pulling out the Deep Abyss Rainbow Sacred Sword. He raised his hand and launched a punch at the sword chi clone. However, the sword chi clone merely raised its hand and unleashed a sword attack. The sword chi was extremely majestic, instantly tearing apart Nangong Huang's Taoist rhyme. The terrifying energy blasted his opponent's body and sent him flying. Nangong Huang flew out and spat out a mouthful of blood. Several of his bones and tendons were broken. Upon seeing that, everyone quickly went up to him. Nangong, are you alright? Sect leader, that was a little too much. Jun-yi looked at the sword chi clone and said with a numb scalp. Even a lion uses its full strength to hunt a rabbit. Nangong, you're underestimating your opponent. I've already said that this sword chi clone has 1/60th of my strength, yet you didn't even use your sword. Are you overestimating yourself or underestimating me, the sect leader? Chu Kuangren slowly walked up to Nangong Huang and said. Nangong Huang's face was pale and full of shame. I was too arrogant. Please give me another chance, sect leader. Chu Kuangren raised his hand and activated the spring breeze healing technique. A gentle gust of wind blew across Nangong Huang's body and quickly healed his injuries. Not long after, Nangong Huang was full of vigor again. It was more effective than most healing pills. Only then did everyone breathe a sigh of relief. It turned out that the sect leader had a reason to be so heavy-handed. Now, I can tell you clearly that I have the spring breeze healing technique. As long as you're still breathing, I can save you all. Therefore, this clone of mine will not hold back. Chu Kuangren smiled at the crowd. After witnessing Nangong Huang's tragic state, the crowd could not help but shiver when they saw Chu Kuangren's smile. Although they would not die, the pain would be excruciating. I'll attack in 10 seconds. Prepare yourselves. 10. Chu Kuangren began the countdown. 9, 8, 7. Chu Kuangren walked back to the large green rock and sat down. 6, 5. Nangong Huang, Murong Xian, and the others took out their weapons with a serious look on their faces. 4, 3. Taoist rhymes circulated around their bodies, ready to erupt at any time. 2, 1. The instant the countdown ended, the sword chi clone disappeared from where it was in the blink of an eye. When it reappeared, it was already before Shang Qingxue. Shang Qingxue was dumbfounded. What a bully. I'm the weakest here, so why did he attack me first? Before she could react, the sword chi doppelganger directly struck out with a sword chi and blasted her away, causing her to lose consciousness. Nangong Huang, Murong Xian, Jun Yi, and the others charged towards the clone with their swords. Chapter 272. In the Valley. Nangong Huang, Murong Xian, and the other Taoists were battling the sword chi clone. All sorts of ultimate sword techniques were unleashed from their hands, including some sage techniques. Their power was unparalleled and earth-shattering. However, Chu Kuangren's sword chi clone was too powerful. Its sword chi was extremely pure, and its sword-based Taoist rhyme had overpowered everyone present. No matter how many techniques they used, they could not do anything to it. The sword chi clone raised its hand and unleashed a sword attack at Murong Xian. The sword chi was accompanied by a terrifying sword-based Taoist rhyme. Murong Xian's pupils shrank under the force of that attack. He was no match for it at all, and his entire body was blasted hundreds of feet away. He crashed into the ground, creating a huge crater. He felt as if the bones in his body were about to shatter. He immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. The intense pain made him unable to move. Looking at the seemingly invincible sword chi clone, Murong Xian suddenly had a thought. Lying here was pretty good too. However, at that moment, a gentle breeze brushed past his body. It contained a mysterious Taoist rhyme and life force, and it quickly healed his injuries. Not long after, his injuries were mostly healed. Chu Kuangren smiled at him from afar. Why are you still lying here? Are you trying to slack off? That won't do. Go on, keep going. The corner of Murong Xian's mouth twitched, but he then looked at the sword chi clone with a battle intent in his eyes. He raised his sword and charged forward again. Divine Nine Suns Art, 7 Solar Slash. Taoist rhymes flowed all over his body, and an extremely hot Taoist rhyme surged out, turning into 7 huge fireballs that floated in the air like 7 suns. Then they all slashed at the sword chi clone. However, the sword chi doppelganger raised its hand, and a purple sword light streaked across the void, shattering the 7 fireballs one by one. The majestic flame chi was wrapped by the sword chi, sweeping in all directions like a solar storm. The surrounding Taoists were all swept away by the storm. F***ck me, is that even possible? He's using Murong Xian's technique against us. With such a level of swordsmanship, is it really just a clone? This is only 1/60th of the sect leader's strength. Everyone was shocked. They gritted their teeth and charged towards the clone again. This battle lasted for 2 hours. During these 2 hours, every Taoist had been seriously injured at least twice, and the number of times they had been lightly injured was innumerable. After the battle, several people lay on the ground, exhausted of their spiritual power. Alright, let's call it a day. Chu Kuangren glanced at the setting sun, snapped his fingers, and the sword chi instantly dissipated. He looked at Nangong Huang and the others and smiled faintly. Let's continue here tomorrow morning. It's fine. I told you to defeat my avatar within a month. Today is only the first day. There are still many opportunities. Looking at the smiling Chu Kuangren, Nangong Huang and the others could not help but wonder if the sect leader in front of them was a demon in disguise. Quickly return that kind and gentle sect leader to us. That's all for now. Goodbye. Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu left, and the people lying on the ground looked at each other. All they could see was darkness in front of them, and all they could do was groan in their hearts. This is only the first day. There are still 3 months until the championship. In other words, we have to endure this special training for another 2 months. Oh God, I don't want to live anymore. Zhuohan wailed. No, we can't let the sect leader look down on us. Junie gritted her teeth. Chu Kuangren's disappointed expression today made her determined. We must persevere even if we die. You won't die even if you want to. Once the sect leader uses his spring breeze healing technique, you'll have to get up and continue to suffer, Nangong Huang said. Hey, are you guys going back? Murong Xian asked. No, I don't have any strength left. Me too. I'll get someone to send us some food and some clothes later, Nangong Huang said. Everyone sat on the ground and began to recover their spiritual power. As soon as they activated their techniques, they suddenly realized that something was wrong. Did you guys notice that the recovery speed of our spiritual power has become faster? Nangong Huang said. I feel that too. It's because of the marrow cleansing pool. Murong Xian pondered. It's because the marrow cleansing pool has improved our bone structure. That's why both our techniques and spiritual power recovery speed have become faster and more efficient. Not bad. Everyone nodded and looked at the marrow cleansing pool in the distance with shock in their eyes. They were not stupid, so they naturally knew what the marrow cleansing pool meant to a sect. What was the standard to judge a sect's potential? Talents. And this marrow cleansing pool could produce talents in batches. I'm afraid this is the key to the Black Heaven sect's prosperity. This marrow cleansing pool is too important. The sect leader can't believe he just casually left such an important thing here. Isn't that a little too casual? There must be some kind of restriction. Besides, even a sage would pay close attention to something like this. They won't let anything happen to it. A while later, a few disciples brought some clothes and food over. When he saw the group of Taoists lying on the ground in disarray, looking like they had been squeezed dry, he could not help but be speechless. What kind of special training did the sect leader arrange for them? Was it that terrifying? After Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu left, they did not return to the towering Heaven Palace immediately. Instead, they went to a quiet valley. The Fairfrost Sage lived in this valley. Sect leader, you're here. The Fairfrost Sage's eyes lit up when she saw Chu Kuangren. Yes, I'm here to see how the spirit rice is doing. Not bad. The Fairfrost Sage brought Chu Kuangren to a few acres of rice fields. The spiritual qi in the fields was extremely rich. It was a type of spirit rice that contained spiritual qi. The spiritual qi content of spirit rice was not as high as some supreme elixirs, but its value was far higher than some supreme elixirs. It could even be compared to sage-grade supreme elixirs. Because spirit rice could be grown on a large scale, it had a short maturity period and was easier for cultivators to absorb compared to supreme elixirs. In the current firmament star, there were not many sage orthodoxies that had spirit rice, and the Thunder Temple was one of them. That was also the reason why their vegetarian food was known as the best in the world. However, the value of the Thunder Temple spirit rice paled in comparison to the spirit rice that Chu Kuangren had the Fairfrost Sage plant. The Thunder Temple spirit rice was just ordinary spirit rice, but the spirit rice that Chu Kuangren had was a high-level spirit rice that he had obtained from the gacha roll. It was a legendary grade item. I've already harvested it once. 1 acre yields about 1,000 caddies of rice. I have 20 acres of land here, so I have about 20,000 caddies of spirit rice in reserve. How many times can you harvest it in a year? With the help of the E-wood essence, I can harvest it 4 times a year, which is about 80,000 caddies, the Fairfrost Sage said. 80,000 caddies is far from enough. Chu Kuangren shook his head. There were more than 100,000 disciples in the Black Heaven sect, so 80,000 caddies of spirit rice was just a drop in the bucket. I can only provide it to some true disciples for now. If I want to use it on a larger scale, I'll have to expand the scale. The scale can be expanded, but my E-wood essence can't produce that much spirit rice, the Fairfrost Sage said. The E-wood essence was the technique that the Fairfrost Sage cultivated, and it could be used to speed up the growth of spirit herbs. However, the Fairfrost Sage was only one person, so no matter how strong the E-wood essence was, it could not produce too much spirit rice. It's alright, we can take it slow. Chapter 273. The next day. Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu once again arrived at the valley. Meanwhile, Nangong Huang, Murong Xian, and the others were sleeping soundly on the ground. Still pretending? Chu Kuangren smirked. He was a grown man, yet he did not hide his aura. There was no reason that Nangong Huang and the others could not detect him. If they really couldn't discover it with their vigilance, who knew how many times they would have died already? Hence there was only one answer. They were all pretending to be asleep, hoping to delay their training for as long as possible. Chu Kuangren looked at them with a hint of playfulness in his eyes. Then a terrifying energy field spread with him as the center. Battle Monarch Domain unleashed. The few people who were pretending to be asleep were shocked. They did not expect Chu Kuangren to unleash such a powerful technique without even waking them up. Under the effects of the Battle Monarch Domain, they could no longer pretend. They quickly channeled their spiritual power to resist the immense pressure coming from all directions, but they were still in pain. Soon they were lying on the ground, panting. Their spiritual power had been depleted, and it was difficult for them to even think about getting up. Are you still pretending? Sect leader, we were wrong. Nangong Huang and the others quickly admitted their mistakes and gave in. Then they saw Lan Yu behind Chu Kuangren carrying 2 wooden buckets that emitted a tempting aroma. What's this? Nangong Huang was shocked. The aroma coming from the wooden barrel made his spiritual energy-depleted body feel an irrepressible and intense hunger. As cultivators, they rarely had such strong physiological needs. It was like a mortal who had not eaten for days. Breakfast, Chu Kuangren said. Behind him, Lan Yu opened the lid of the wooden buckets, revealing the fragrant white rice inside. The strong aroma instantly made Nangong Huang and the others temporarily forget their physical exhaustion as they struggled to surround the buckets. What a strong aroma. Is this spirit rice? But the spiritual chi in it is too strong. This is my first time seeing this kind of spirit rice. The few of them surrounded the wooden buckets and gulped down their saliva. They each took a bowl from the side and quickly scooped a big bowl for themselves before wolfing it down. Delicious, this is too delicious. This is my first time eating such delicious white rice. Oh my god, it's too delicious. Don't fight over it. You've already eaten a big bowl. Damn, how can you guys eat so fast? Very soon, the 2 big buckets of rice were divided among the few of them. Even women like Jun Yi and Shang Qingxue did not care about their image at all as they gobbled down the rice, afraid that it would be snatched away by others if they ate any slower. After eating, the originally dried-up spiritual ruins once again surged with thick and majestic spiritual power, instantly filling everyone's body. This spirit rice is too extraordinary. If I can eat it every day in the future, that would be great. Zhuohan sighed with emotion. The others also had looks of yearning on their faces. This is the spirit rice grown by the Black Heaven sect. It won't be a problem for them to eat it every day, Chu Kuangren said calmly. Hearing this, everyone was overjoyed. Really? Of course. Chu Kuangren nodded slightly and lifted his arm to unleash a sword chi. The sword chi then transformed into a clone that stared at Nangong Huang and the others expressionlessly. Everyone trembled violently when they saw this clone. F***ck, here it comes again. Come, since you're full, let's start training. Chu Kuangren looked at them with a faint smile. To Nangong Huang and the others, it was the beginning of another round of torture. Time passed. Half a month had passed just like that. During this time, Nangong Huang and the others could be said to have been living in hell. Chu Kuangren could always torture them in different ways. Other than using the Battle Monarch Domain and the Sword Chi clone to deal with them, he would occasionally let them spar with each other and bring them to climb mountains. However, the mountain they climbed was the Sword Mountain. In the Sword Mountain, the countless swords all obeyed Chu Kuangren's command and released sword intent to suppress them, making them suffer unspeakably. He also ordered them to go all over the mountain to catch a bird, but the bird they caught was a shrunken godly phoenix. That was a divine beast. They went all over the mountain to catch Lil Red, but they were often fooled by Lil Red. Sometimes they were even burned by the godly phoenix's flames. Most importantly, once they were injured, Chu Kuangren would use his spring breeze healing technique to instantly heal them up. Then, they would repeat the process of being tortured again. Out of the 24 hours in a day, besides the 6 hours used for eating, drinking, and sleeping, the rest of the time was spent on training. However, while Nangong Huang and the others were complaining, the sages in the depths of the Black Heaven sect thought that they did not know how lucky they were. These little brats really know how to enjoy life. They're eating spirit rice, soaking in the marrow cleansing pool, and they even have the little guy's sword chi clone to feed them. Such cultivation conditions can't be better. It's not just the little guy, even the godly phoenix is helping them. They're screaming from the burning, but they don't know that the godly phoenix's flames are the essence of 10,000 flames. This is a great opportunity. With the essence of 10,000 flames training, their resistance to fire Tao will greatly increase. And the Sword Mountain Sword Intent. Enduring the daily training of the Sword Mountain Sword Intent, their understanding of Sword Tao will also improve. How many people in this world have such a cultivation experience? The little guy has really done his best to train these people. Yeah, he's been taking care of them every day, afraid that something might happen to them due to the training. It's really hard on him. In the depths of the Black Heaven sect, the sages were discussing. They had witnessed everything that Chu Kuangren had done, and they were also aware of the improvements that Nangong Huang and the others had made. Other than lamenting that they did not have such a good sect leader like Chu Kuangren when they were younger, they were still very pleased. Congratulations, host. You've drawn the legendary technique, 8 Celestial Demonic Chords. A legendary technique? It was another legendary cultivation technique. Chu Kuangren retrieved the technique, and a large amount of enlightenment instantly surged into his mind. This enlightenment was so majestic that it was even more exaggerated than when he first received the Tathagata rebirth mantra. The 8 Celestial Demonic Chords was a top-notch emperor technique. It was even more mysterious than the few emperor techniques that Chu Kuangren knew, and it might even be close to those ethereal immortal techniques. What a great 8 Celestial Demonic Chords. Chu Kuangren opened his eyes abruptly, and a hint of joy flashed across his eyes. The 8 Celestial Demonic Chords was a musical Tao technique. After receiving the 8 Celestial Demonic Chords, Chu Kuangren instantly turned from a tone-deaf person to a rare musical Tao grandmaster. However, that was not his biggest gain. It was the 8 Celestial Demonic Chords itself. The 8 Celestial Demonic Chords was divided into 8 chapters, and each had a myriad of uses. Looks like I'll have to get my hands on a guqin. Chu Kuangren thought to himself. Since it was a musical Tao technique, it naturally needed to be activated by guqin music. Boom. A loud explosion was heard. It was Daoist Qin Wushuang who was blasted to the ground by the sword Qi clone. Chu Kuangren skillfully cast the Spring Breeze healing technique, and Qin Wushuang did not say much. He got up, dusted off the dust on his body, wiped the blood off the corner of his mouth, and charged forward again with his sword. It should be about time, Chu Kuangren murmured as he looked at Nangong Huang and the others who were fighting the sword Qi clone. After training for almost a month, Nangong Huang and the others had gone from being unable to withstand more than a few attacks from the sword Qi clone to being able to suppress it by joining forces. Their improvement was not small at all. Chapter 274. Nangong Huang roared, and the Deep Abyss Rainbow Sacred Sword in his hand unleashed a terrifying sword ray. It was like a vast, endless river. The sword ray locked onto the sword Qi clone, making it impossible to escape. Meanwhile, Murong Xian, Jun Yi, Qin Wushuang, and the others also unleashed their ultimate techniques. Several different types of sword Daos exploded. Under these attacks, even though the sword Qi clone was powerful, it was still blasted into a ball of sword Qi and dispersed. We did it. Nangong Huang, Murong Xian, and the others were overjoyed. This is great. After almost a month of fighting, we've finally defeated this sword Qi clone. I'm so tired, Zhuohan said as he lay on the ground. The others also heaved a sigh of relief. At that moment, Chu Kuangren walked over from afar. Everyone quickly bowed. Greetings, sect leader. You're welcome. Chu Kuangren nodded and said, 29 days. You guys have finally defeated this sword Qi clone in 29 days. How should I put this result? I told you guys to defeat the sword Qi clone within a month, but you guys really took almost a month to defeat it. Everyone was a little ashamed when they heard him. Forget it, you guys have passed. This stage of training is over, so let's move on to the next stage. Chu Kuangren smiled. Everyone looked at each other when they heard him. There was a next stage. Just when everyone was confused, Chu Kuangren snapped his fingers. Suddenly, 9 sword Qi clones appeared. Seeing these sword Qi clones, everyone could already guess what was going on. They could not help but gulp. It couldn't be. The next stage will be 1 sword Qi clone per person. Chu Kuangren said. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. It couldn't be. It really was like that. They had surrounded a sword Qi clone for almost a month before they finally defeated it, and now they were going to take 1 each? F***ck me. How long would it take for them to continue fighting? Sect leader, you can't play this way. Nangong Huang smiled bitterly. Why, do you have something to say? Chu Kuangren glanced at him. No, not at all. Nangong Huang gulped and quickly shook his head. Even if he had something to say, he had to hold it in. Otherwise, he would be in deep trouble if he offended the sect leader. That's settled then. Chu Kuangren lifted his arm and cast the spring breeze healing technique to heal everyone's injuries. Then he sent them to deal with the clone. The 9 Taoists left one after another. Shang Qingxue stood on the spot, not knowing what to do. She asked, Sect Master, what should I do next? Every Taoist had a sword chi doppelganger, except for her. She couldn't help but feel a little apprehensive. Among these people, she was the weakest, so she was the least effective in dealing with the sword chi doppelgangers. Chu Kuangren would not abandon her just like that, would he? I have other plans. Come with me. Shang Qingxue followed Chu Kuangren to an empty space. Chu Kuangren gently lifted his hand and a red light barrier appeared out of thin air, enveloping Shang Qingxue within it. What is this? It's something I've learned recently, Chu Kuangren said indifferently. Over the past few days, while training Nangong Huang and the others, he did not slack off in his own cultivation. He summarized and organized the methods he had learned in the past so that they could be better integrated into the 10,000 powers of coalescence Dao form. During this process, he gained many insights and derived some new techniques from the countless methods he had learned. This red light barrier was one of them. I call this light barrier the Scorching Inferno. It will constantly release high temperatures to burn your enemies. Stay inside and use your Frost Taoist physique to resist the high temperatures. That was the training method Chu Kuangren came up with for Shang Qingxue, using high temperatures to stimulate the growth of the deep freeze Taoist physique. Inside the red light barrier, the temperature was rising rapidly. The scorching heat turned the air inside the barrier into heat waves. Even the light rays were slightly distorted, and the flowers and trees on the ground were instantly burned to ashes in a few breaths' time. Shang Qingxue channeled the frost energy within her body to resist the high temperatures. All right. The temperature of this scorching inferno will double every 2 hours. After 12 hours, even an honorable would be instantly burned to ashes. Chu Kuangren chuckled. Shang Qingxue could not help but feel her scalp tingle when she heard that. Even honorables will die? Sect leader, I'm just a nascent soul realm cultivator. Although she had improved a lot in the past few days and had broken through from the golden core realm to the nascent soul realm, she was still miles away from being an honorable. Don't worry. The spiritual power that I've left in this scorching inferno can only last for 6 hours. It won't kill you, but 6 hours is still quite a challenge for you. Hey, enjoy it. Chu Kuangren chuckled before he turned around and left. Shang Qingxue looked at Chu Kuangren's back helplessly. 2 hours later, the temperature of the scorching inferno doubled. Shang Qingxue's face was already flushed red from the heat and she was panting heavily. There was no sweat on her body because it evaporated the moment it came out. 4 hours later, the ground had begun to crack. Shang Qingxue squeezed out what little spiritual power she had left in her body and channeled her deep freeze physique. 4 hours later, Shang Qingxue had no more spiritual power left. However, the deep freeze physique was still producing cold waves under the stimulation of the high temperature. However, the process was very slow, like milking a cow. When it was close to 6 hours later, Shang Qingxue was already lying on the ground. The clothes on her body were almost burned off, and only a few pieces of cloth were left to cover her vital parts. Her back, arms, thighs, and other parts of her body were severely burnt and charred. She lay on the ground, almost at her last gasp. When the 6 hours were over, the scorching inferno disappeared. A gentle spring breeze brushed past Shang Qingxue and quickly healed her body. Shang Qingxue, who was on the verge of fainting, gradually regained consciousness. She looked around and said, "I'm still alive." Back in the scorching inferno, she thought she was going to die at any moment. That feeling was too unbearable. Yes, you're still alive. What? Do you still want to participate in the training? If you quit now, you won't have to suffer anymore. Chu Kuangren's voice rang in her ears. It was like the whisper of the devil, and it made her want to give up. Just leave. If I leave, I won't have to suffer anymore. She had all the time in the world to slowly cultivate. There was no need for her to endure this inhumane training and suffer in pain. Qingxue, you must know that in this world, only when you're strong can you control your own life. Don't be fooled by the fact that you're the Shang clan leader now. All of this was given to me by sect leader Chu. There are still many in the direct line of descent who look down on you. It's only because of sect leader Chu that they don't dare to touch me. Qingxue, you should go to the Black Heaven sect. You have the deep freeze physique, so you might be able to shine there. Once you're strong enough, your father will be able to gain a foothold in the Shang clan, and no one will look down on you. In a trance, Shang Qingxue recalled what her father said to her in front of the Black Heaven sect, and a look of determination gradually appeared in her eyes. I won't quit. I want to become stronger, so strong that no one will look down on my parents, so strong that I can control my own life. I won't quit. Chu Kuangren smirked. That's good. You're ambitious. In that case, I'll add another half an hour to tomorrow's training. Shang Qingxue was speechless. She finally understood that Chu Kuangren only had one rule when he trained them. As long as he could not kill them, he would kill them. A demon. This sect leader must be a demon. Chapter 275. Day after day passed. Under Chu Kuangren's training, the group of Taoists seemed to live like a year. Every day was like an abyss of suffering. But in this process, they also discovered that the speed of their improvement was simply beyond their imagination. In less than 3 months, everyone had at least broken through a small realm, and their combat strength had increased by leaps and bounds. Especially Shang Qingxue. She was only a golden core late-stage cultivator when she first arrived, but now she was a nascent soul late-stage cultivator, which was an entire realm higher. If word of this got out, it would probably scare people to death. On this day, Nangong Huang, Murong Xian, and the others were still fighting with the Sword Chi clone. More than a month ago, they were far from being a match for the Sword Chi clone in a one-on-one fight. But now they were able to fight back and forth. Meanwhile, at another location, Shang Qingxue was still suffering in the scorching purgatory. Waves of cold air surrounded her body, isolating her from the scorching heat. Now she could endure for 8 hours in the scorching purgatory without suffering any injuries. She had improved a lot. Far away, on a mountain peak, Chu Kuangren observed everyone's training progress. It's a little tough, but the results are good. It was more than just a little tough. These days, Nangong Huang and the others had narrowly escaped death several times. It was only because Chu Kuangren had the spring breeze healing technique that he dared to train like this. If it were any other orthodoxy, they would not have dared to do so. He was afraid that he would accidentally destroy these precious geniuses. Master, this is the guqin that you wanted. At that moment, Lan Yu walked up with a guqin in her hands. Oh, it's done. Chu Kuangren's eyes lit up when he saw the guqin. Ever since he drew the 8 celestial demonic chords, he had always wanted a guqin to perform, so he asked Elder Rian to custom make one for him. It took almost a month, but it was finally done. He took the guqin and studied it carefully. Since it took Elder Rian a month to get someone to custom make it, it was naturally extraordinary. The materials and craftsmanship were top-notch. The guqin was the most common 7-string guqin. It was pitch black and glowed. Although it was made of wood, it had a metallic texture. With a flick of his finger, a loud clang reverberated. The timbre was loose and powerful, with a lingering charm without the slightest static. Lan Yu looked at Chu Kuangren in surprise. After following Chu Kuangren for so many years, this was the first time she found out that Chu Kuangren could play the guqin. Lan Yu, do you want to hear me play a song? Yes. Lan Yu nodded. Then I'll play a song for you. Chu Kuangren sat on the mountain peak with the guqin across his knees. His fingers were placed on the strings of the guqin and his eyes were slightly closed, as if he was trying to comprehend something. Then a mysterious Taoist rhyme spread out from his body. The moment he opened his eyes, his 10 fingers began to move. One after another, extremely beautiful musical notes poured out from his 10 fingers and surrounded the world. The sound of the zither was vast and majestic, like the high mountains and flowing water. The moment the sound of the zither rang out, the wind stopped, the clouds stopped, and aside from the vast sound of the zither, there was no other sound in the world. In the Black Heaven sect, second forefather, third forefather, and the others exclaimed in surprise. Zither music? Where did the zither music come from? Is that little guy playing the guqin? He can even play the guqin? Hold on, this zither music? Black Heaven's second forefather and the others could no longer hold themselves back after listening to the zither music. They immediately rushed out of the cottage and headed towards Chu Kuangren's direction. At the same time, Fairfrost Sage seemed to have sensed something as well and left the valley. The few sages and honorable supremes of the Black Heaven sect arrived at Chu Kuangren's location and looked at Chu Kuangren, who was playing the guqin, in shock. That person was dressed in white, and his fingers were strumming the guqin. Boundless music reverberated in the surroundings, but more importantly, they could sense that there were waves of majestic Taoist rhymes constantly surging in the Guqin music. The majestic Taoist rhymes amazed even the sages. Listening to the zither music, everyone felt that the scenery around them had become extremely clear, and a sense of vastness reverberated in their hearts. Meanwhile, Nangong Huang, Murong Xian, and the others also heard the zither music from afar. They suddenly stopped in the middle of their training. The sword chi clone did not continue to train either. As Nangong Huang and the others listened to the zither music, their minds seemed to be guided by it as they merged with the heavens and earth, feeling the vastness of the world. The towering mountains, the endless flowing water, the lush forests, the ever-present wind. Even the grass, the trees, the flowers, and the leaves had their own unique charm. Nangong Huang and the others were immersed in the vastness of the world, and the daily training that they had been doing for the past few days surfaced in their minds. The sword chi clone's techniques, the sword mountain sword intense suppression, and even the godly phoenix's flames all transformed into an inexplicable sense of enlightenment. At this moment, under the guidance of the zither music, they entered a state of epiphany. This little guy can enter the Taoist realm with the zither. This is something that only a musical Taoist grandmaster can do. Moreover, the vastness of this Taoist rhyme is unheard of. I've never heard of any musical Taoist cultivator who can do this. Even those old guys from the Heaven Cord sect might not be able to do something like this. This is just too terrifying. What else does he know? The sages were in disbelief. They had seen too many miraculous things about Chu Kuangren, but Chu Kuangren still managed to surprise them one after another. One after another, as if there was no end to it. The song was over. However, the zither music continued to reverberate throughout the world for a long time. After a while, the world became clear again. Master, what's this song called? Lan Yu's mouth was slightly agape as she asked in amazement. She knew how to play the zither too, and she was considered a minor expert in musical Taoism. However, compared to Chu Kuangren, it was like comparing a stream to a vast ocean. Such musical Taoist mastery could be said to be at the pinnacle of the world. The 8 celestial demonic chords. Vastness of heavens and earth. Chu Kuangren chuckled. The 8 celestial demonic chords had a total of 8 songs, and each song was the pinnacle of musical Taoism. The vastness of heavens and earth was the first song of the 8 celestial demonic chords. Vastness of heavens and earth, vastness of heavens and earth. What a majestic song. Lan Yu murmured twice, then praised him sincerely. Do you still want to listen to it? I can continue. Chu Kuangren wanted to continue playing, but he let out a soft gasp and looked at Nangong Huang and the others not far away. He could not help but smile. These guys are in an epiphany. Chu Kuangren was slightly surprised. After thinking about it, he knew that it was because of the boundless world. Although he did not use any spiritual power in that song, the Taoist rhyme contained within it was enough to benefit Nangong Huang and the others. Heavenly Radiant Sword Art. Murong Xian opened his eyes, and a majestic Taoist rhyme instantly erupted as he performed one of the 12 sage techniques that Chu Kuangren had created for the Black Heaven sect. The Heavenly Radiant Sword Art's sword chi was as majestic as the heavens. With a single slash, the sword chi clone was broken. At another location, Nangong Huang's eyes were filled with Yin-Yang Taoist rhymes. A ray of Yin-Yang divine light merged into the sacred sword in his hand, and he too unleashed a slash that contained the Yin-Yang fusion and endless Taoist rhymes. As the sword chi slashed, the sword chi clone was broken. Jun Yi, Qin Wushuang, and the others had also defeated their sword chi clones. Meanwhile, in the scorching purgatory, Shang Qingxue slowly stood up. She had pushed her deep freeze physique to its limit, and waves of cold currents crashed against the light barrier. Cracks quickly appeared on the light barrier before it shattered into countless light spots. The cold currents swept out and froze everything within a few hundred feet radius. Shang Qingxue had broken through the scorching purgatory with her own strength for the first time. Chapter 276. Did this song make these Taoists gain enlightenment? The sages of the Black Heaven sect were shocked. They did not expect Chu Kuangren's Guqin music to have such an effect. However, when they thought about the Taoist rhymes contained in the Guqin music, they felt that it was only natural. That kind of Guqin music was rarely heard in this world. It was truly the sound of nature. Under Chu Kuangren's training, these people had accumulated a lot of insights. Now that they had entered a state of enlightenment under the guidance of the Guqin music, it was not impossible for their strength to improve tremendously. Lan Yu, I'll let you play this Guqin in the future. Chu Kuangren smiled and kept the Guqin. Then, he seemed to have thought of something and said to Lan Yu, "By the way, do you think I should give this Guqin a name?" Lingering Beam. This Guqin is called Lingering Beam. Lan Yu quickly said, "Elder Rian gave it to me." She recalled the time when Elder Rian handed the Guqin to her and solemnly told her not to let Chu Kuangren name the Guqin. She really did not dare to compliment his naming skills. "Is it named after the lingering sound that lasts for 3 days? That's a good name. Too bad I wanted to name it Thunderclap." Chu Kuangren said regretfully. Thunderclap? Was it loud? Lan Yu could not help but curse in her heart. After Nangong Huang and the others defeated the Sword Chi clones, they gathered together to discuss the Guqin music. "Do you guys know where that Guqin music came from? It's so mysterious that I entered a state of enlightenment after listening to it. Yeah, it's amazing. I've never heard of such a boundless Taoist rhyme before. The person who played this Guqin music must be an incredible musical Taoist grandmaster. But why would a grandmaster appear here? And he even helped us gain enlightenment. The sect leader should know. Let's ask him later." As Nangong Huang said that, he suddenly saw Chu Kuangren and Murong Xian walking towards them. The few of them quickly went up to greet them. "Sect leader, you're here. Do you know what that Guqin music was?" Murong Xian went straight to the point. "Of course. I wonder which musical Taoist grandmaster played it. Can you let us meet him? We want to thank him in person." Nangong Huang said. "It's so far away yet so close," Chu Kuangren said. Hearing this, the crowd looked at Lan Yu in shock. "Lan Yu, was it you?" Chu Kuangren was confused. "Why would all of you think of Lan Yu? Wasn't the first thing you thought of was that I was the one who flicked it? I've heard from Lil Bing that Miss Lan plays the zither very well, but I've never had the chance to hear it. Now that I've seen it, it's really extraordinary." Murong Xian praised. Jun Yi, on the other hand, looked hesitant. "I've listened to Lan Yu's Guqin before. It is beautiful, but I don't think it's that good." "It wasn't me, it was young master." Lan Yu pointed at Chu Kuangren. Everyone looked at Chu Kuangren in shock. "Sect leader knows how to play the Guqin? What? Are you surprised?" Chu Kuangren asked. "That's not it, sect leader. I've never heard you say that you can play the Guqin before." Nangong Huang said in surprise. "I know a lot. Do I have to tell you everything?" Chu Kuangren rolled his eyes. "There's no need for that." Nangong Huang scratched his head. When Chu Kuangren said that he was the one who played the Guqin, no one doubted it. After all, Chu Kuangren had shown them many miraculous things, so it was not that hard to understand why he was a musical Dao grandmaster. "By the way, sect leader, now that we've defeated your Sword Chi clone, do you have any other training?" Nangong Huang asked. "No, there's less than 7 days left until the championship. What other training is there? We'll depart for the White Tiger domain tomorrow." Everyone looked at each other when they heard Chu Kuangren's words. At that moment, they had an indescribable feeling. "Why do I feel like I'm not very happy?" Murong Xian said. On one hand, they felt relieved that the inhumane torture was finally over. On the other hand, they also noticed that they had improved, so they hoped that the training could continue. "So you guys are addicted to the torture, huh? I'll give you guys an even more exciting training when we get back." Chu Kuangren glanced at Murong Xian and said. Everyone felt their scalps go numb. If the training was already hell, then what would be more exciting? "Don't, sect leader. I'm just joking." That's what Murong Xian said. "We never said anything about it." "That's right. If you want to train, go train Murong Xian." Everyone joked around for a while. Then Chu Kuangren told them to go back and prepare. The next day, Chu Kuangren took out the elusive mirage. The huge elusive mirage floated above the Black Heaven sect, and its huge body made everyone feel pressured. "Take care, sect leader." In front of the mountain entrance, Elder Rian and the others sent Chu Kuangren and the group of Taoists off. They represented the Black Heaven sect in this Sky Pride Championship, and each of them carried the Black Heaven sect's honor on their shoulders. "All right, we'll take our leave first." Chu Kuangren and the group of Taoists boarded the elusive mirage. Then 2 huge air currents erupted from the tail of the elusive mirage, pushing the elusive mirage into the distance, leaving behind 2 white marks in the clouds and the disciples who were blown away. This elusive mirage is so powerful. Tisk tiske, if only I could ride it once. On the elusive mirage, Nangong Huang, Qin Wushuang, and the others were shocked when they saw the buildings on the elusive mirage. Was that a ferry boat? It was like a floating city. Compared to Nangong Huang and the others, Murong Xian behaved better. He had been to the elusive mirage once, although it was not a pleasant experience. When he thought about what happened in the Murong clan, his gaze became a little gloomy. However, when he saw Nangong Huang and the others looking around in the elusive mirage, he could not help but smile. He walked up and glanced at them. Look at you guys. You guys look like you've never seen the world before. How embarrassing. This elusive mirage is really spectacular, Nangong Huang said. He might not be able to find a ferry boat like this even if he searched the entire firmament star. Alright, find a room for yourselves here. It'll take us 2 to 3 days to reach the White Tiger domain, Chu Kuangren said. Among the 4 domains, the Azure Dragon domain was the furthest from the White Tiger domain. The 4 domains Sky Pride Championship would be held in the first city of the White Tiger domain, so even the elusive mirage would need some time to reach there. Yes, sect leader. Nangong Huang and the others each found a place to stay. Meanwhile, Lil Red, who had reverted to her true form, was having fun on the elusive mirage, shuttling back and forth between the pavilions. Lil Red, be careful. Don't break anything. Yes, brother. Chu Kuangren glanced at her and ignored her. At night, Nangong Huang, Jun-yi, and the others gathered together to look at the moon. They took out some drinks and snacks to enjoy the moon. Why don't we spar? Suddenly Murong Xian said with a whim. Sure. That's what I was thinking. The others did not reject his suggestion. Only Shang Qingxue quietly walked to the side and did not participate. Her cultivation level was too weak, so she would only suffer if she went up to spar. However, she might be able to gain some insights by watching from the side. The few of them discussed Taoist techniques, but they were all equally matched. Then they suddenly looked at Chu Kuangren. After they looked at each other, they all directed their Taoist rhymes towards Chu Kuangren. Chapter 277. Sect Leader, please enlighten us. Nangong Huang, Murong Xian, Jun-yi, and the others unleashed their Taoist rhymes and charged towards Chu Kuangren. They wanted to spar with him. Chu Kuangren raised an eyebrow at that. How impudent. As soon as he said that, a terrifying sword-based Taoist rhyme emanated. Nangong Huang and the others' Taoist rhymes were useless against that Taoist rhyme, and they were instantly destroyed. Everyone looked at each other with a knowing look on their faces. Do you really think you can challenge me just because you've defeated my clone? You guys still have a long way to go. You still have a long way to go. Chu Kuangren chuckled. The others smiled bitterly. They felt that they would never be able to catch up to Chu Kuangren no matter how hard they trained. Soon 2 days had passed. Chu Kuangren and the others had arrived at the White Tiger Domain's first city. Is that the first city? It's so majestic. From afar, the crowd could see the majestic city, and there were even a few small islands floating above it. There were also all kinds of rare beasts flying in the sky, and the streets were bustling with people. There were all kinds of skyscrapers and palaces. That was the first city. The name First City was enough to highlight how extraordinary it was. It was the largest and most majestic city in Firmament Star, and it was home to all kinds of forces. It was like a kingdom. Even the capital city of the Royal Azure Dynasty could not be compared to it. The first city was extremely lively, especially in the past few days. Besides the local forces of the White Tiger Domain, sage orthodoxies from the other 3 domains had also come to participate in the 4 domains championship. Today the first city could be said to be a gathering of experts. 4 seas in. At this moment, the largest restaurant in the first city was filled to the brim with cultivators from the various great forces gathered together, chatting merrily and wittily. I can't believe Tempest Mountain is here to participate in this championship. How can we miss out on such a grand event? I heard that even the strongest sage orthodoxy in the White Tiger Domain, the Sky Emperor Palace, will be participating. They have a high chance of winning. Not necessarily. I heard that the Black Warrior Domain's Overlord Sage tribe has also sent their people. They seem to be determined to win this championship as well. Overlord Sage tribe? He is a strong contender for the championship. The tournament this time is quite lively. Other than the Sky Emperor Palace and the Overlord Sage tribe, the Heaven Chord sect is here too. The Vermilion Bird Realm's Heavenly Chord sect. Of course. Inside the restaurant, everyone was discussing about the hegemony tournament. At this moment, the waiter in the restaurant looked out of the window and suddenly opened his mouth in shock. What is that? Everyone followed his gaze and looked out the window. In the sky above the first city, a gigantic black immortal vessel soared through the sky. Wherever it passed, the clouds would churn. Most of the people were shocked. This was the first time they had seen such an immortal boat. Heavens, is this a fairy boat? Which faction is this? That's Mirage. At this moment, An old man in plain clothes by the window suddenly spoke. Everyone looked at him curiously. Elusive mirage? What's that? Legend has it that a long time ago, there was a dynasty called the Qin dynasty. In order to seek immortality, the great Qin dynasty's monarch, Emperor Qin, used the entire nation's resources to build a peerless emperor artifact, ferry boat. Was called Mirage. Hearing this, everyone sucked in a cold breath. This Mirage is an emperor artifact? Not really. The Mirage disappeared a long time ago. This Mirage is just a counterfeit. The old man in plain clothes smiled faintly. Everyone was even more shocked. If a counterfeit was already so powerful, what would the real Mirage look like? Everyone could not help but wonder. Compared to the Mirage, I'm sure you've all heard of the person in the Mirage, the old man in plain clothes suddenly said. Who? The most famous person in the world today. The most famous person? Everyone frowned. Nowadays the world was a time of great competition. Heroes and sky prides from all walks of life emerged one after another. There were too many famous people. Who is the leader of the sky prides? There's a madman in the black heaven. The old man in plain clothes improvised a limerick. The moment these words came out, how could the masses not guess who it was? It's him. I didn't expect him to come. He's going to participate in the championship. What about the others? Don't worry. There's a rule in this championship that sect leaders are not allowed to participate in the Sky Pride Championship. I heard that this rule is marked in red on the rules to specifically target Chu Kuangren. The most famous person in the world today? I should have known it would be him. Who doesn't know Chu Kuangren now? One of the cultivators exclaimed. Then he looked at the old man in plain clothes. Sensing that this old man was not as simple as he seemed, he asked curiously, May I know your name, sir? The old man in plain clothes smiled mysteriously. The mysteries of the heavens are not to be revealed. That one sentence made the cultivator's pupils dilate. He immediately guessed the old man's identity and bowed respectfully. Greetings, Senior Predictor. Above the first city. A few people flew past and stopped in front of the Mirage. These people were the organizers of the championship, the deacons of the first city. When they arrived before the Mirage, they were shocked by its grandeur. Then one of them said loudly, I'm Wang Yu, the deacon of the first city. Please show yourself, Black Heaven sect leader. Chu Kuangren then walked out with Nangong Huang and the others. At first glance, Wang Yu could tell who Chu Kuangren was among the group. It could not be helped. Chu Kuangren's temperament and appearance were too outstanding, much better than Nangong Huang, Murong Xian and the others. Greetings, sect leader Chu. We've prepared a resting area for the participating orthodoxies. Please come with us, Wang Yu said. Thank you for your trouble. Chu Kuangren smiled and kept the Mirage into his yin and yang ring. They followed the deacons to a cluster of buildings in the first city. Wang Yu pointed at a few buildings and said, This area is the resting area for the Black Heaven sect. There are servants from the first city in there. If there's anything you need, you can ask them to do. Thank you. You're welcome. Chu Kuangren and the others went into the buildings and found a place to rest. At the same time, news of Chu Kuangren's arrival in the first city spread like wildfire. Countless forces received the news immediately. Some forces even repeatedly confirmed with the organizers of the first city that Chu Kuangren would participate in the championship. Only after receiving a clear answer did the crowd feel a little more at ease. Phew, as long as Chu Kuangren doesn't participate in the championship, we still have a chance to win. It's a good thing the sect leader is not allowed to participate in the championship. Otherwise we can just surrender to the Black Heaven sect. Chu Kuangren. The Mirage. This guy sure is big. Everyone in the city knows about him now. On the second day, news of the Divine Predictor's comment on Chu Kuangren at the World Tower spread like wildfire. That comment was just a limerick. Who shall lead the Sky Prides? There's Kuangren in the Black Heaven sect. Just that one sentence alone made Chu Kuangren stand above all the Sky Prides in the world. Chapter 278. The next day, Chu Kuangren walked out of the room and stretched his body. On the big tree in the courtyard, Lil Red, who had transformed into a bird, chirped twice before landing on Chu Kuangren's shoulder. Brother, you're up. Yes, did you stay on this tree for the whole night? I absorbed the moon essence for the whole night. Divine beasts were very mystical. Aside from being able to absorb the spiritual chi of heaven and earth, they could also absorb the essence of the sun and moon to cultivate. The latter's quality was much better than the former. Usually, other than some special techniques, ordinary cultivators would not be able to absorb it. Master, this is the rules and the list of participants sent by the organizers. Lan Yu walked up and said. She was holding a copy of the rules in her hand. Chu Kuangren took it and looked at it. The organizers had already sent the rules to the Black Heaven sect, so he had already read it. He was more interested in the list of participants. Oh, there are a total of 24 sage orthodoxies participating in this championship. Let me see how many are from the Azure Dragon domain. School of White Lotus, Black Heaven sect, Sacred Lands of Serene Wisdom, Thunder Falcon tribe, Yasha tribe. There are 5 from the Azure Dragon domain. That's not a small number. I wonder if I can meet some familiar faces. Chu Kuangren laughed. Not all sage orthodoxies would participate in this championship. It was normal for some sage orthodoxies to not participate due to certain reasons. However, to be able to gather 24 sage orthodoxies was more than half of the sage orthodoxies in the 4 domains. It was definitely a grand event. Chu Kuangren glanced at the list of participants and looked at the streets outside. This first city is known as the #1 city in the world, so it must be very prosperous. Lan Yu, accompany me for a walk. All right. Lan Yu nodded. Brother, I want to go too. Sure, but don't transform into your true form. Hide your aura well. Got it. Just like that, Chu Kuangren brought Lan Yu and Lil Red out. When they walked out of the door, a faint layer of spiritual light covered their faces, making their faces look very blurry. Both of them were too good-looking, especially Chu Kuangren. He did not want to cause any commotion and disturb his fun. There were many others who did the same thing. As he walked on the street, he occasionally saw a few cultivators with the same spiritual light covering their faces. Some of them were the sect leaders of the various forces, and some were the prodigies of the various sects. As expected of its name, the first city was very prosperous. However, the streets were wide and it did not appear crowded at all. Occasionally, some cultivators would ride on various rare and exotic beasts as they swaggered through the streets. It was as though they were afraid that others would not know that they had a good mount. Along the way, Chu Kuangren heard many rumors about himself. Who will be the leader of the Sky Prides? There's a Kuangren in the Black Heaven realm. This predictor shouldn't write a poem if he doesn't know how to. How dare he come up with a limerick like this and embarrass himself? Chu Kuangren curled his lips and said, but I don't think he's wrong. At the side, Lan Yu smiled and said, among all the Sky Prides in this world, aren't you #1? Yes, I won't deny that. Chu Kuangren nodded in agreement. Let's go. I heard that the Heavenly Music Pavilion's fairy Snowdrift is preparing to have a zither duel with the Sky Emperor Palace's noblewomen. It's so lively. I'll go take a look as well. Tiske, I heard that Lady Snowflake's Guqin music has already reached the peak of perfection. It would be a blessing to hear her play a song, not to mention that she's going to have a musical duel with someone. Yeah, this is a rare opportunity. Quick, let's go take a look. On the streets, the cultivators quickly ran towards the place where the musical duel was taking place. Not long after, the streets became deserted. A musical duel, this is quite interesting. Chu Kuangren smiled. Ever since he obtained the 8 celestial demonic chords, his musical Tao had reached such a high level that not many people in this world could compare to him. He was also a little curious as to how much this Sky Pride of the Heaven Chord Pavilion, who was famous for her musical Tao, could achieve. Lan Yu, let's go join in the fun. All right. Both of them arrived at the place where the musical duel was taking place. It was a tall building. 2 women stood on top of the building. One was dressed in white while the other was dressed in red. One had a cold temperament while the other had an air of nobility. Both women were stunning beauties, each with their own merits. Many of the male cultivators at the scene could not help but be mesmerized when they saw the 2 women. So this is Lady Snowflake? She really lives up to her name. That woman in red must be the Sky Emperor Palace's noblewoman. Rumor has it that there's a noblewoman in the Sky Emperor Palace called Jing Yan who specializes in musical Tao. If I'm not mistaken, this should be her. Yes, it's her. The crowd discussed among themselves. Chu Kuangren heard the crowd's words, but he did not pay much attention to them. Compared to the 2 women's looks, he was more interested in the fiery red crystal that was placed between them. That crystal had fire-based Taoist rhymes flowing around it, and it contained an extremely dense amount of spiritual qi. It was a rare fire-based treasure that was at least at the boundary sage level. Brother, that thing looks delicious. The godly phoenix Lil Red said to Chu Kuangren. She was a divine beast that leaned towards fire-based attributes, so fire-based treasures were extraordinarily attractive to her. Don't worry, I'll find one for you in the future, Chu Kuangren said. Lil Red was standing on his shoulder, and Chu Kuangren could even hear the sound of her swallowing saliva. This little girl seems to like that crystal a lot. Should I think of a way to get it? Chu Kuangren thought to himself. He could not snatch it anymore. How would it look if the Black Heaven sect leader stole something from another sect's disciple if word got out? I can't believe you've taken out such a precious fire spirit crystal just to have a musical duel with me. At that moment Lady Snowflake said. Rumor has it that Lady Snowflake from the Heaven Chord sect is unparalleled in musical Tao. I've always wanted to see if your Heavenly Snow melody is better, or if my honoring an emperor tune is better, Sky Emperor Palace's noblewoman Jing Yan said. As she spoke she took out a guqin. It was a fiery red guqin with an extraordinary Taoist rhyme flowing around it. Just like its owner, it had an air of nobility about it. I didn't want to compete with you at first, but for the sake of this fire spirit crystal, it's not a big deal to lose to you once. Lady Snowflake also took out a guqin. It was a beautifully crafted guqin that looked like it was carved out of jade. The two of them began their musical duel. Lady Snowflake took the lead and played a song. Her music was as cold as she was, and everyone could feel the temperature in the air drop by a few degrees. Following that was Jing Yan's guqin music. It was majestic and powerful, as if she was a supreme emperor that could shake the mountains and rivers. 2 types of guqin music, 2 types of Taoist rhymes, and 2 songs stirred up circles of ripples in the void. What a powerful guqin music! As expected of the Sky Prides from the Heaven Chord sect. The noble women from the Sky Emperor Palace are not ordinary either. The crowd could not help but exclaim as they watched the musical duel. In the crowd, Chu Kuangren frowned as he watched the 2 duel. These 2 seem to be average. In the eyes of ordinary people, these 2 women's musical Tao skills were already at the peak of perfection. However, in his eyes, they were only considered to be at a higher level. They were not even considered masters. Chapter 279. The guqin music reverberated in the void. Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu watched from the crowd. Compared to the others who were amazed, their expressions were much calmer. To Chu Kuangren these 2 women were only average at best. They were far from being worthy of his praise. As for Lan Yu, ever since she heard Chu Kuangren's guqin music, no other guqin music in this world could enter her ears. The guqin duel gradually came to an end. A loud clang could be heard. Jing Yan's guqin music instantly became extremely high-pitched. Guqin music rained down on Lady Snowflake like a torrential downpour. Gradually, Lady Snowflake's guqin music seemed to be unable to hold on any longer. With a loud clang the guqin string broke. The zither music that resounded throughout heaven and earth stopped in an instant. Lady Snowflake looked at the broken guqin in front of her with a shocked expression. She had lost. How could this be? Lady Snowflake felt an unprecedented sense of defeat. She had been cultivating guqin Tao for so many years. Even some of the elders in the sect could not compare to her. This was the first time she had lost to someone of the same age. According to the agreement, this guqin of yours is mine now. Jing Yan walked up to Lady Snowflake and looked at her arrogantly before she took the guqin away. Lady Snowflake's expression became even more desolate when she saw that. Snowflake, don't be sad. It's just a guqin. I'll get someone to find you a better one when we get back. At that moment, a man suddenly walked up to Lady Snowflake and comforted her. Lady Snowflake took 2 steps back and said, "Thank you, Bachelor Sage Chang Yuan. However, the Heaven Chord sect has a professional guqin craftsman. You don't have to trouble yourself with finding a guqin." Is that so? Bachelor Sage Chang Yuan's eyes flashed with disappointment. He had wanted to use this opportunity to get closer to Lady Snowflake. He had fallen in love with this woman since the first time he saw her. As a bachelor sage of the Overlord clan, he even disregarded his identity to please her. However, she had always been lukewarm towards him. I didn't expect the bachelor sage of the Overlord clan to be such a sentimental person. It's a pity that the love is reciprocated. Jing Yan sneered and was about to leave. Sigh, the delicious food is gone. Godly Phoenix Xiaohong could not help but sigh when she saw that Jing Yan was about to leave with the fire spirit crystal. However, to the others it sounded like chattering. Mian Yin, who was about to leave, heard the voice and looked towards the source of the voice. When she saw Lil Red on Chu Kuangren's shoulder, her eyes lit up and she strode towards it. "I want your bird. Give me a price." Upon hearing that, Chu Kuangren could not help but fall silent. The surrounding men also had a strange look on their faces. However, Jing Yin did not think too much about it. She kept staring at Lil Red with an indescribable fondness in her eyes. She had seen images of the divine phoenix in ancient books, and the little bird in front of her was actually 70 to 80% similar to the legendary divine phoenix. Of course, she did not think that this was the divine phoenix. After all, it was a divine beast. How could she encounter it so coincidentally? She just felt that since this little bird looked so similar to the godly phoenix, it would not be a bad idea to buy it as a mascot. Sorry, I'm not selling this bird. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. 100,000 upper spiritual stones. Jing Yan said. She thought that using 100,000 upper spiritual stones to buy a little bird was already a great deal for Chu Kuangren. Not only her but everyone around her thought the same as well. They looked at Chu Kuangren enviously. 100,000 upper spiritual stones for a bird? That was like a free lunch from the heavens. When Lil Red heard what Jing Yan said, it started to chirp at Chu Kuangren on his shoulder. Are you kidding me? You're buying a godly phoenix with 100,000 upper spiritual stones? B*TC, hurry up and leave. I'm not selling. I'll never leave you, brother. However, that scolding made her even cuter to Jing Yan. It's more fun to play with such an energetic bird. How about this? I'll give you another 100,000 upper spiritual stones. Jing Yan said like a tycoon. As a noble lady of the Sky Emperor Palace, she did not lack those upper spiritual stones. I won't be selling this bird, but it's not like there's no way for you to keep it. Chu Kuangren smiled. What way? You and I have a musical duel. If you win, the bird is yours. If you lose, I want your fire spirit crystal, Chu Kuangren said. Everyone was stunned when they heard that. Even Lady Snowflake, who was about to leave, stopped in her tracks. This Taoist brother wants to have a musical duel with Jing Yan? He doesn't know what's good for him. Even you, Lady Snowflake, are no match for Jing Yan, let alone this kid who came out of nowhere. Bachelor Sage Chang Yuan sneered from the side. Most of the people present had the same thought as him. In the Firmament Star, the Heaven Chord sect was the best at musical Dao. Even Lady Snowflake from the Heaven Chord sect had lost to Jing Yan. How could this guy who came out of nowhere beat her in musical Dao? The crowd did not believe it. This kid probably knows a thing or two, but it's too bad that he's up against a musical Dao cultivator like Jing Yan. He can only lose. Tiske, he really doesn't know his place. Let's see how he loses. Jing Yan looked at Chu Kuangren in amusement. Even if you want to give me this bird for free, you don't have to do this. I'll give it a try. Chu Kuangren did not care about the doubts of the crowd. He leaped and landed on top of a tall building. Jing Yan came before him and took out her guqin. I'll let you go first, Jing Yan said. No, I advise you to go first. Otherwise, there's a high chance that you won't get another chance, Chu Kuangren said sincerely. How arrogant. I'll let you go first, so I'll let you go first. Jing Yan frowned and was a little displeased. The others also thought that Chu Kuangren was too good at pretending. The more arrogant he is, the more awkward it'll be when he loses later. That's right. Chu Kuangren turned a deaf ear to the discussions around him. He took out his lingering melody. As soon as lingering melody was played, Lady Snowflake's eyes lit up and she could not help but exclaim, "What a nice guqin." Lady Snowflake likes this guqin. Whether it's the material or the craftsmanship, this is a top-notch piece of art. It's even better than the one I had before. Sage Chang Yuan fell into deep thought when he heard that. Since you want me to go first, I won't hold back then. Chu Kuangren placed the guqin on his knees and plucked it with all 10 fingers. The moment the guqin music rang out, Jing Yan could not help but look shocked. Then, her eyes widened and her face was filled with disbelief. The noisy crowd instantly became incomparably quiet. The guqin music contained a boundless Taoist rhyme as it reverberated. Everyone felt as if their minds were being pulled into that boundless world. This was especially true for Jing Yan. She was affected by the Taoist rhyme in the guqin music. She felt as if she was in a boundless world as the boundless Taoist rhyme surged towards her like a tidal wave, making it difficult for her to defend herself. It was too terrifying. This guqin music, this Taoist rhyme was too terrifying. Jing Yan raised her trembling hand and tried to play the guqin in her hand to resist Chu Kuangren's guqin music. However, when her fingers landed on the guqin strings, she realized that she could not make a single sound no matter how hard she tried. Her zither Dao had been completely suppressed. How can there be such a guqin Taoist rhyme in this world? Chapter 280. This is impossible. How can such guqin Taoist rhymes exist in this world? Jing Yan looked at Chu Kuangren in disbelief. In the face of Chu Kuangren's Guqin music, she could not even muster the slightest intention to compete with him. She had lost, completely lost. After playing the tune of Boundless Universe, Chu Kuangren put away his Guqin and looked at Jing Yan. It's your turn now. Please. Jing Yan was on the verge of tears. My turn? My turn? How are you going to compete with me? I've lost. Jing Yan took out the fire spirit crystal and tossed it to Chu Kuangren. Then she asked curiously, may I know which musical Taoist grandmaster you are? I don't specialize in the way of the zither. I just use it to kill time in my spare time. I don't deserve to be called a great grandmaster. Chu Kuangren said calmly after he took the fire spirit crystal. Everyone who had just recovered from the Guqin music was dumbfounded when they heard what he said. Even the aloof Lady Snowflake could not help but twitch her lips. The Zither Grandmaster realm that all the cultivators of the Heaven Court sect dreamed of was actually something that someone else practiced to kill time. Was there any justice in this world? Was there still any humanity left? Since you are unwilling to reveal your name, I will not force you. However, I would like to invite you to my place tonight to play the zither and discuss the Tao. Jing Yin said with a fiery gaze. Was it playing the zither and discussing the Tao? Or was it love? The surrounding male cultivators looked at Chu Kuangren enviously. After all, she was a noble lady of the Sky Emperor Palace. Being invited by her was a dream come true for countless male cultivators. If anything were to happen during this, it would be a blessing of 3 lifetimes. Many people at the scene wished they could replace Chu Kuangren. At that moment, Lady Snowflake, who was standing not too far away, walked over and said to Chu Kuangren, Fellow Taoist, your musical Tao attainments are so high that Snowflake admires you very much. I would like to invite you over to my place for a long chat. Even someone as cold as the fluttering snow fairy could not help but be tempted after witnessing Chu Kuangren's godly musical Tao attainments. Even her master did not have such attainments in the Zither Tao. If she was able to make friends with such an expert and receive a pointer or two from him, it would absolutely be a great benefit to her. The moment Fairy Snowdrift spoke, all the male cultivators present widened their mouths in disbelief. *CK Fairy Snowdrift, where's your coldness? Where is your modesty? Your persona has collapsed. Bachelor Sage Chang Yuan stared at Chu Kuangren with a face full of jealousy. He had chased after Lady Snowflake for so many days, yet she had never treated him differently. Yet now she was sending out an invitation to a stranger. What if King Long talk? First come, first served. I was the one who invited this fellow Taoist first. Jing Yan glanced at Lady Snowflake and said in an unfriendly tone. There are some things that don't matter. Sometimes it depends on fate. Perhaps this fellow Taoist is more willing to discuss the Tao with me. A loser like you dares to compete with me? A sense of shame leads to courage. It is precisely because I lost to you that I should grasp the opportunity to learn from this fellow Taoist and benefit from it. Fairy Fluttering Snow and Jing Yan, these 2 women who were unreachable in the eyes of countless male cultivators were now fighting over a man in the middle of the street. The 2 women were at each other's throats, neither willing to back down. Although they did not fight, everyone could smell the thick smell of gunpowder in the air. At that moment, the crowd was filled with envy and jealousy toward Chu Kuangren. They could not wait to answer on his behalf. Stop fighting, only children make choices. Adults want both. Let's talk about love together. Oh no, play the Guqin. I thank both of you for your invitation, but we've never met before. I still have things to do, so I won't disturb you any longer. Goodbye. Chu Kuangren said indifferently. In other words, he was saying, I'm sorry, but we don't know each other. Goodbye. Upon hearing his words, the people around him almost went crazy. Rejected. He actually rejected the invitation of 2 goddesses. Goodness, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that countless people dreamed of, yet this guy rejected it without a second thought. Even Lady Snowflake and Jing Yan were surprised. However, Chu Kuangren ignored them. After obtaining the fire spirit crystal, he was about to leave with Lan Yu. Bachelor Sage Chang Yuan could not hold it in any longer and yelled, Stop right there. However, Chu Kuangren ignored him and continued to stride forward. Bachelor Sage Chang Yuan's expression darkened as he dashed towards Chu Kuangren in an attempt to grab him. However, before he could get close, Lan Yu, who was beside Chu Kuangren, suddenly made her move. She unleashed a punch that unleashed boundless Taoist rhymes that turned into a surge of divine radiance that instantly blasted Bachelor Sage Chang Yuan dozens of feet away. Seeing that, the crowd gasped. They did not expect the lady who had been staying by Chu Kuangren's side without saying a word to possess such strength. Bachelor Sage Chang Yuan's face was filled with shock too. Although his strength was not the strongest among the younger generation, it was enough to rival a young emperor. Yet he was sent flying with a single punch. Just how terrifying was this lady's strength? At that thought, Bachelor Sage Chang Yuan's heart that was blinded by jealousy and hatred gradually cleared up. He no longer dared to act rashly. Meanwhile, Lady Snowflake and Jing Yan looked at the back of Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu as if they were deep in thought. Although both of them had covered their faces with a spiritual veil, their voices sounded very young. Could they be Sky Prides who were here to participate in the championship? The more they thought about it, the more they felt that it was possible. Hence, they decided to go back and find someone to investigate. At that moment, after Chu Kuangren left the crowd, he handed the fire spirit crystal in his hand to the godly phoenix Lil Red. She pecked the crystal and a hole appeared on it. Then, like drinking water, she continuously absorbed the spiritual chi within the fire spirit crystal into her body. The feathers on her body glowed faintly. Chu Kuangren was worried that if she continued to absorb the spiritual chi, she would not be able to resist and revert to her true form. Hence, he kept the fire spirit crystal into his yin and yang ring. Stop absorbing it for now. It's all yours when we get back. He and Lan Yu strolled around the city for half a day before they returned to the accommodations that were arranged for the various sage orthodoxies in the first city. The moment they arrived, a few pairs of eyes landed on them. Chu Kuangren only took a glance at them before he ignored them and returned to the Black Heaven Sect's area. Seeing that, the few people left on their own. In one of the rooms, Bachelor Sage Chang Yuan asked in shock, "Are you sure they're from the Black Heaven Sect?" "Yes, a man and a woman with a red bird. I'm sure I'm not mistaken. They've indeed entered the Black Heaven Sect's area. So they're from the Black Heaven Sect. Fortunately, things didn't get out of hand today." Bachelor Sage Chang Yuan breathed a sigh of relief. Even though the Overlord Sage tribe was powerful and had a strong foundation, they were still wary of Chu Kuangren from the Black Heaven Sect. Since when did a musical Taoist Grandmaster appear among the young disciples of the Black Heaven Sect? Bachelor Sage Chang Yuan was puzzled. Meanwhile, on the other side, Lady Snowflake and the spies that Jing Yan had sent to monitor the situation had returned. "They're indeed Sky Prides who are here to participate in the championship. But I didn't expect them to be from the Black Heaven Sect," Jing Yan murmured. Suddenly she thought of something. Rumor has it that Chu Kuangren was once acknowledged by the godly phoenix as its master. That bird I saw today is 70 to 80% similar to the godly phoenix. Could it really be the godly phoenix? The more she thought about it, the more her heart palpitated. If it really was the godly phoenix, then the identity of the musical Taoist Grandmaster that she had encountered today would be obvious. "I can't believe it's him." She was a little relieved that she did not go overboard. Otherwise, it was hard to say if she would still be standing here. Chapter 281. Time flew by. Soon it was time for the championship to begin. Chu Kuangren brought a group of disciples to the central plaza of the first city, where there was a gigantic arena. After passing through a dark tunnel, Chu Kuangren and the others entered the arena. In an instant they were illuminated by the light, and they saw millions of spectators surrounding the arena. Some were sitting in the spectator stands, some were standing, and some were floating in the air. The arena was so crowded that not even a drop of water could pass through. When Chu Kuangren arrived with the people from the Black Heaven Sect, the crowd erupted in cheers and screams. "Look, it's the people from the Black Heaven Sect. The one walking at the front is the Black Heaven Sect leader, Chu Kuangren. Rumor has it that he's the one who killed 3 sages within a year. By the heavens, this person is just as extraordinary as the rumors say. How great would it be if I could spend the night with him?" "In your dreams. I heard that the Divine Predictor commented on him a few days ago. Black Heaven has Kuangren as the leader of the Sky Prides. He immediately listed him as the #1 Sky Prides in the world. That shows how amazing he is. The Divine Predictor's comment is too high." Once they entered the arena, countless spectators began to discuss among themselves, especially Chu Kuangren, who attracted everyone's attention. Aside from his appearance and temperament, there were also many rumors about him that made people pay attention to him. "Sect leader, you're quite popular," Nangong Huang said to Chu Kuangren. "You guys are the main characters in this championship. Do your best and let the world witness the strength of the Black Heaven Sect." Chu Kuangren said calmly. He did not care about the burning gazes from the millions of people, and he looked indifferent. In the arena, the other sage orthodoxies had also entered the arena. "Look, it's the people from Tempest Mountain. That's not all. The people from the Linghu clan are here too." Other than the Murong clan that lost 2 of their sages, the strongest swordsmanship sect in Firmament Star is here too. This tournament will definitely be exciting. Needless to say, there's also the White Tiger Domain's Sky Emperor Palace, the Black Warrior Domain's Overlord Sage Tribe, and the Scarlet Phoenix Domain's Heaven Cord sect. These are all renowned sage orthodoxies. The tournament this time is truly a feast for the geniuses. That's right. Look at those Sky Prides who are leading the group. They're either young emperors or one of the 10 talents. More than half of the most outstanding youths in the world are gathered here. This is a rare sight. The sage orthodoxies entered the arena one after another, causing many to exclaim in surprise. As soon as the people from the sage orthodoxies entered the arena, they immediately looked in the direction of the Black Heaven sect. To be more precise, they were looking in the direction of Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren, the young emperor of the Linghu clan, Linghu Teng, stared at him with a look of dread and even fear. He had once fought Chu Kuangren at the Sword Gauntlet, but he ended up suffering a crushing defeat. Later on, he heard the news that Chu Kuangren had killed 2 of the Murong clan sages, and he was so shocked that his Taoist core almost collapsed. At that time, he knew that the gap between them was so great that he might not be able to catch up even if he tried his entire life. In the direction of Mount Tempest, the young emperor Ling Feng stared at Chu Kuangren with a complicated look in his eyes. Back at the Sword Gauntlet, he was suppressed by Chu Kuangren's sword-based Taoist rhyme to the point that he could not even unleash a single sword attack. That incident had become a knot in his heart. Later on, when he heard about Chu Kuangren's deeds, he suddenly realized that he, the so-called sword lunatic, was not even worth mentioning. What Chu Kuangren had done was the true definition of madness. Besides Linghu Teng and Ling Feng, many other Sky Prides were also carefully observing Chu Kuangren. They were too curious about this person. Everyone was a Sky Pride, so why was he so outstanding? Not only did he become a sect leader, he killed a sage, and he even got the godly phoenix to acknowledge him as its master. His name was known throughout the world and he completely outshone everyone else. Among these people, there were some whose eyes were filled with jealousy, some who were unwilling, and some who were eager to give it a try. In the direction of the Overlord Sage Tribe, Bachelor Sage Chang Yuan gasped when he saw Lil Red on Chu Kuangren's shoulder. It's him. I can't believe it was him that day. Bachelor Sage Chang Yuan was still traumatized. Beside him, a black-robed elder noticed his unusual behavior and asked curiously, Bachelor Sage Chang Yuan, what's wrong? Elder, he's the person I told you about. Bachelor Sage Chang Yuan gulped and said in a serious tone. The black-robed elder's expression changed slightly. He then looked at Bachelor Sage Chang Yuan and said, You're lucky to still be standing here. Elder, I trust you've been well since we last met. At that moment, the people from the school of White Lotus walked up. The White Lotus leader bowed at Chu Kuangren and said respectfully, Leader, you guys are here too. Yes. The few of them chatted casually. Chu Kuangren was also secretly observing the others, but he soon lost interest after a few glances. Most of the people who came were led by the sect leaders of the various sage orthodoxies. There was not a single sage among them. In other words, the sages were hiding in the dark and had yet to show themselves. It's a shame that you can't participate in this championship, Elder. Otherwise, I'm afraid you'll be the champion, the White Lotus leader said with a smile. Chu Kuangren chuckled and said, I'm already a sect leader. How can I compete with a bunch of juniors? It's beneath my dignity. Hearing this, everyone rolled their eyes. Juniors? Please wake up and take a look at your own age, all right? However, as much as they complained, no one dared to refute him. In other words, they should be glad that Chu Kuangren had such thoughts. Otherwise, if Chu Kuangren were to compete with these Sky Prides, who would be able to beat him? He would definitely beat them to a pulp. However, that was what the sect leaders thought. Some of the Sky Prides looked at Chu Kuangren with dissatisfaction. Is this guy trying to use his status to pressure us? Or is he trying to say that we're not worthy of being mentioned in the same breath as him? Juniors? *CK his juniors. If there's a chance, I really want to compete with him. Those who were present were the most outstanding young people of their generation, so they naturally had their own pride. Even though they knew that they were no match for Chu Kuangren, they could not help but compare themselves to him. In other words, they deserved to be beaten up by society. At that moment, 3 rays of light descended from the sky and landed in front of the crowd. The 3 rays of light were 2 men and 1 woman. Each of them had a powerful Taoist rhyme flowing around their bodies. They were all honorable supremes. Upon seeing them, the crowd was shocked. It's them. They're 3 of the first city's 13 prefects. It's the 11th, 12th, and 13th prefects. They're the judges for this championship. Rumor has it that there are 13 prefects in the first city, and each of them is a top-notch expert. Especially the ones at the front, they rarely show themselves. Rumor has it that the first 3 prefects are all sages. That's right. It's because of the 13 prefects that the first city's status in the White Tiger domain is so high that it's not any weaker than the Sky Emperor Palace. Otherwise, why would the first city dare to call itself the world's #1 city? Chu Kuangren activated his Eye of Revelation and glanced at the few prefects. The woman was the 11th prefect, and the 2 men were the 12th and 13th prefects. Their strengths were even stronger than ordinary honorable supremes. Chapter 282. Everyone, welcome to this year's hegemony competition. I'm sure everyone has read the rules of the championship. Now let me explain the rules again. For this championship, we will divide the participating orthodoxies into 4 groups: Alpha, Beta, Gamma, and Delta. Each group will consist of 6 orthodoxies, and the winner will be decided from these 4 groups. In the end, the champion will be decided from these 4 groups. The champion will receive all the prizes sponsored by the Sage Orthodoxies. Now, is there anything else that you don't understand? The 13th prefect said. How will the group members be distributed? One of the orthodoxies asked. That's simple. The groups will be distributed by drawing lots. With a wave of a prefect's hand, 24 pearls appeared. Now, please send 1 person from each orthodoxy to collect 1 pearl. Everyone then sent their people forward. Chu Kuangren then sent Nangong Huang to collect 1 pearl. When Nangong Huang retrieved the pearl, the word Delta suddenly appeared on it. Looks like we're in Group Delta. Then, the 13th prefect asked the orthodoxies who had obtained the same type of pearl to stand together. Chu Kuangren glanced at them and realized that they were also in Group Delta. They were the Thunder Falcon tribe, the Linghu clan, the Heaven Cord sect, the Taoist School of Dedication, and the 8-Wind Palace. In other words, the Black Heaven sect had to defeat these 5 sage orthodoxies to enter the semi-finals. Oh my, what luck. I can't believe there are 2 sects that have a grudge against us in one group. Murong Xian glanced in the direction of the Thunder Falcon tribe and the Linghu clan. They were also observing them with intense hostility. Now, everyone in Group Delta, please stay where you are. The other 3 groups shall return to the spectators' platform, the 13th prefect said. Chu Kuangren returned to the spectators' platform and looked at the arena. All he saw was a prefect taking out a giant golden bell and placing it on the ground. A mysterious Taoist rhyme swirled around the golden bell. Chu Kuangren took a glance at it and immediately knew that it was a rare sage weapon. This is the first segment of the championship, striking the golden bell. Now, all orthodoxies in Group Delta will send out 2 people to attack the golden bell. Once the bell rings, 1 point will be awarded, 2 points will be awarded, and so on. The 13th prefect said to the crowd. The hegemony competition was a competition of the points obtained in each segment. In the end, whoever had the most points would be the winner. Let me go first. A genius from one of the orthodoxies in Group A walked out. This person had a burly figure and an extremely overbearing Taoist rhyme circulated around his body. He raised his fist and punched the golden bell. Violent Taoist rhymes erupted, causing the golden bell to shake. There were a total of 4 chimes. 4 tolls, 4 points. This person is a heaven's pride from the Emperor Palace. His battle prowess is extremely strong, but his powerful attack only caused the bell to ring 4 times. This first segment doesn't look simple. The first stage continued. One by one, the people from the orthodoxies went up to strike the golden bell to gain points. Among them, the most outstanding prodigies could only make the golden bell ring 5 times. The weaker ones could only make it ring twice. Sect leader Chu, I'm sure it must be a shame that you can't participate. At that moment, the Linghu clan's clan leader came before Chu Kuangren and said with a smile. Chu Kuangren glanced at him. There's nothing to be regretful about. It's beneath me to compare myself to a bunch of juniors. But sect leader Chu can't participate. Do you think these people from the Black Heaven sect can make it to the end? I don't think they can even stand out in the group stage. The Linghu clan's clan leader laughed. Oh, can I take that to mean that the Linghu clan is looking down on the disciples of the Black Heaven sect? Chu Kuangren smiled and stared at the Linghu clan's clan leader. The corner of the Linghu clan's clan leader's mouth twitched. Sect leader Chu, you've misunderstood me. That's not what I meant. However, I believe that many people from the orthodoxies here are thinking the same thing. The Linghu clan's clan leader was right. The most feared person in the Black Heaven sect was Chu Kuangren. Disciples like Nangong Huang and Murong Xian were nothing to them. It would be difficult for these people to win the championship. Then let them open their eyes wide and take a good look at the glory of the Black Heaven sect. Chu Kuangren said. The Linghu clan's clan leader took a good look at him, wondering where his confidence came from. He glanced at Nangong Huang and the others. No matter how he looked at it, it was impossible for these people to win the championship. Then we shall wait and see, the Linghu clan's clan leader said. Soon the participants of the three groups were done with their tests. It was Group Delta's turn. The first to go up was the young emperor of the Linghu clan, Linghu Teng. He walked up to the golden bell and swung his long sword. Dong dong dong, 5 consecutive rings of the bell rang. This was already the best result so far. Linghu Ting smiled in satisfaction. He looked in the direction of the Black Heaven sect and smirked as if he was provoking them. Then the Linghu clan sent out another Sky Pride who scored 4 rings. Including Linghu Teng, they had a total of 9 points. Fallen thunder. A black thunderbolt suddenly shot out and fiercely smashed on the golden bell. The golden bell rang 6 times in total. Such a result had broken everyone's record. The audience could not help but gasp in surprise. It's the Thunder Falcon tribe's young emperor Lei Mingtian. Such power. Even an honorable might not be able to do that. As expected of Lei Mingtian. Even among the young emperors, not many can match him. He's too strong. The young emperor Lei Mingtian taunted the Black Heaven sect. Just like Linghu Teng, he had a grudge against Chu Kuangren. However, Chu Kuangren and the others dared not provoke him. However, they were not afraid of the others from the Black Heaven sect. These two are still asking for a beating. Chu Kuangren curled his lips. Lei Mingtian's strength is not to be underestimated. Even I might not be able to block such a powerful attack. Nangong Huang said. It's just a fight. This is only the first round, so many people are holding back. He used his full strength just to annoy the sect leader, Murong Xian said from the side. But since he's provoking us, we can't just ignore him. Nangong Huang smiled and walked to the front of the golden bell. Sword chi swirled around his blade. With a fierce slash, a violent sword chi gushed out and landed on the golden bell. Dong dong dong, a total of 6 rings. The crowd gasped. Lei Mingtian's eyes narrowed as a hint of fear appeared in his eyes. Nangong Huang has such strength? Not only him but the other Sky Prides were also surprised. He didn't have such strength back at the Sword Gauntlet. How did he improve so much in just over a year? Besides fear, Linghu Teng was also puzzled and confused. He felt like he was no longer a match for Nangong Huang. Nangong Huang kept his sword in his spiritual mound. Then he looked in the direction of the Linghu clan and the Thunder Falcon tribe and smirked. Not only does the Black Heaven sect have a sect leader, but I, Nangong Huang, also have a young emperor. Nangong Huang felt extremely comfortable when he heard that. All this while, Chu Kuangren had always been in the limelight. Now it was finally his turn to show off. It felt so good. Chapter 283. Nangong Huang was in the limelight. Murong Xian was eager to try too. It's my turn next. Just when he was about to strike the golden bell, Chu Kuangren stopped him. Stand down. Let Lil Bing strike the bell. What? Everyone looked at each other when they heard that. Lil Bing? Everyone looked at the petite maid behind Chu Kuangren and was shocked. They stared at Chu Kuangren with a, "Are you kidding me?" expression. Even Lil Bing was a little confused. Me? She looked at Chu Kuangren and pointed at herself. Yes, go ahead. Sect leader, isn't this a little too hasty? Lil Bing is only at the Paradise Realm. Won't we be making a fool out of ourselves if we let her go? Murong Xian said. Just let her go. Chu Kuangren smiled. Lil Bing hesitated for a while before she nodded and slowly walked towards the golden bell. Everyone's eyes were on her. It was her first time encountering such a situation, so she was a little nervous. She looked around before she came to the 3 prefects and said cautiously, "Greetings, Black Heaven Sect's Outer Sect disciple Lil Bing." Outer Sect disciple? Everyone apart from the Black Heaven Sect was dumbfounded when they heard that. They looked at Lil Bing in disbelief. After all, the great orthodoxies were not the elites of their orthodoxies. They were all Taoists. How could an Outer Sect disciple participate in the championship? It can't be. Even an Outer Sect disciple is here to join in the fun? Is there no one else in the Black Heaven sect other than Chu Kuangren? What the hell are they doing by sending an outer sect disciple to participate in the championship? Outer sect disciple? Can she even strike the golden bell? I don't think she can even make a sound. Is the Black Heaven sect taking this championship seriously? Everyone was not optimistic about Liu Bing. When the golden bell was struck previously, the weakest cultivator was at the Battle Monarch realm. How strong could an outer sect disciple be? Everyone treated this as a joke. Are you really an outer sect disciple? The 13th prefect looked at Liu Bing and asked with a frown. Yes. Liu Bing nodded. She was already an outer disciple when she was chosen to serve Chu Kuangren. Although she could have become a true disciple a long time ago with her strength, she had not been promoted for the past few years. From her point of view, becoming a true disciple or even a Taoist was not as good as staying by Chu Kuangren's side, even if she could only be a servant. Sect leader Chu, you'd better explain yourself. What do you mean by this? Are you treating this competition as a game? The 13th prefect looked at Chu Kuangren and asked in a deep voice. The first city had organized this genius's supremacy competition, and all the participants were renowned sky prides, Taoists and even young emperors. To the 13th prefect, Chu Kuangren sending an outer sect disciple into the arena was a form of disrespect to the first city. It was a form of provocation. What's wrong? The rules only state that sect leaders can't participate. Which rule says that outer sect disciples can't participate? Chu Kuangren raised an eyebrow and retorted. You. The 13th prefect was rendered speechless. He scoffed coldly and said to Liu Bing, you may begin then. I'd like to see what tricks an outer sect disciple like you can play. Liu Bing stood in front of the golden bell and took a deep breath. She slowly raised her hand. A mysterious golden rune appeared on her arm. Then the surrounding spiritual qi, like rivers flowing into the ocean, continuously gathered towards the golden rune on Liu Bing's arm. A golden sword shadow appeared out of thin air in front of Liu Bing, emitting a terrifying aura that was comparable to an honorable's. Everyone's expression changed when they saw that. Rune, it's the power of runes. No wonder Chu Kuangren sent her into the arena. So that's how it is. But judging from her aura, she's only comparable to an ordinary honorable. She can only unleash 3 chants at most. Something's not right. The sect leaders of the various great orthodoxies frowned. That was because they realized that the power of the rune in Liu Bing's hand was still increasing. The surrounding spiritual qi was like a tidal wave, turning into golden ripples that continuously surged into the rune. The golden sword shadow became more and more solid, and an incredibly sharp aura emanated from it. The entire arena was shrouded in that aura. Gradually, everyone felt their hearts palpitate as they looked at the delicate Liu Bing who was standing at the same spot and gulped. I think the power is still increasing. What kind of rune is that? Why is it so terrifying? Golden Mountain Breaker Sword. When the golden sword shadow's aura reached its peak and turned into a giant sword that was almost solid, Liu Bing let out a cry and the giant sword, which was wrapped in a majestic sword qi, shot out. Boom. The giant sword directly landed on the golden bell, and a horrifying sound erupted. Everyone could only see the golden bell being blasted away, and it kept ringing in midair. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. When the 12th bell rang, the golden bell fell from midair and smashed onto the ground. When the last bell rang, it set off billowing smoke and dust that engulfed half of the arena. 13 bell rings. Everyone could only feel their minds buzzing as they looked at Liu Bing, who was standing at the same spot in disbelief. Is she really an outer sect disciple? That attack is even more terrifying than an honorable supreme. I think it's at least as powerful as a boundary sage. Oh my god, is she really an outer sect disciple? Is the Black Heaven sect messing with us? The Thunder Falcon Tribe, Linghu Clan, Tempest Mountain, Sky Emperor Palace, Heaven Court Sect, and other Sage Orthodoxy sect leaders and Sky Prides were all staring at Liu Bing. They could not imagine that this little handmaiden, who seemed to have never seen much of the world, could actually burst out such a terrifying power. 13 bell rings meant 13 points. Adding that to Nangong Huang's original 6 points, that was a total of 19 points. What kind of concept was that? After all, the other orthodoxy's best result was only 11 points, whereas the Black Heaven sect was sitting on 19 points. They had left the other orthodoxies far behind in the first round. Sect leader, since when did Liu Bing become so terrifying? Nangong Huang gulped and said. Other than Chu Kuangren, no one else in the arena could withstand that attack. Lil Bing has a sage-grade rune on her. The only reason she has such power is because of that sage-grade rune. However, this technique takes a long time to charge up, so it's not as terrifying as you think. Chu Kuangren smiled. The Golden Mountain Breaker Sword was the strongest technique of the Golden Rune, but its weakness was that it took a long time to charge up. This was especially true for Lil Bing's current cultivation level. In a real battle, by the time she was ready, her enemies would be able to kill her several times over. Meanwhile, the Sky Prides and sect leaders of the other orthodoxies had also noticed this and secretly breathed a sigh of relief. If Lil Bing could use that technique as she pleased, it would be too disadvantageous for them. No wonder Chu Kuangren let her fight. Striking the golden bell isn't a real battle, and since it won't move, it's perfect for her to unleash the full potential of that technique. The sect leaders and Sky Prides of the orthodoxies thought to themselves. With that, the first round had ended. The Black Heaven sect had taken first place with an absolute advantage of 19 points. Chapter 284. Lil Bing had shocked everyone with a single sage-grade rune. When she returned, the group of Taoists quickly surrounded her and showered her with compliments, leaving Lil Bing at a loss. Lil Bing, you did well. Chu Kuangren smiled. Thank you for the compliment, master. I did what I should. You must have used up a lot of energy after using the Golden Mountain Shattering Sword. Go and rest for a while, Chu Kuangren said. All right. Next was the second segment of the group stage. Above the arena, a gigantic pagoda appeared out of thin air. Then an image appeared in front of everyone. In the image, there were many ferocious-looking beasts roaring, and the entire tower was filled with violent, ferocious qi. Chu Kuangren noticed that the beasts in the image varied in strength, and their bodies were formed from spiritual qi, similar to his sword qi clones. They were probably the product of some restrictive spell. This pagoda is called the Beast Summoner Pagoda. Inside the pagoda, there are 100 beasts formed by a spell that gathers spiritual energy. These beasts are divided into 4 levels, namely the Battle Monarch, Honorable, and Supreme Honorable. The orthodoxies in each group will pick 2 geniuses, and they will take turns to enter the beast summoning tower with the geniuses of the other orthodoxies. Defeating a Battle Monarch beast will earn you 1 point, an Honorable beast will earn you 2 points, an Honorable beast will earn you 4 points, and a Supreme Honorable beast will earn you 10 points. As for the order of entering the Beast Summoner Pagoda, it will be decided by drawing lots. Before entering, you can choose the number of beasts you wish to challenge. Each person can only enter the Beast Summoner Pagoda 3 times. The 13th prefect said. Then, the orthodoxies from Group A started first. The crowd watched as the Sky Prides from each orthodoxy entered the Beast Summoner Pagoda one after another to fight the beasts and earn points. This segment was terrifying. Among the 100 beasts, there were 60 Battle Monarchs, 35 Honorables, 4 Honorables, and 1 Supreme Honorable. Most of the Taoists from the Sage Orthodoxies were only at the Paradise Realm and Battle Monarch Realm. They might not even be able to defeat the lowest level beasts in the Beast Summoner Pagoda. Only the young emperors from the Sage Orthodoxies who had the combat strength of Honorables could achieve good results in the Beast Summoner Pagoda. Look, what a powerful force. F***ck me. That's the young emperor of the Overlord Sage tribe, Changtian, the most promising Sky Pride to become an emperor. He's so strong. The Venerable One can't even last one move against him. Cries of surprise suddenly rang out from the crowd. In the image of the beast summoning tower, there was an arrogant young man dressed in a green robe killing everything in his path. Every punch and every kick had the power to shake mountains and rivers. Purple energy surrounded his body, flowing with a terrifying and domineering Taoist rhyme. Once a battle monarch or even a venerable realm beast was hit by it, it would immediately turn into spirit chi and dissipate. Even a supreme being would not be able to withstand more than a few moves from him. This fellow's strength is terrifying. Nangong Huang said solemnly. This man is rumored to possess 3 primordial emperor's essences, the most promising one to become an emperor, the Overlord Sage tribe's genius, Chang Tian. I heard that this person also has the rare purple blood tyrant body of the Tyrant Body clan. This is the rumored Supreme Tao body. Murong Xian added on. Upon hearing that, Chu Kuangren's interest was piqued. He watched Chang Tian's battle with a strange expression on his face. That's it? That's it. This is the most promising Sky Pride to become an emperor? Forget it, I must be asking for too much. I should be more objective. This person's strength is one of the best among the younger generation, and he even has a supreme Tao body. Becoming a sage shouldn't be a problem for him. Chu Kuangren felt that he should not always use his own standards to measure others. After all, not everyone had cheats like him. Chang Tian's strength was indeed not bad. He was the fourth person to enter the beast summoning tower, and he chose to challenge 50 beasts. There were even 4 supreme beings and 1 supreme being level demonic beast among them, and he had actually taken care of all of them. His unparalleled strength amazed everyone at the scene. The Overlord Sage tribe's leader was even more delighted. Everyone at the scene looked at the murderous young Emperor Chang Tian, who walked out of the beast summoning tower with a fearsome look in their eyes. This person is definitely a formidable foe. His combat strength is not to be underestimated. When Chang Tian walked out of the beast summoning tower, his tiger-like gaze swept across the sky prides at the scene. All the sky prides who met his gaze could not help but be intimidated by his aura and subconsciously took 2 steps back. A gathering of sky prides? It's nothing much. Chang Tian sneered with an arrogant attitude. Then he looked at Chu Kuangren at the skybox with battle intent in his eyes. In this world, perhaps only you are worthy to be mentioned in the same breath as me. Chu Kuangren was stunned at that. He then turned to Lan Yu beside him and asked, "Was he talking to me just now?" "Master, I think so. Can't youngsters nowadays have some self-awareness? Do they really think they can be mentioned in the same breath as me just because they have some talent?" He shook his head as if he was lamenting the degeneration of the world. Chang Tian frowned at that and said coldly, "What? Do you think I'm not worthy to be mentioned in the same breath as you?" He took a step forward and an incredibly powerful aura erupted from his body. Surges of purple chi surrounded him and charged towards Chu Kuangren. At that moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of Chang Tian. "Stop. Don't be rude." It was the Overlord Sage tribe leader. Compared to Chang Tian, the Overlord Sage tribe leader was much calmer. Naturally, he knew that provoking Chu Kuangren would not do the Overlord Sage tribe any good. Seeing that the Overlord Sage tribe leader had arrived, Chang Tian had to give him some face. Hence he slowly retracted his aura. The Overlord Sage tribe leader smiled at Chu Kuangren. "Chang Tian is an arrogant person. If he has offended you, please forgive him," sect leader Chu. "Overlord Sage tribe leader, your tribe members are not very well mannered. If you don't know how to discipline them, I don't mind helping you. It's simple, just give them a beating in this situation." Chu Kuangren fiddled with his fingers and smiled. The Overlord Sage frowned at that. "I'll handle this myself. There's no need to trouble yourself," sect leader Chu. Although the Overlord Sage tribe leader was furious, he did not want to have any conflict with Chu Kuangren. Instead, it was Chang Tian who snorted coldly at that. "You think you're worthy enough to discipline me? We'll see who's the one who's going to fight then." "Oh no." The Overlord Sage tribe leader's expression changed drastically. As soon as Chang Tian finished speaking, a horrifying giant golden hand that exuded an incomparably majestic aura suddenly soared into the sky. Sage ruler technique, giant palm of exorcism. Brilliant heaven-shaking fist. The Overlord Sage tribe leader hurriedly activated his sage technique and unleashed a black fist. However, the fist could only shake the void but not the giant golden hand. Like a bubble, it was easily smashed into pieces. The impact from the shattered fist immediately sent the Overlord Sage tribe leader flying, leaving only Chang Tian on the spot. He could not move at all as he was shrouded by the majestic Buddhist will. He could only watch helplessly as the giant hand approached him. Boom. The purple palm chi that surrounded Chang Tian was like a puff of smoke in front of the giant golden hand, dispersing upon contact. Just like that, Chang Tian was caught in the palm of the giant golden hand. He was held in midair like a little chick. No matter how hard he struggled, it was futile. Chapter 285. D*eminent, D*eminent. How could this be? Chang Tian channeled his spiritual power to activate his purple-blooded overlord physique. It was a supreme Taoist physique with terrifying power. In the past, no matter who he encountered, he would always be able to suppress even an honorable supreme with this Taoist physique. However, his Taoist physique had failed today. No matter how much he channeled his purple-blooded overlord physique or channeled his spiritual power, he could not move the golden palm at all. "Not even your sage dares to speak to me like this, yet a mere young emperor like you dares to talk to me like this." Chu Kuangren said indifferently. "Chu Kuangren, let go of me." "Let go? Sure. Chu Kuangren casually waved his hand, and with a wave of his golden hand Chang Tian was tossed out like a pebble. Chang Tian's figure was sent flying like a cannonball, stirring up waves of air around him. He tried to channel his spiritual power to stabilize his body, but he realized that the force on his body was too terrifying. No matter what he did, he could not get rid of that force. Just as he was about to smash into the walls of the arena and be smashed into pieces, a gentle force suddenly formed an air cushion behind him and caught him firmly. "Brother Chu, don't you think you're a little too cruel?" A man's voice suddenly rang out from the void. "Yo, this voice sounds familiar." Chu Kuangren rubbed his chin and pondered for a while. Then, he suddenly realized something and said, "The person who severed his own arm in Frost Valley." "You?" That voice sounded a little angry, but before it could finish, Chu Kuangren raised his hand and unleashed a palm attack on the void. Boom! The wind and clouds surged in all directions, and the void was almost distorted. A black-robed middle-aged man appeared. This man exuded a sage Taoist rhyme, and his aura was incredibly powerful. However, this sage's expression was extremely ugly. This man was the Overlord Sage tribe's sage who was forced by Chu Kuangren to sever his own arm in Frost Valley, Grey Grill Sage. Grey Grill Sage stared at Chu Kuangren and said, "Chu Kuangren, don't you think you're being a little too overbearing by attacking without a word? You're talking to me in such a secretive manner. I should be the one asking you if you have any respect for me." Chu Kuangren said coldly. Hearing this, the Grey Grill Sage was speechless. He believed that if he dared to say no, Chu Kuangren would not let the matter rest so easily. Thinking back to the time when he was forced to cut off one of his arms in the clear Frost Valley, the arm that he had painstakingly reattached could not help but ache dully. "Chu Kuangren, this is the first city and the competition is still ongoing. How about we both take a step back and let this matter rest? What do you say?" The Grey Grill Sage had no choice but to give in to Chu Kuangren since his young emperor was being tortured and forced to show himself. However, the Grey Grill Sage still did not want to clash with Chu Kuangren, so he could only give in. "Fellow Taoist Chu, you still have to compete. Please stop." The 3 referees of the hegemony tournament also started to persuade him. "It's not that I'm unreasonable, but as the Black Heaven sect leader, I can't just ignore the fact that a junior has offended me, can I?" Chu Kuangren said slowly. Everyone looked at the sky. Everything started because he provoked Chu Kuangren. Now it was up to him to make Chu Kuangren stop. Chang Tian's expression kept changing, and he was so angry that his face twitched. Give in to Chu Kuangren and continue with the competition. A real man knows when to yield. Don't ruin the big picture just because of a moment of anger. The Grey Grill Sage's voice echoed in Chang Tian's ears. He took a deep breath and said, "Fellow Taoist Chu, what did you just call me?" Chu Kuangren said indifferently, "The word fellow Taoist is used to describe cultivators of the same level. Are you and I equal in status?" In the face of Chu Kuangren's aggressiveness, the Grey Grill Sage could only suppress his anger. "Sect Leader Chu, I apologize for offending you just now. Please forgive my recklessness, Sect Leader Chu. You put it nicely, but deep down you probably want to cut me into 1,000 pieces. But that's fine, you can only think about it in your heart." Chu Kuangren smiled and then ignored the Grey Grill Sage. Seeing that the matter was over, the crowd heaved a sigh of relief. If Chu Kuangren really wanted to cause trouble, unless all the sages behind the orthodoxies joined forces, who could stop him? "Alright, let the competition continue," the 13th prefect said. The crowd had yet to recover from the shock. The strength that Chu Kuangren had shown them was too terrifying. A casual move from him was enough to crush the strongest young emperor of the Overlord Sage tribe. Even the sages were forced to show themselves, yet they could not do anything to him. Who will be the leader of the Sky Prides? There's a Kuangren in the Black Heaven? I thought this comment was too exaggerated, but now it seems that it's not exaggerated at all. In fact, I can even say that this comment is too low. Young Emperor Chang Tian is the strongest young emperor, yet he couldn't even withstand a single move from Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren has completely surpassed the scope of a Sky Pride. He's a monster. This era is destined to belong to him. The audience was in a heated discussion. Even the battles between the Sky Prides were no longer interesting to watch. No matter how outstanding these Sky Prides were, compared to Chu Kuangren, all of them paled in comparison. Everyone stared at Chu Kuangren in awe. Lady Snowflake from the Heaven Cord sect, Jing Yin from the Sky Emperor Palace, and the other heavenly geniuses were even more impressed. This is what a true Sky Pride should be like. Chu Kuangren is truly a dragon among men. Sigh, I was a little angry when he rejected my invitation to play the Guqin with him the other day. It seems that I've overstepped my bounds. Sect Leader Chu, you're really impressive. But it's a shame that you can't participate in this championship. Otherwise, the Black Heaven sect would have been crowned the champion. The Overlord tribe leader snorted coldly. What he meant was that since Chu Kuangren did not participate in this championship, the rest of the Black Heaven sect was nothing to be afraid of. After that, he turned around and left without waiting for Chu Kuangren's reply. Nangong Huang, Murong Xian and the others frowned. We've been underestimated. Murong Xian rubbed his chin and said to Chu Kuangren, Sect Leader, let me go later. I can't wait any longer. Alright then. The Beast Summoner Tower needs 2 people. Besides Murong Xian, does anyone else want to go? Nangong Huang was just about to speak. I'll go. A cold voice was heard. Everyone looked at Lan Yu with a shocked expression. Chu Kuangren was surprised too. Lan Yu, you want to go? Yes. Lan Yu nodded. Alright, go ahead then. Chu Kuangren did not reject her. When the few sage orthodoxies from Group A had completed the Beast Summoner Tower segment, the Beast Summoner Tower flashed and another 100 beasts appeared. It was now the orthodoxies from Group B's turn. Soon, the members from Group A, B, and C had completed the Beast Summoner Tower segment. Among the 3 groups, the orthodoxies with the most points were the Overlord Sage Tribe, Tempest Mountain, and Sky Emperor Palace. Now may the people from Group D come up to draw their lots. Chapter 286. Sect Leader will head up first then. Murong Xian said. He and Lan Yu arrived at the arena together. As soon as they saw Lan Yu, everyone's eyes flashed with surprise. It's her, young Emperor Lan Yu. Chu Kuangren's follower, she's here. Wait, is she a Black Heaven sect disciple too? One of the Orthodoxy sect leaders questioned. Chu Kuangren glanced at him. Can't I? Do you need me to show you the Black Heaven sect's disciple roster? That won't be necessary. That Orthodoxy sect leader said awkwardly. Lan Yu had always been by Chu Kuangren's side and had never joined any forces, so it was not wrong to say that she was a Black Heaven sect disciple. Lan Yu, why do you want to fight all of a sudden? Murong Xian asked curiously. Lan Yu had always been by Chu Kuangren's side and had never initiated a fight. Murong Xian had only seen her fight a few times in the past few years in Black Heaven sect. To be honest, Chang Tian's words made me uncomfortable. Lan Yu looked in the direction of the Overlord Sage Tribe. A cold glint flashed across her eyes. What right does Chang Tian have to be mentioned in the same breath as Master? How dare he provoke Master? Is it because he killed more beasts in the Beast Summoner Tower than the others? I want to let him know that I can defeat him without Master's help. Besides, if Black Heaven sect wins first place, I'm sure Master as the sect leader will be happy. Murong Xian came to a realization. To put it bluntly, it was all for the sect leader. When the two arrived at the arena, the 5 sage orthodoxies, 8 Wind Palace, Thunder Falcon Tribe, Linghu Clan, Heaven Cord Sect, and Taoist School of Dedication, had also sent their representatives. Everyone began to draw lots from a box. After you've drawn your lots, take turns to enter the Beast Summoner Tower according to the number in your hand. Remember, if you can't hold on any longer, crush the number in your hand. Otherwise, the beasts will not stop attacking unless you kill all the beasts, the 13th prefect said. Everyone looked at the bead in their hand. Besides the number in it, there was also a faint Taoist rhyme. It was a transportation mechanism designed to protect the Sky Prides. Once the Sky Prides could no longer hold on in the Beast Summoner Tower, they could crush the bead and be transported out. Lan Yu, I'm number 6. What's your number? I am number 1, Lan Yu said calmly as she held the bead. Murong Xian was a little surprised. Then you're in luck. If you're in number 1, you'll be the first to enter. At this time, there will be plenty of Battle King level beasts. With your strength, you'll be able to kill a few more and earn more points. There were 100 beasts in the Beast Summoning Tower, and they were divided into 4 categories: Battle Monarch, Honorable, Honorable, and Supreme Honorable. Generally speaking, even a young emperor would have a hard time dealing with an Honorable Supreme or even an Honorable Supreme. Therefore, the prodigies who participated in this round mainly targeted the Battle Monarch or Venerable level demonic beasts. The later they went in, the more Battle Kings and Venerable demonic beasts would be killed, and they would have to face even more powerful demonic beasts. You're right. I think this round is all about luck, Lan Yu said calmly as he looked at the Beast Summoning Tower. Upon hearing her words, the 13th prefect replied indifferently, Rather than relying on luck, the most important thing in this segment is to act according to one's capabilities. Hunt the most demon beasts according to one's abilities. No, I think this round is all about luck. Lan Yu walked to the front of the beast summoning tower and looked at the towering tower before her. She said indifferently, "These 100 beasts are all mine." As soon as he said this, everyone present gasped in shock. What? Did they hear wrongly? Lan Yu wanted to challenge 100 beasts. Among the first 3 groups, the strongest and most arrogant overlord sage tribe, Changtian, had only challenged 50 beasts. That was already enough to shock countless people. Now Lan Yu wanted to challenge 100 beasts in front of them. In other words, all the beasts in the beast summoning tower. Crazy. The only thought in everyone's mind was that young Emperor Lan Yu had gone crazy. All the demonic beasts, including 4 supreme martial artists and 1 supreme martial artist, how could she dare to do that? She must be crazy. Are all the people around Chu Kuangren crazy? The audience erupted into a flurry of discussion. Meanwhile, in the skybox, Chu Kuangren was stunned when he heard that Lan Yu wanted to challenge 100 beasts. Then he laughed out loud. This B***** has been with me for a long time. Her style of doing things is becoming more and more like mine. Chu Kuangren laughed. Beside him, Nangong Huang and the others smiled bitterly. Sect leader, aren't you worried at all? That's 100 beasts we're talking about. Can Lan Yu really handle it? Yeah, there's even an honorable supreme among them. Compared to Nangong Huang and the others who were worried, Chu Kuangren was much calmer. He said, "Don't worry. I know Lan Yu better than any of you. Since she's doing it, it means she's confident. Watch carefully. She's going to shine today." In the direction of the Overlord Sage tribe, Chang Tian's face darkened when he heard that Lan Yu wanted to challenge 100 beasts. That number was twice his. This B**** is really bold. I'd like to see how she'll handle 100 beasts. He did not believe it. 100 beasts would be extremely taxing even for him. He did not believe that Lan Yu could defeat all the beasts. 100 beasts? Are you out of your mind? Ling Hu Ting frowned and looked at Lan Yu. Beside him, Lei Mingtian sneered. This pretty girl must have gone crazy after being with Chu Kuangren for so long. The 13th prefect looked at Lan Yu and said sternly, "Are you sure you want to challenge 100 beasts? It's not too late to back out now. There's no need for that. It's just 100 beasts. No one's going to collect your corpse if you die." The 13th prefect snorted. He was starting to think that the Black Heaven sect was here to cause trouble. In the previous round, the Black Heaven sect sent an outer sect disciple to participate, and now Lan Yu wanted to challenge 100 beasts. What was wrong with the disciples of this sect? A crooked stick will have a crooked shadow. The 13th prefect snorted in his heart. A sect leader would have the same kind of disciple. To him, these people must have learned from Chu Kuangren. Lan Yu did not know what the 13th prefect was thinking. She came to the beast summoner tower and casually threw the bead on the ground. This scene made everyone suck in a breath of cold air. That bead was a life-saving mechanism. She threw it away just like that. Is she really confident that she can defeat all the beasts, or is she just going to stake it all on this? F***ck me, it's just a competition. She doesn't have to put her life on the line. Isn't this a little too crazy? Lan Yu, who is this B****? Don't you know? She's the sky pride that the divine predictor said is comparable to the emperors of old. If she's that powerful, why haven't I heard of her in the past few years? She's very low-key and rarely fights, so her reputation is far below the other young emperors. If it weren't for the divine predictor's comment, I don't think anyone would know about her. Chapter 287. In the Beast Summoning Tower. As soon as Lan Yu walked in, she was greeted by more than 10 wolf-like beasts, each of them emitting a powerful aura. These were all battle monarch-level beings. Roar roar. The wolf-like beasts roared, sending out sound waves that felt like they were real. Lan Yu had changed into a set of silver-white armor and held a glowing scepter in her hand. Her body was shrouded in an endless divine glow, making her look like a valkyrie. As soon as the scepter landed, an extremely dense light-based Taoist rhyme spread out. One by one, the battle monarch wolf-like beasts were crushed by the terrifying light-based Taoist rhyme, turning into spiritual qi and dissipating. At that moment, more than 10 flying beasts flew out from above Lan Yu's head at an extremely fast speed. Their claws glowed with a metallic luster, and once caught, even an honorable would be severely injured. Holy protection. Lan Yu's scepter landed, and a white barrier enveloped her. The flying beast's claws landed on the barrier, but were unable to damage it at all. They were all sent flying away, circling above Lan Yu's head. The space within the tower was extremely large. From the outside it looked to be only about 300 meters wide, but the space within was extremely vast. At least, the flying beasts were already thousands of meters above Lan Yu's head. Humph! Lan Yu scoffed, and a pair of pure white wings spread out from her shoulder blades. With a flap of her wings, she flew towards the flying beasts. She swung the scepter in her hand like a club, and every strike contained a majestic amount of spiritual energy and Taoist rhyme that could split mountains. Once the flying beasts were hit, they would be easily crushed. On top of that, Lan Yu was extremely fast, much faster than the flying beast. In no time at all, she had taken care of all the beasts in the sky. On the ground, the strange-looking beasts roared at Lan Yu, and a series of energy attacks were fired at her. There were wind blades, fireballs, and even frost. Lan Yu blocked all the attacks with her white barrier, then aimed her scepter at the beasts on the ground. Divine Rain of Light. Lan Yu said calmly. A majestic light-based Taoist rhyme and spiritual energy gathered at the tip of the scepter, forming a huge white ball of light. Countless white light beams shot out like raindrops, sweeping all the demonic beasts in the tower from all directions. One by one, the demonic beasts turned into specks of light and disappeared. In just a short while, there were only a few battle monarch demonic beasts left. Outside the Yao summoning tower, countless spectators stared at Lan Yu, who was clad in armor and wielding a scepter on the screen. Their faces were filled with disbelief and shock. So powerful. This young Emperor Lan Yu is so strong. Some of the Taoists from the sage orthodoxies also had serious expressions on their faces. The Combat King Realm demonic beasts are more or less settled, but the Honorable Realm, and even Supreme Honorable Realm demonic beasts are the most difficult ones to deal with. It's still too difficult to defeat 100 demonic beasts. That's right. A Battle King and a Venerable are two different concepts, and they are even more different from a Supreme and a Supreme. Apart from being difficult to deal with, the amount of spiritual power she has to consume to deal with so many demonic beasts is also inestimable. No matter how pessimistic the spectators were about Lan Yu did not stop attacking inside the beast summoning tower. She flapped her wings and waved her scepter. Rays of Taoist rhymes exploded from her body as she unleashed all sorts of techniques. The monstrous beasts were killed one after another. The terrifying strength of the monstrous beast shocked everyone watching the battle from the outside. At that moment, a scorching fireball exploded from not too far away towards Lan Yu. It shattered the light barrier and sent her flying. It's an honorable realm demonic beast has made its move. The crowd looked over. On the screen, there was a demonic beast that looked like a tiger spitting out scorching flames and exuding a murderous aura. Other than this ferocious tiger, there was also a giant black ape, a giant python, and an 8-armed spider. These four were the 4 honorable realm demonic beasts of the beast summoning tower. Lan Yu suffered a blow from the honorable realm demonic beast, causing blood to trickle down the corner of her mouth. She stood up and killed the last honorable realm demonic beast. There were only 5 demonic beasts left in the beast summoning tower, and these 5 demonic beasts were the most terrifying existences in the entire tower. The black ape was the first to reach Lan Yu. It clasped its hands together and slammed them down on Lan Yu like a heavy hammer. Lan Yu did not dodge. Instead, she raised her left hand and Taoist rhymes gathered in front of her, turning into a white shield with mysterious runes carved on it. This shield's defense was much stronger than the light barrier from before. When the giant ape's attack landed on the shield, not only did it not hurt Lan Yu, it even screamed in pain. White flames burst out of the shield and engulfed the giant ape in the blink of an eye, burning it into a cloud of spiritual energy. Burning light. Lan Yu's eyes turned cold as the shield in her hand dissipated. A large amount of white flames gathered in front of her and turned into 3 dazzling white fireballs that shot towards the remaining 3 honorable realm demonic beasts. The 3 white demonic beasts did not back down and attacked. However, they were still weaker and were burned to ashes by the white flames. The crowd in the beast summoning tower was shocked. What a terrifying technique to be able to instantly kill 3 honorable realm demonic beasts. This Lan Yu is too powerful. Yeah, even the young Emperor Chang Tian is only SOSO. In the skybox, Chu Kuangren's eyes were filled with admiration. The sage ruler of light's inheritance is indeed suitable for Lan Yu. With the help of the sacred radiant physique, These techniques will be even more terrifying than the sage ruler of light in the future. Whether it was the holy protection, shield of light, or burning light, these were all sage techniques that Lan Yu had obtained from the scepter of light that belonged to the sage ruler of light. As Lan Yu's strength improved over the years, she could now use these techniques with ease. She rarely fought, so not many people had seen her in action. Now that she had shown in the beast summoning tower, her techniques had amazed the world. There's only one left, Nangong Huang said solemnly. The last one was the strongest honorable supreme in the beast summoning tower. Everyone watched with rapt attention. Inside the beast summoning tower, Lan Yu, who had used her sage techniques consecutively, was exhausted. She half knelt on the ground, her face pale and cold sweat dripping from her forehead. At that moment, a huge blood-red eye suddenly opened at the top of the beast summoning tower. Its pitch-black pupils gurgled, revealing a sinister and evil intent. You're the last demonic beast, right? Lan Yu slowly stood up and looked up at the blood-red eye at the top. Her body emitted a dazzling white light. I've saved this technique just for you. Lan Yu rose into the air and spread her wings. The armor on her body emitted an endless white light, and her silver-white hair danced in the wind. She exuded an inviolable holy aura. Countless people who witnessed this scene would never forget it for the rest of their lives. Judgment of light. A white spear formed in Lan Yu's hand and she threw it at the blood-red eye. The blood-red eye seemed to sense a threat. Red light gathered in its eyes, and a red beam of light shot out. This beam of light was extremely terrifying. Even an honorable supreme would be killed by it. The white spear and the red beam of light collided. Red and white energy spread out like lightning. The entire beast summoning tower shook. In the end, the white spear shattered the beam of light and pierced the blood-red eye. The last demonic beast was killed. Lan Yu had won a complete victory against 100 beasts. Chapter 288. 1 against 100, a resounding victory. The strength displayed by Lan Yu amazed every spectator. All the sky prides were dumbfounded. The moment Lan Yu walked out of the beast summoner tower, the crowd cheered. That's amazing. That's amazing. Who is she? I recognize her. She's the young Emperor Lan Yu. She was once praised by the divine predictor as a peerless beauty who could rival the emperors of old. This strength is really terrifying. My God, she's so strong. Everyone looked at the silhouette in the gorgeous silver armor, their eyes filled with amazement, infatuation, excitement, worship, and other emotions. At that moment, Lan Yu was the center of attention. Lan Yu walked out of the beast summoning tower and walked to the Overlord Sage tribe's camp under the dumbfounded gaze of the crowd of sky prides. She lifted her head to look at the Overlord Sage tribe's patriarch, Chang Tian, and the others who wore a gloomy expression on their faces. The Black Heaven sect will win. She did not say much, but her conviction was unwavering. Upon hearing Lan Yu's words, Chang Tian could not help but say, "We don't know who will win yet. Don't jump to conclusions too early. Then let's wait and see." Lan Yu turned around and walked back to the Black Heaven sect. Murong Xian, who was behind her, wanted to cry but had no tears. Why didn't I get a chance to fight again? He wanted to fight in the first round, but Lil Bing beat him to it. In this round he finally had the chance to fight, but before he could show off his skills, Lan Yu had single-handedly finished the battle. However, compared to him, the people from the other orthodoxies were even more dumbfounded. They did not know what to say. They felt like they were only there to be a backdrop. Lan Yu had single-handedly finished off all the beasts before they even fought. What was the point of continuing? They might as well just raise the white flag and surrender. What the hell is this? She killed all the beasts. How are we supposed to fight then? The people from the other orthodoxies looked at the judges. The three prefects were also caught off guard by this situation. They looked at each other and began to discuss. After a while, the 11th prefect announced, "The second round has ended. The Black Heaven sect has obtained 156 points. The other orthodoxies have 0 points. All the other orthodoxies were dissatisfied. What? We haven't even entered the Beast Summoner Tower. Yeah, why did you get 0 points? The 11th prefect continued, there will be a total of 100 demon beasts for everyone to challenge in the second round. Once the 100 demon beasts are exhausted, or everyone has used up the number of times they can enter the Beast Summoning Tower, this round will be considered over. Now the Black Heaven sect has eliminated all the beasts. According to the rules, this round has come to an end. Please go back and prepare for the next round. The 11th prefect felt rather helpless as he said this. When they were designing this segment, they had never imagined that someone would be able to fight 1 against 100. This was simply too crazy. The people from the other orthodoxies were still dissatisfied, but they had nothing to say. What could they say? Was it because Lan Yu was too strong and didn't give them any chances? It really is as she said. This is a segment that tests one's luck, Heaven Court Sex Lady Snowdrift said as she looked at Lan Yu's back. It was precisely because Lan Yu had drawn first place that she was able to achieve such a frightening result. If she had drawn someone slightly lower in the order, the other orthodoxies would not have had to suffer so much. He's in the lead with 19 points in the first round. He has 156 points in the second round. Hey, are you kidding me? This Black Heaven sect is too domineering. Even if the other members of Group Delta add up their points, they still can't match up to the Black Heaven sect. All hail the Black Heaven sect. Some people could not help but be shocked when they noticed the huge difference in points. The entire audience cheered for the Black Heaven sect's strength. The other orthodoxies, on the other hand, did not look too good. The Black Heaven sect's performance was too domineering. They had accumulated such a terrifying number of points in just 2 rounds. With an absolute advantage, they were far ahead of all the orthodoxies present. I thought that without Chu Kuangren, the rest of the Black Heaven sect would not be a threat. But it seems like we've been too careless. Just Lan Yu alone is enough for us to handle. We must give it our all in the next round. By the time the first 2 rounds ended, the sky was already dark. Hence, the 3rd round was scheduled for the next day. Since the 3rd round was a challenge tournament, most of the Sky Prides from the various orthodoxies were studying their opponents that night. Among them, most Sky Prides were studying Lan Yu. The strength that she had displayed in the Beast Summoner Tower was too terrifying. If they did not have a plan to deal with that kind of combat strength, none of the Sky Prides in this championship had the confidence to defeat her. However, no matter how much they studied her, the strength that Lan Yu had displayed still made most of the Sky Prides feel a deep sense of helplessness. The Holy Radiant Physique is a supreme Taoist physique. Coupled with those sage techniques that are extremely compatible with her, she's practically invincible. It's too difficult to defeat her. I can only hope that I don't encounter her tomorrow. Inside the Black Heaven sect's residence, Chu Kuangren had summoned Nangong Huang, Murong Xian, and the others. Sect leader, is there anything I can help you with? Nangong Huang asked without beating around the bush. The challenge tournament is tomorrow. I have some information about the Sky Prides in Group 4. Take a look. He took out a jade scroll and handed it over. Nangong Huang took it curiously and read through it. Information about the Sky Prides flooded into his mind, including their cultivation level, cultivation techniques, strengths and weaknesses, weapons, and so on. It was very detailed. Sect leader, where did you get this from? Even the orthodoxies of these Sky Prides might not have such detailed information. After all, which Sky Prides did not have a trump card up their sleeves? They had never revealed this trump card even to their closest friends. However, it was all within Chu Kuangren's grasp now. Don't worry about where I got it from. With this information, it'll be easier for you guys to deal with tomorrow. Take your time to study it. Chu Kuangren said. Where did this information come from? Of course he was the one who saw it. With his eye of revelation activated, there was no way that these Sky Prides' information could hide from him. With this information in hand, Nangong Huang and the others had a clear understanding of their opponents. Their chances of winning had greatly increased. Congratulations, host. You've drawn the Starlight Grade Technique 9 Deaths Blazing Blood Art. When he woke up in the morning, he happily drew a prize. Chu Kuangren had drawn a Starlight Grade Cultivation Technique. 9 Deaths Blazing Blood Art? Why does this sound so familiar? Chu Kuangren murmured. Then, he suddenly remembered that he had read about this kind of cultivation method in the ancient books. Rumor had it that this technique was created by a sage more than 10,000 years ago. It could burn one's blood primordial to increase one's combat strength. It was said that the sage's wife was killed by a great sage. In order to take revenge, he did not hesitate to create this technique. Later on, he used this technique and successfully killed a great sage with the strength of an ordinary sage. That was how terrifying this technique was. However, this technique used one's own blood primordial as the price. Hence, once it was used up, one's lifespan would be greatly reduced. In the worst-case scenario, one's blood primordial would be depleted and one would die on the spot. Chapter 289. The 9 Deaths Blazing Blood art is a great technique. Chu Kuangren's eyes lit up as he recalled the records of the 9 Deaths Blazing Blood art. The 9 Deaths Blazing Blood art was a taboo technique for ordinary cultivators, but it was a great help to him. Burning one's life force? The other cultivators' expressions changed at the mention of it, but to Chu Kuangren, who had the immortal body, it was a piece of cake. He could burn it however he wanted. If he could burn it to death, he would lose. Without another word, Chu Kuangren immediately extracted the technique and absorbed a large amount of the profound knowledge related to this technique in an instant. I'll give it a try next time. Chu Kuangren smirked. He was not in a hurry to use it. It was the second day of the championship. The third segment had begun. Early in the morning, the auditorium was already filled to the brim. There were also many cultivators flying in the sky. It was a sea of people. The third segment is about to begin. I wonder what's going to happen this time. I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, what happened yesterday was just too shocking. Especially young Emperor Lan Yu's performance, it was just too amazing. The third segment is the arena battle. It'll be a real competition between the Sky Prides. It'll be more exciting. As the crowd waited expectantly, the Sky Prides from each orthodoxy entered the arena one by one. The Black Heaven sect was one of them. As soon as they entered the arena, many people started chanting Lan Yu's name. It was obvious that Lan Yu had gained a large number of fans the day before after defeating 100 people on her own. Lan Yu, you're famous now. Chu Kuangren teased. Lan Yu remained calm. She did not care. She would become famous sooner or later as long as she stayed by Chu Kuangren's side. The 3 prefects appeared in the arena. Today is the third segment of the championship. Each group will send out 2 Sky Prides. Each group has 6 orthodoxies, which means 12 Sky Prides will compete. 10 points will be awarded for every win until the final winner is decided. We'll start with Group A now. The 13th prefect said. Soon the third segment began. Chu Kuangren and the others went to the observation platform to watch the battles. While they were watching, Nangong Huang and the others compared the information Chu Kuangren gave them yesterday with the Sky Prides who were competing. To their surprise, they realized that the information that Chu Kuangren had given them was shockingly similar to the techniques that these Sky Prides had displayed. TSK, where did the sect leader get this information from? It's too accurate. Nangong Huang exclaimed. There's nothing to be alarmed about. Sect leader always has some mystical abilities that we don't know about, Murong Xian said as if he was used to it. That's true. They were even more confident about this competition. The geniuses of the other orthodoxies only knew a little about them, but they knew everything about their opponents. This was too great of an advantage. Defeat. A furious roar resounded in the arena. Chang Tian threw a punch and a violent purple force immediately poured out. The huge force sent his opponent flying on the spot. He defeated his opponent effortlessly. After everything was done, Chang Tian looked in the direction of the Black Heaven sect. His gaze landed on Lan Yu as if he was provoking her. This fellow really doesn't learn his lesson. Chu Kuangren shook his head and said, He's provoking me. There's no need to trouble young master. If we meet in the tournament, I'll deal with him myself. Lan Yu said calmly. All right, I believe you. Chu Kuangren nodded. Besides Chang Tian from the Overlord Sage tribe, there were also Sky Prides from other Sage orthodoxies who performed well. For example, Tempest Mountain's Ling Feng, Sky Emperor Palace's Jing Yan, a young man named Chang Ao, and the 9 Fortune Pavilion's young emperor. These people could be strong opponents for Nangong Huang and the others. It was already the next day when the matches for Group A, Group B and Group C ended. It was finally Group D's turn for the Black Heaven sect. The Linghu clan, Thunder Falcon tribe, and a few other orthodoxies sent out their respective Sky Prides. Chu Kuangren also sent Murong Xian and Nangong Huang to fight. The crowd was surprised to see those two. They thought Chu Kuangren would send out Lan Yu again. After all, his opponent's strength was undeniable. As long as Lan Yu fought, victory was almost guaranteed. However, Chu Kuangren did not do anything. This is good too. It gives us a chance. Besides Chu Kuangren and Lan Yu, the others can't be that strong. With our strength we might not lose. That's right, the crowd of Sky Prides breathed a sigh of relief. Both Murong Xian and Nangong Huang frowned. It seems like we've been underestimated. Indeed. Murong Xian and Nangong Huang looked at each other. They were eager to find someone to test out the results of these days of training. Now please draw your lots. The 13th prefect said. The crowd began to draw lots to choose their opponents. To prevent themselves from drawing their own orthodoxies, they would always choose someone from another orthodoxy before drawing lots. Soon, their opponents and the number of matches were determined. Group D's first match was between Murong Xian and Linghu Teng. In the arena, Murong Xian stood with his sword in hand, looking energetic. Opposite him, Linghu Teng glanced at Murong Xian and curled his lips. Phew! What a disappointment. Murong Xian said, "Are you looking down on me? You're not even a young emperor. What right do you have for me to look up to you?" Linghu Teng sneered. After all, he was a young emperor, one of the most outstanding young men in the world. Although Murong Xian was a Taoist of the Black Heaven sect, everyone knew that a Taoist was much weaker than a young emperor of the other orthodoxies. "Do you know? I've been waiting for this match for a long time." Murong Xian smiled. He had been wanting to fight in the previous 2 rounds but had never succeeded. He had been holding back until now. Now he finally had the chance to fight. "Oh, is that so? Then I'll let you." Whoosh! Before Linghu Teng could finish his sentence, Murong Xian, who was right in front of him, had already disappeared. When Murong Xian reappeared, he was already in front of Linghu Teng. His speed was so fast that Linghu Teng could not help but narrow his eyes. So fast. Linghu Teng channeled the spiritual energy in his body into the long sword in his hand. A mysterious Taoist rhyme filled the air as he swung his sword. A violent sword chi poured out like a tornado. Murong Xian seemed to have seen through his movements. Before he swung his sword, he had already leaped into the air, dodged the attack and appeared behind him. "Oh no!" Linghu Teng's expression changed. The power of his sword was very strong. However, every time he used it, his body would freeze for a moment due to the impact of the spiritual energy in his body. Compared to the power of his sword technique, this momentary paralysis was something that not many people would notice in a battle. However, it was as if Murong Xian had been waiting for him to make his move. After dodging the attack, he appeared behind Linghu Teng and took advantage of the momentary paralysis to quickly attack. Scorching and explosive sword chi instantly erupted. Boom, boom, boom. The majestic sword chi continuously attacked Linghu Teng's body. In an instant he was sent flying and crashed into a wall far away. "I'm going to kill you," Linghu Teng roared in anger. When his body recovered from the paralysis, he was about to counterattack. However, he saw 6 huge fireballs above Murong Xian's head, looking extremely imposing. Divine 9 Suns Technique 6 Suns Slash. 6 huge fireballs wrapped in sword chi shot out, smashing into Linghu Teng's body one after another. When everything had dissipated, Linghu Teng's entire body was charred black as he lay on the ground. His eyes had rolled back and he had fainted. Chapter 290. Young Emperor, that's it? Murong Xian was shocked to see Linghu Teng lying on the ground. He thought it would be a tough battle, but he did not expect the young emperor to be defeated so easily. That's it? He thought about it and came to a realization. It was not that Linghu Teng was weak. There was a reason why Linghu Teng lost so quickly. Firstly, Linghu Teng underestimated him. Secondly, with Chu Kuangren's help, Murong Xian knew Linghu Teng's strength like the back of his hand. Thirdly, Murong Xian had improved so much in the past few days that his strength was almost on par with Linghu Teng's. When 2 people had similar strength, one underestimated his opponent while the other attacked with full force. One knew nothing about his opponent while the other knew everything about him. It made sense for Linghu Teng to lose so quickly. Murong Xian could understand it, and some of the sect leaders and sky prides could too. However, most of the audience did not. All they saw was Murong Xian's powerful attack and defeat the young Emperor Linghu Teng in the blink of an eye. This kind of terrifying and peerless combat strength caused everyone to exclaim in admiration. "Oh my God, who is this person? He defeated Linghu Teng in just a few moves. How did the Black Heaven sect have such a powerful sky pride? That's too scary." Murong Xian. "I know him. I heard that Chu Kuangren killed 2 sages in the Murong clan a year ago because of him. Oh my God, the Black Heaven sect was way ahead with 19 points in the first round. In the second round, Lan Yu fought 100 people alone and took all the points. Now Murong Xian defeated the young emperor in just 2 to 3 moves. Is the Black Heaven sect on drugs? This is too crazy." Murong Xian enjoyed the cheers and praises from the crowd. He opened his arms and said, "The Black Heaven sect is the strongest. No one can stop us. We will definitely win this hegemony tournament." His declaration of victory pushed the atmosphere to its peak. Black Heaven sect. Black Heaven sect. Black Heaven sect. Everyone was shouting the Black Heaven sect's name. No one thought that Murong Xian was bragging because the strength that the Black Heaven sect had displayed had convinced everyone. The Black Heaven sect was unstoppable. Is everyone from the Black Heaven sect so arrogant? However, compared to the excitement of the audience, the sky prides of the opposing orthodoxies had ugly expressions on their faces. If the Black Heaven sect took all the limelight, then what was the point of their existence? Was he trying to show off the strength of the Black Heaven sect? In the skybox, Chu Kuangren laughed out loud. I didn't realize that Murong Xian was actually this flirtatious. He did not object to this. Murong Xian and the others who had been trained, tortured, by him for more than 2 months, were qualified to enjoy such cheers. They had the strength to be so arrogant. Group D second match. It was Lady Snowdrift from the Heaven Cord sect against a genius from the Eight-Wind Palace. Fairy Snowdrift held a guqin in her hands, and the sound of the guqin could disturb one's mind. There were also guqin waves that spread with spiritual power, attacking the prodigy from afar. Compared to Murong Xian's quick battle, this one lasted for less than an hour. In the end, Lady Snowflake emerged victorious. The third, fourth, and fifth matches lasted for 4 hours. The sixth match. Nangong Huang walked into the arena. It's finally my turn. The corner of his lips curled up slightly as he looked at his opponent. His opponent was a sky pride from the Thunder Falcon tribe. Although he was not as strong as the young Emperor Lei Mingtian, he was still quite strong. Unfortunately, his opponent was Nangong Huang. Thunder Falcon tribe, I remember you had 2 young emperors in the past, right? One of them was the young Emperor Lei Ao from the old era, but he was killed by my sect leader. The current young Emperor Lei Mingtian was also defeated by my sect leader. Speaking of which, there's quite a bit of history between you and the Black Heaven sect. Nangong Huang smiled faintly. Cut the crap. Bring it on. The Sky Pride from the Thunder Falcon tribe stared at Nangong Huang with a solemn expression. Silver-white lightning gathered around his body, and with a stomp on the ground, his entire body shot out like a cannonball. Nangong Huang swung the deep abyss rainbow in his hand towards the void, and a surge of sword chi exploded like a tsunami. The area of attack covered half of the arena, and the Sky Pride from the Thunder Falcon tribe was sent flying. With just one slash, the Sky Pride from the Thunder Falcon tribe was sent flying. His body was cut by the sword chi and he could no longer fight. Sage Technique, Tidal Sword Technique. Nangong Huang sheathed his long sword and smiled faintly. He ignored the Thunder Falcon tribe Sky Pride, sheathed his sword and turned around to leave. All that was left was the cheering audience. The Black Heaven sect won again. One slash, just one slash. That's amazing. No one can stop the Black Heaven sect now. Sage Technique? A sage technique that's never been seen before. Which sage from the Black Heaven sect created this new technique? Some of the Orthodoxy sect leaders who knew about the Black Heaven sect were puzzled. Every Orthodoxy only had a few sage techniques. It was the same for the Black Heaven sect. However, they had never seen the sage technique that Nangong Huang used before. There were 2 possibilities. It was either Nangong Huang's own opportunity, or the Black Heaven sect had gained another sage technique. If it was the latter, it meant that Nangong Huang was not the only one who knew this sage technique. The other disciples of the Black Heaven sect might also know this sage technique. At that thought, the sect leaders of several orthodoxies narrowed their eyes. Had the Black Heaven sect grown so powerful without them realizing it? 6 orthodoxies, 12 sky prides, and 6 of them had already won. The 6 of them were Nangong Huang and Murong Xian from the Black Heaven sect, Lei Mingtian from the Thunder Falcon tribe, Lady Snowflake and Xiao Tianai from the Heaven Cord sect, and Li Yin from the Supremacy Dao Palace. As for the Linghu clan and Eight-Wind Palace, none of them advanced to the next round. Especially the Linghu clan, their young emperor had been knocked unconscious by Murong Xian in just a few moves. They had lost all face. The 6 of them drew lots again for a new round of matches. Lei Mingtian? Nangong Huang looked at the opponent he drew and could not help but look surprised. Looks like the Black Heaven sect and the Thunder Falcon tribe are fated to meet each other again. My opponent is Lady Snowflake from the Heaven Cord sect. Tisk, it's quite embarrassing to hit a woman. Murong Xian laughed. Then I hope Brother Murong will go easy on me. Lady Snowflake walked towards Murong Xian and smiled faintly. Not a problem. We're in the first round and it's about to start, Murong Xian said as he noticed the number of matches. Soon the remaining Sky Prides left the arena. Murong Xian and Lady Snowflake stood about 10 feet apart from each other. Begin. The judge gave the order. Lady Snowflake immediately took out her guqin and plucked the strings with all 10 fingers. Guqin notes turned into sharp blades that sliced through the air. Heavenly Radiant Sword Technique. Murong Xian growled as his Crimson Sun Taoist physique was activated to its limit. A grand sun phenomenon appeared in the sky. With a slash of his sword, a majestic sword chi wrapped in a brilliant heavenly might slashed towards Lady Snowflake. Wherever it went, the guqin notes and sharp blades were shattered. Lady Snowflake's beautiful eyes widened when she saw this. Her first move was an ultimate move. Is this what you mean by going easy on me? Chapter 291. Lady Snowflake was dumbfounded. However, the sword chi was already approaching her. The terrifying power made her heart palpitate uncontrollably. She plucked the strings of her fingers and a terrifying guqin sound erupted. Ripples appeared in the void as the guqin sound mixed with sharp blades attempted to block Murong Xian's sword chi. However, it was futile. In the end, Lady Snowflake was sent flying by the sword chi. Her clothes were torn apart by the sword chi, revealing large patches of her snow-white skin. The male cultivators at the scene could not help but cry out in excitement. Lady Snowflake was extremely embarrassed. She took out a cloak from her yin and yang ring and draped it over her body to cover her exposed skin. I've lost this match. Lady Snowflake quickly calmed herself down and said, the Black Heaven sect had won another match. The second match of the second round of the third segment. It was Nangong Huang versus Lei Mingtian. Both of them stood in the arena with extremely powerful Taoist rhymes emanating from their bodies, intertwining and colliding in the void. Nangong Huang, I didn't expect your strength to improve to such a level in just over a year. And that Murong Xian is also impressive. Lei Mingtian said calmly. Did you come up here just to praise us? You? Lei Mingtian's expression darkened. The tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. Do you people from the Black Heaven sect really think that no one can stop you? In any case, it won't be you. Nangong Huang took out the saint-level deep pool rainbow and the sword-based Taoist rhymes on his body rose rapidly. Soon it overpowered Lei Mingtian. Lei Mingtian's expression changed and he attacked first. As he punched out, a violent force of lightning poured out. Tidal sword technique. Nangong Huang attacked and his sword chi whistled like a tidal wave. The collision of the two forces caused the ground of the entire arena to tremble. Sand and stones were blown by the wind and dust billowed. The crowd could only see two silhouettes constantly intertwining and colliding with each other in the sandstorm. Each time they collided, a terrifying shockwave would be created. The force of the collision caused the void to tremble. Boom. At that moment, a silhouette was sent flying out of the dust. Lei Mingtian was slammed into the wall. There was a sword mark from his shoulder to his waist that almost cut him in half. How did Nangong Huang improve so quickly? What have they experienced in the past year? Lei Mingtian was in disbelief. In the smoke and dust, Nangong Huang slowly walked out. He held the deep abyss rainbow in his hand as sword chi danced around his body. The young emperor of the Thunder Falcon tribe? He can't even compare to a clone of the sect master. He was sincere in his words. To others, Lei Mingtian was a powerful young emperor. However, compared to Chu Kuangren, he was not even comparable to a sword chi clone. Sounds absurd, but it is true. Because of this, no matter how much progress Nangong Huang, Murong Xian, and the others had made, they did not dare to be complacent. That was because their sect leader was Chu Kuangren. He was a person that they would work hard for and spend their entire lives chasing after. Compared to Chu Kuangren, this little bit of progress they had made was nothing. Damn it. Upon hearing Chu Kuangren's name, Lei Mingtian became even more enraged. He leaped into the air and reverted to his true form. The silvery white lightning that surrounded his body gradually turned into a crimson-red color, making him even more ferocious and violent. Crimson lightning skyfall. With a long roar, Lei Mingtian flapped his wings and a terrifying crimson lightning descended from the sky like a python towards Nangong Huang. The power of that attack was extremely terrifying. The lightning-based Taoist rhyme that emanated from it made every sky pride at the scene shudder. Even Nangong Huang had a solemn look on his face. Yin-yang rotation. Sun and moon shattering. Both of Nangong Huang's eyes were flowing with black and white energy. It was his pinnacle Taoist physique, the yin-yang god eye. With a loud roar, Nangong Huang's eyes spewed out a divine yin-yang light that contained the endless yin-yang rotation Taoist rhyme. The crimson lightning and the divine yin-yang light collided into each other and exploded into a dazzling brilliance. Even the void seemed to be distorted by it. The terrifying shockwave spread out in midair. Both Nangong Huang and Lei Mingtian were affected by the recoil of that energy. Nangong Huang was fine since he only suffered minor injuries. However, Lei Mingtian was not so lucky. He was already severely injured by Nangong Huang, and now that he was hit by that shockwave, he fell from midair onto the ground. Damn it! Lei Mingtian struggled to get up and fight again. However, he was sent flying by Nangong Huang's sword chi and the battle was over. Nangong Huang had won. If we let the Black Heaven sect continue to win like this, the gap between them will only get bigger and bigger. It'll be useless even if they win the following battles. At this point in the competition, who cares about the points anymore? All we care about now is our pride. If we let the Black Heaven sect continue to be so arrogant, our orthodoxies will become a laughing stock. That's right. Even if we can't win, we should at least let the Black Heaven sect have a taste of defeat. The sky prides and sect leaders of all the orthodoxies looked at the Black Heaven sect with fear and unwillingness in their eyes. This was especially so for the members of Group Delta. They knew that it would be very difficult for them to stand out in the group stage at this point. The Black Heaven sect was too strong. However, they should at least make them lose once, right? If they allowed the Black Heaven sect to continue like this, wouldn't it make them look too useless as sage orthodoxies? The third match of the second round. It was Xiao Tianai from Heaven Cord sect versus Li Yin from Daoist School of Dedication. One of them was a current young emperor while the other was an ancient sky pride who was one of the 10 heroes. Both of them were engaged in an extremely intense battle. Black Emperor Indestructible Physique. Li Yin activated a unique technique that turned his body pitch black and indestructible. He forcefully withstood Xiao Tianya's zither wave attack and arrived in front of him, defeating him with a single punch. What technique is that? So powerful. Some of the sky prides were shocked. I've heard of it before. That's the Black Emperor Indestructible Physique. It's a body-tempering secret technique of Daoist School of Dedication that can turn one's body into a piece of godly metal. It's so powerful that it can even withstand an honorable Supreme's attack. The sect leader of Heaven Cord sect said. Then he sighed helplessly. 2 sky prides from Heaven Cord sect had advanced to the second round, but unfortunately neither of them made it to the third round. Meanwhile, 2 people from Black Heaven sect had advanced to the second round as well. However, the result was the complete opposite. Both of them advanced to the third round. Now it's the third round. Since there are 3 people, one of them will have to draw lots. The remaining 2 will fight against each other, and the one who wins will fight against the other to determine the final winner. The 13th prefect said. He took out a box and the 3 of them drew lots. It'd be great if Li Yin had a bye. That way the 2 from Black Heaven sect could fight each other and he could advance to the final round. One of the sky prides said. The others agreed with him. It was not that they had a good impression of Li Yin, but they simply could not bear to see Black Heaven sect being so domineering and embarrassing them. Yo, I got a bye. At that moment, Nangong Huang looked at the bead in his hand. There was nothing on it. Meanwhile, the beads in Murong Xian and Li Yin's hands were engraved with the word, battle. F***CK Black Heaven sect is so lucky. 2 of them advanced to the next round and now one of them has a bye. Poor Li Yin, he's fighting against 2 people at once. Li Yin's mouth twitched a little. However, he could not blame anyone for being unlucky. Chapter 292. It was the third round of the championship's third segment. Murong Xian versus Li Yin. Once I defeat you, I'll defeat Nangong Huang. The Black Heaven sect's unstoppable momentum shall end here. Black Emperor Indestructible Physique. Li Yin growled. A powerful surge of energy chi erupted from his body, and a mysterious Taoist rhyme surrounded his body. It then attached itself to the surface of his body and quickly dyed his body black like ink. Murong Xian glanced at him and said, Do you know where Nangong Huang is now? Upon hearing that, Li Yin frowned. He scanned the entire arena but did not see Nangong Huang, nor did he see him in the spectator stands. He's gone back. Murong Xian answered. What do you mean? He's not participating in the tournament? What's there to participate for? If I beat you, it'll just be me and him left. We're both from the Black Heaven sect, so it doesn't matter who wins or loses. Li Yin understood, but he was even more annoyed now. I'd like to see how you're going to break my Black Emperor Indestructible Physique. As he spoke, he charged towards Murong Xian. His violent aura was like an ancient ferocious beast, terrifying to behold. However, Murong Xian's eyes turned cold. He did not retreat but instead slashed out with his sword. Then an earth-shattering sword chi surged towards Li Yin. Li Yin let out a low roar and stood still. Countless sword chi landed on his body, letting out a series of clanging sounds. "It's useless. Your sword chi can't break my body. You can't beat me," Li Yin said loudly. In fact, this earth-shattering sword chi could not hurt him at all. It did not even leave a white mark on his body. Such a powerful physique-tempering technique shocked many people. Amazing, he can win. He can beat Murong Xian. The Black Heaven sect's invincible momentum will end here. The crowd of Sky Prides was extremely excited. In the spectator stands, Linghu clan head laughed and said to Chu Kuangren, "It looks like Murong Xian is going to lose." "Oh, do you want to make a bet?" Chu Kuangren chuckled. "What bet?" "Let's bet on whether or not Murong Xian will win. If he wins, I want 100 million caddies of high-tier spirit stones from your Murong clan. How about that?" Many sage orthodoxies were shocked when they heard this. 100 million caddies of upper spiritual stones was not a small sum. Even a sage orthodoxy would find it difficult to fork out such a sum. Was Chu Kuangren really so sure that Murong Xian would win? Patriarch Linghu's heart began to beat a retreat. However, when he saw that Murong Xian's sword energy could not harm Li Yin at all, he suddenly had an idea. Could it be that Chu Kuangren was just bluffing? He pretended to be calm, but in reality he was not sure that Murong Xian would win either. However, with his usual style of doing things, it would not be appropriate for him to show it directly. He even used an outrageous bet to hide the uneasiness in his heart. He felt that he would be scared and not dare to bet with him. Patriarch Linghu thought about many things. Then he looked at Chu Kuangren's calm face and felt that he was right. If Chu Kuangren really thought that Murong Xian could win, then he should have shown an appropriate amount of uneasiness to trick Patriarch Linghu into betting with him. However, he was so calm, which meant that he was feeling uneasy and was pretending to be calm to scare Patriarch Linghu off so that he would not dare to bet with him. What a cunning Chu Kuangren. Meanwhile, Chu Kuangren had no idea that Patriarch Linghu had gone through a brainstorm in that short period of time. All he saw was Patriarch Linghu laughing and saying, "Chu Kuangren, do you really think I'm scared? I'll bet with you. However, if Murong Xian loses, I don't want any soul stones. All I want is the Descendant Self-Sword on your waist." Chu Kuangren raised an eyebrow. "You want my Descendant Self-Sword with just 100 million soul stones? You're really shameless." After all, the Descendant Self-Sword had fused with a sword soul and possessed a complete spiritual consciousness. It was almost foreseeable that it would become an emperor weapon in the future. Not to mention 100 million soul stones, even 1 billion soul stones would not be enough. "Why, are you afraid?" "There's nothing to be afraid of. It's a deal then." Chu Kuangren chuckled. At his words, the Descendant Self-Sword trembled a little as if it was a little displeased that Chu Kuangren was using it as a gambling chip. "Don't worry, he won't win." Chu Kuangren placed his hand on the sword's hilt and comforted it for a while. Compared to his calmness, Patriarch Linghu was anxious. Chu Kuangren had agreed so readily. Was he really sure that Murong Xian would win? Was his previous speculation wrong? "I'd like to bet with Brother Chu as well." At that moment, a voice came from the void. It was a white-robed elder who had spoken. Everyone looked at him. That elder's surname was Hong, and he was the Sky Emperor Palace Lord. "Oh, even the Sky Emperor Palace is here to join in the fun. I don't think I've had any dealings with you guys," Chu Kuangren said. I'm just a gambler. I couldn't help myself when I heard someone talking about gambling. Please forgive me, Brother Chu." The Sky Emperor Palace Lord chuckled. "It's all right. Since Palace Lord Hong is so interested, I won't reject you. What would you like to bet on, Palace Lord Hong?" "I'll bet on whether Murong Xian will win. If he loses, I want that little bird on your shoulder." At that, the crowd could not help but look at Lil Red, who was perched on Chu Kuangren's shoulder. They were curious as to why the Sky Emperor Palace wanted that bird. Then, someone thought of something and his eyes narrowed. "Don't tell me that's the Godly Phoenix?" The crowd was in an uproar when they heard that. Rumor had it that the Godly Phoenix had acknowledged Chu Kuangren as its master. A bird that was valued by the Sky Emperor Palace was naturally extraordinary. It was most likely the Godly Phoenix. "You want to bet on the Godly Phoenix? Do you have what it takes?" Chu Kuangren said indifferently. 8 billion top-tier soul stones and 2 sage weapons." The Sky Emperor Palace Lord said something shocking. Compared to Patriarch Linghu, his bet was much bigger. Even if it was a sage orthodoxy, if they suddenly lost 1 billion kilograms of spirit stones and 2 sage artifacts, it would definitely be a huge blow to them. Only a top-notch sage orthodoxy like the Sky Emperor Palace would dare to make such a bet. If it were any other sage orthodoxy, they would have to think twice even if the bet was reduced by half. That's not enough. I want all of the Sky Emperor Palace's cultivation techniques unconditionally. Do you agree? All right. The Sky Emperor Palace Lord gritted his teeth and agreed. Very well. Is there anyone else who wants to bet with me? The other sage orthodoxies looked at each other. They glanced at Murong Xian Li Yin, and then at the Sky Emperor Palace Lord. Seeing that he dared to bet with Chu Kuangren, it seemed like he had a high chance of winning. I'll bet 300 million top-tier soul stones with Brother Chu. If Murong Xian loses, I want the Black Heaven Sect's sage techniques. I don't need many, just 3 will do, the Taoist School of Dedication sect leader said. He had great confidence in Li Yin. He knew how terrifying the Black Emperor indestructible physique was, and he was certain that Murong Xian would not win. Deal? Chu Kuangren said. I'll bet 2. If Murong Xian wins, the Overlord Sage tribe will give you 200 million top-tier soul stones. If he loses, I want your elusive mirage. 200 million isn't enough, I want 500 million. All right. The Overlord Sage tribe leader gritted his teeth and said. Since everyone is so interested, the Thunder Falcon tribe shall join in the fun as well. If Murong Xian loses, I want 100 million top-tier soul stones from the Black Heaven sect. If not, the Thunder Falcon tribe will give you 100 million top-tier soul stones. Sure. Chu Kuangren nodded. Aha, sect leader Chu is so generous. I'll join in the fun as well. Just like the Thunder Falcon tribe, I'll bet 100 million top-tier soul stones. Why don't I join in as well? The Sky Prides from all the sage orthodoxies could not help but gulp when they saw Chu Kuangren making such a shocking bet with the sage orthodoxies leaders. Crazy, crazy, Chu Kuangren must be crazy. Chapter 293. Crazy, crazy. Chu Kuangren is crazy. The Sky Prides from the sage orthodoxies were dumbfounded when they saw how Chu Kuangren had made such a shocking bet with their sect leader. They could not believe that Chu Kuangren would dare to do such a thing. Out of the 24 sage orthodoxies present, 15 of them had made a shocking bet with Chu Kuangren. More than half of the sage orthodoxies wanted to take this opportunity to suppress the Black Heaven sect, or rather, suppress Chu Kuangren. This was because the Black Heaven sect's strength had made them feel threatened. Oh my God, if the Black Heaven sect loses, I'm afraid it won't just be a matter of breaking their bones. They'll be heavily injured. This is crazy. This Chu Kuangren is crazy. Where does he get his confidence from? At that moment, the 13th prefect, who was one of the judges, came before Chu Kuangren and smiled. I'd like to make a bet with Brother Chu as well. Oh, a judge wants to make a bet too. I'll bet 100 million top-tier soul stones with my name. What do you think? The 13th prefect smiled. To him, Murong Xian was bound to lose, so there was no reason for him to let go of such a great opportunity to make a fortune. 100 million top-tier soul stones was almost all he had in the past few years, but he felt that he would definitely win. He had read some records about the Black Emperor indestructible physique, so he knew how powerful it was. There was no way he would lose to Murong Xian. Sure. Chu Kuangren nodded. All right. The 13th prefect was delighted. He returned to the judge's booth, but the 11th and 12th prefects looked at him with displeasure. 13th prefect, as a judge, I'm afraid you'll be criticized by others for being too reckless. The 11th prefect said. It's no big deal. I'm making a bet as an individual, so it doesn't conflict with me being a judge. The 2 prefects frowned, but they did not say anything else. Everyone was watching the situation in the arena. Now this battle was no longer just between Murong Xian and Li Yin. It involved the shocking bet of more than 10 orthodoxies. Fortunately, the 2 of them had been fighting all this time and didn't know about the bet. Otherwise, who knew how scared they would be? In the skybox. Compared to Chu Kuangren's composure, Qin Wushuang Jun Yi, and the others were much more anxious as they stared at the arena. Murong Xian, you must win. Jun Yi put her palms together as if she was praying. Chu Kuangren laughed and said, Is there a need to be so nervous? Oh, my sect leader, do you know how much you just gambled with these orthodoxies? Putting aside the Kuan Wu sword, godly phoenix, mirage and sage techniques, just the superior grade spirit stones alone are worth 2 billion. Jun Yi said with 2 trembling fingers. She could not imagine how chaotic the Black Heaven sect would be if they lost. It's only 2 billion. It's just, Junyi and the others stared at Chu Kuangren with widened eyes. Nothing more? Just hearing this number made their legs tremble in fear. Why was the sect leader still so calm and unperturbed? Should he say that he was truly worthy of being the sect leader? The few of them looked at each other helplessly. They could only pray that Murong Xian would win this match. Not far away, the sect leaders who gambled with Chu Kuangren were discussing among themselves. The Linghu clan head said to the Taoist School of Dedication sect leader, "Brother, Li Yin is a disciple of your sect. Do you think he can win?" "He can." The Taoist School of Dedication sect leader laughed and said, "The Black Emperor Indestructible Physique is an extremely terrifying sage ruler technique. Once it's cast, even someone who's a realm higher than Li Yin can't break it." "That's right." The Sky Emperor Palace Lord nodded. "I've read about this sage ruler technique in the archives. With Murong Xian's current cultivation level, even if he's a realm higher, he won't be able to break the Black Emperor Indestructible Physique. That was also the reason why he dared to bet with Chu Kuangren." Hearing the words of the two of them, the sect leaders were completely relieved. That means the Black Heaven sect is going to lose big this time. Haha, I can't wait to see Chu Kuangren's face when he's defeated. It's true that Chu Kuangren is a peerless sky pride, but it's too bad that he's too arrogant. It's time to teach him a lesson. That's right. In the battle arena, the battle between Murong Xian and Li Yin was in full swing. With his Black Emperor Indestructible Physique, Li Yin was able to withstand Murong Xian's sword qi on his body, making it impossible for him to be hurt. On the contrary, Murong Xian had to block every single one of his attacks. At that moment, Li Yin was able to suppress Murong Xian. "Ah, where's your arrogance from before? Didn't you say that you're going to defeat me? Why is it so difficult for you to block a few of my punches now? Where's your sword qi? Keep using it." Li Yin laughed out loud and continuously waved his fists. Although Murong Xian looked a little battered, if one were to pay attention, one would notice that his eyes were calm and composed. There was not a hint of panic in them. "Lose for me." Li Yin threw a punch, and a violent Taoist rhyme erupted like a mountain torrent, sending Murong Xian flying a few hundred meters away. Murong Xian spat out a mouthful of blood, but he still stood firmly. "Let's see how long you can last." Li Yin decided to use his strongest attack. He raised his hand to the sky, and the surrounding spiritual energy gathered in his palm, gradually forming a pitch-black spear. A Taoist rhyme that was filled with a destructive aura emanated from it. It was extremely terrifying. "Black Divine Spear," Li Yin shouted. This was an attack that was paired with the Black Emperor Indestructible Physique. It was also Li Yin's strongest attack and he rarely used it. At that moment, the battered Murong Xian revealed a smile. "This is what I've been waiting for." Murong Xian's figure flashed and he took a step forward, displaying an extremely fast movement technique. In the blink of an eye, he had traveled a few hundred meters and raised his hand to slash at Li Yin's armpit. With a clang, sparks flew everywhere. The originally indestructible Black Empress indestructible body actually began to crack under this sword strike, and it instantly collapsed. Even the strongest attack that Li Yin had prepared could not be unleashed due to the destruction of the Black Emperor Indestructible Physique. In just an instant, the tables had turned. "You're the one who's going to lose." Murong Xian swung his sword, and a majestic sword qi enveloped Li Yin, severely injuring him who had lost the Black Emperor Indestructible Physique. With that one attack, Li Yin's aura became extremely weak and he fell to the ground. He looked at Murong Xian in disbelief. "How did you see through my Achilles heel?" "I don't know either, but someone told me." Murong Xian chuckled. The person he was referring to was none other than Chu Kuangren. Chu Kuangren had already given Murong Xian and the others detailed information about all the sky prides present, including Li Yin's weaknesses. Murong Xian seemed to be at a disadvantage, but everything was going according to his plan. He was just waiting for Li Yin to reveal an opening so that he could defeat him. Impossible. How can the Black Emperor Indestructible Physique have an Achilles heel? The Sky Emperor Palace Lord exclaimed. The Taoist School of Dedication sect leader was also shocked. The complete Black Emperor Indestructible Physique has no Achilles heel. However, Li Yin has only cultivated the incomplete version, so this Achilles heel will appear when he uses the Black Divine Spear. At that moment, Chu Kuangren said. Then, he looked at the Sky Emperor Palace Lord and the others with a gentle smile. "Everyone, please hand over your bets. Behind him, Qin Wushuang Junyi and the other Taoists also stared at the Sky Emperor Palace Lord, Linghu clan head, and the others with glowing eyes. At that moment there was only one thought in their minds: we've struck gold. Chapter 294. Chu Kuangren had long known that Li Yin's Black Emperor indestructible physique had a flaw, and he had also told Murong Xian and the others about it. This was also the reason why he dared to make this shocking bet. Based on the analysis of the Eye of Revelation, Murong Xian's chances of winning were as high as 90%. There was no reason for him to miss out on such an opportunity to amass wealth. That's impossible. Even if Li Yin had cultivated the incomplete invincible Black Emperor body, how did you know? The Sky Emperor Palace Lord shouted. You don't need to know that. Chu Kuangren said calmly. No matter how hard the Sky Emperor Palace Lord and the others racked their brains, they would never know that Chu Kuangren possessed a divine ability called the Eye of Revelation. Sect leader Zhao, Li Yin's Black Emperor indestructible body has a flaw. Why didn't you tell us? Someone questioned the sect leader of the Taoist School of Dedication. Li Yin was a disciple of Tao School of Dedication. The headmaster of the Taoist of Dedication was furious. How would I know? Think about it. If you had such a flaw, would you tell anyone else? The person who questioned him was instantly speechless. Indeed, this kind of flaw, other than himself, had to be kept a secret even to those closest to him. How could he casually tell others? Then how did Chu Kuangren find out? There were still people who were puzzled. However, they had no choice but to face a problem. They owed Chu Kuangren a huge amount of gambling money. Damn it. My 100 million upper spiritual stones are gone just like that. You're only worth 100 million. I'm betting 300 million high-grade spirit stones with this guy. It's gone just like that. My heart hurts so much. All the sect masters of the orthodoxies had long faces, their hearts bleeding. Especially the Sky Emperor Palace Lord. His bet with Chu Kuangren was the biggest. In order to obtain the godly phoenix, he had bet 1 billion top-tier soul stones, 2 sage weapons, and even promised to give Chu Kuangren access to all of the Sky Emperor Palace's cultivation techniques. If it was fulfilled, the Sky Emperor Palace Lord felt a little dizzy. It was too terrifying. It was simply too terrifying. Those sage orthodoxies who did not bet with Chu Kuangren secretly heaved a sigh of relief, glad that they did not get involved. This Chu Kuangren was too strange. Under the circumstances where no one was optimistic about Murong Xian's chances, he had dared to make such a shocking bet with the orthodoxies. Most importantly, he had actually won. In the adjudicator's booth, the 13th prefect's face instantly turned pale. He had also bet 100 million top-tier soul stones with Chu Kuangren. After all, that was his entire savings over the years. Now he was going to hand everything over to Chu Kuangren. How could he endure this? Damn it, how did Li Yin lose? Why did he lose? The 13th prefect was so angry that his face was cramping. The other 2 prefects shook their heads and said nothing. He only had himself to blame. At the same time they were shocked. Chu Kuangren had struck gold this time. He's rich. Chu Kuangren has struck gold this time. The Sky Emperor Palace alone bet 1 billion upper-grade spirit stones with him. The other orthodoxies also bet a few billion. Everyone looked at Chu Kuangren with envy, jealousy, and hatred. How much did you offer? Chu Kuangren looked at the Sky Emperor Palace Lord and the others with a faint smile. A total of 4.5 billion upper-grade soul stones. At that moment, Junyi, who was standing behind Chu Kuangren, said with glowing eyes. When Chu Kuangren made the bet with the orthodoxies, she had already memorized all the numbers. Chu Kuangren looked at her approvingly before he looked at the crowd and said, "What are you waiting for? Do you want me to collect them myself?" Sect leader Chu, we can't fork out the 100 million upper-grade soul stones that we promised you at the moment. We only have 50 million here. Can you write an IOU for the rest? One of the orthodoxies asked. Sure. Chu Kuangren nodded. Sect leader, let me write it down for you. Junyi immediately took out a pen and paper and said excitedly. All right. The other orthodoxies also fulfilled their end of the bet. However, the bet was too big and they did not have that many soul stones with them. Hence, they could only hand over a portion first and write an IOU for the rest. The orthodoxy sect leaders looked terrible, especially the Sky Emperor Palace Lord and the Overlord Sage tribe leader. Their hands were shaking when they wrote the IOU. This time they had suffered a huge loss. Everyone, I hope that the Black Heaven sect can collect the rest of the soul stones within a month. Otherwise, I'm sure none of you would want me to visit you personally, Chu Kuangren said. The crowd could not help but shiver at his words. Chu Kuangren would visit them personally? That was probably the thing that the sage orthodoxies feared the most. The incident with the Murong clan and the Shang clan was still fresh in their minds. Sect leader, there's still someone who hasn't paid up. Jun Yi, who was counting the bets, suddenly said. A cold glint flashed across Chu Kuangren's eyes as he swept his gaze across the orthodoxies. Oh, don't tell me there's still someone who wants to renege on the bet. I wonder who it is. Can you step forward and let me have a look? Sect leader, it's the 13th prefect. Jun Yi pointed at the 13th prefect at the adjudicator's booth. Even the adjudicator can't renege on the bet. Chu Kuangren's figure turned into a stream of light and arrived at the adjudicator's booth. The 13th prefect was shocked to see Chu Kuangren. He then smiled and said, Well, Brother Chu, you see, as a adjudicator, I shouldn't be involved in this matter. Do you think I can? No way. Chu Kuangren immediately interrupted him. 13th prefect just said that he would bet with me in his personal capacity. Why, now that you're the adjudicator, you want to renege on the bet? Brother Chu, you've already won so much. It doesn't matter if you win more or less. Do you really want to go this far? The 13th prefect retracted his smile and said in a deep voice. He had spent so many years accumulating these soul stones, and he was unwilling to give them to Chu Kuangren. Hey, it's fine if you don't want to give them to me. You can even exchange your life for it. Chu Kuangren chuckled and said. Chu Kuangren, don't you dare. Let's see if I dare or not. As soon as he said that, an incredibly cold sword-based Taoist rhyme instantly enveloped the entire adjudicator's booth. It was as if the surrounding air had turned into countless sharp swords, ready to cut the 13th prefect into 1,000 pieces in the next instant. The 11th and 12th prefects stood up in shock. At that moment, the 13th prefect also remembered what kind of person Chu Kuangren was. This was an unreasonable fanatic, a madman. He could challenge sage orthodoxies and slay sages. What else did he not dare to do? The 13th prefect was just an honorable supreme. Even if there were sages in the first city, would the sages fight Chu Kuangren to the death for him? There was a high chance that they would not. Here for you. The 13th prefect reluctantly took off his yin and yang ring. Chu Kuangren scanned it with his spiritual thought and said, There's only about 80 million. There's still 20 million left. Prefect, please prepare it and send it to the Black Heaven sect in a month's time. Chu Kuangren, you. The 13th prefect was so angry that his body was trembling, but he dared not say a word. You don't have to do that. It's only right that I lose the bet. Chu Kuangren then turned around and left the audience seats. The 11th and 12th prefect looked at the 13th prefect with pity. What happened today was definitely a huge blow to the 13th prefect, who valued money as much as his life. They would not be surprised even if the 13th prefect went crazy on the spot. Chapter 295. When Chu Kuangren returned to the skybox, he saw Murong Xian sitting on the ground with a pale face and beads of cold sweat on his forehead. What's wrong with him? Is his injury too severe? Without hesitation, Chu Kuangren cast the spring breeze healing technique on Murong Xian, and the injuries on his body quickly healed. However, he still sat on the ground weakly. Sect leader, he's just scared out of his wits. Jun Yi chuckled beside him. Scared out of his wits? That's right. After Murong Xian defeated Li Yin, he heard about the bet between Chu Kuangren and the 15 sage orthodoxies. He was so scared that his soul almost left his body. He did not dare to imagine how much the Black Heaven sect would have to pay if he lost. Would that not make him the Black Heaven sect's greatest sinner? He could not even stand properly at the thought of that. Sect leader, you really dared to bet. What if I lost? My life isn't worth that many soul stones. Murong Xian said tearlessly. Did you lose then? No. Isn't that good enough? Chu Kuangren said calmly. That trust made Murong Xian's heart feel heavy. He was so close to tears that he wanted to rush up and give Chu Kuangren a hug. Chu Kuangren kicked him away. I've won quite a lot today. When we get back, you can eat and play whatever you want. I'll pay for it all. All hail the sect leader. The crowd was extremely excited. Sect leader, look, this bet was made for me after all. I don't think I can take any of it, Murong Xian said with a straight face. No way. Please don't, sect leader. Just a little. The faces of the other orthodoxies twitched when they saw the Black Heaven sect crowd fooling around. Yet they could not do anything to them. In the judge's booth, the 13th prefect was no longer in the mood to host the competition, so the 12th prefect announced on his behalf, since only 2 participants from the Black Heaven sect have advanced to the 4th round of the 3rd segment, the Black Heaven sect will automatically add another 10 points. The 3rd segment of the competition has ended. Now let me announce the points of each orthodoxy. Please take a look. As soon as the 12th prefect finished speaking, a light screen appeared in the air. On it was a list of the points obtained by each orthodoxy in each segment. Among them, the Black Heaven sect had an absolute advantage of 235 points, while the Overlord Sage tribe was in second place with 140 points. There was a gap of almost 100 points between them and the Black Heaven sect. Oh my god, the Black Heaven sect is too amazing. That's right, no one can stop the Mysterious Sky sect. The Mysterious Sky sect will definitely be the champion of this hegemony tournament. I think so too. Too strong. The Black Heaven sect is invincible. The other orthodoxies frowned when they saw the difference in points. Since the beginning of the competition, the Black Heaven sect had maintained a dominant lead in every segment. This was especially true in the 2nd segment, where Lan Yu fought against 100 opponents all by herself and obtained 156 points. Currently, the Black Heaven sect's points had far surpassed the other orthodoxies. If they allowed their opponents to continue winning like this, it was almost certain that the Black Heaven sect would become the champion of this championship. The Sky Emperor Palace, the Overlord Sage tribe, and the Tempest Mountain sect's sect leaders did not look too good. Although they were also in first place in their respective groups, the Black Heaven sect's performance was many times stronger than theirs. They were unstoppable throughout the competition. The members of Group Delta, on the other hand, looked even gloomier. After all, the Black Heaven sect had gained all these points by stepping on them. We can't beat the Black Heaven sect anymore. Even if they lose in the next segment, their points will still be enough to crush us, the Linghu clan head said in a grim tone. Although we can't win, it would make us look useless if we were to leave the competition in such a pathetic manner. No matter what, we have to make the Black Heaven sect look pathetic. The Thunder Falcon tribe leader said as he stared in the direction of the Black Heaven sect. The other orthodoxies in Group Delta had the same thought as well. The 3rd segment had ended. Chu Kuangren led the crowd and left. That night, it was another round of revelry. Chu Kuangren, who had won 4.5 billion top-tier soul stones, was not stingy at all as he went to the Four Seas restaurant. "Boss, I'll book this restaurant for you." When Chu Kuangren arrived at the restaurant, he said generously to the owner of the restaurant. The owner of the Four Seas restaurant, the largest restaurant in First City, could not help but be stunned when he heard that. Then he smiled and said, "My friend, you must be joking. As the largest restaurant in First City, you'll need at least 1 million top-tier soul stones to book this place for a night. Besides, we have many esteemed guests in our restaurant, so if you book the entire place they might not be happy. Take it." Chu Kuangren immediately threw a yin and yang ring at the owner and smiled. "There are 5 million top-tier soul stones in here. If it's not enough, you can add more. As for the others, just tell them that I, Chu Kuangren, have booked the entire place." The owner took the yin and yang ring and gulped when he saw that it was filled to the brim with top-tier soul stones. That many top-tier soul stones were equivalent to 2 months of the Four Seas restaurant's income. When the owner heard Chu Kuangren's name, he was even more shocked. "Oh my god, it's him. Brother Chu, please come in. I'll ask the others to leave now. Tonight, the Four Seas restaurant will be at your service." The owner smiled and bowed as he welcomed Chu Kuangren and the others into the restaurant. Meanwhile, the waiters in the restaurant began to chase the guests away. The people who were enjoying their meal suddenly became displeased. Who's so arrogant to book the entire place? The Four Seas restaurant too. Last time, a Sage Orthodoxy sect leader wanted to book the entire place, but they didn't even let them. How can they do it this time? I haven't even finished my meal. Faced with the crowd's dissatisfaction, a manager stepped forward and said, "Everyone, please calm down. As a token of our apology, everything is free this time. We welcome everyone to visit the Four Seas restaurant again." Manager Wang, who's so arrogant to book the entire place? One of the First City's disciples asked in dissatisfaction. He was considered a regular customer of the Four Seas restaurant. Over the years, he had only seen a handful of people who could book the entire Four Seas restaurant. "It's Black Heaven sect leader Chu," the deacon said with a faint smile. A loud clang was heard. The wine glass in that disciple's hand fell to the ground. "Black Heaven sect leader Chu is Chu Kuangren." "Yes. Oh, so it's him. Forget I asked anything then. I'll take my leave first, the disciple said with an embarrassed smile. When the others heard that it was Chu Kuangren who booked the entire place, they immediately calmed down. Oh, it's Sect Leader Chu. Sect Leader Chu is so generous. That's right, he's indeed a sect leader. Since Sect Leader Chu has such an interest, we won't disturb him. We'll take our leave first. No one dared to object to Chu Kuangren booking the entire place. Even the top cultivator clans in the first city did not dare to act presumptuously upon hearing the name Chu Kuangren. Time to go, Manager Wang sent the crowd out. Outside the restaurant, a few people walked towards them. Manager Wang walked up to them and said, "Everyone, I'm sorry. Our restaurant has been booked by Sect Leader Chu today, so we're not receiving any guests." Which Sect Leader Chu is so arrogant? These people were the sky prides from a few orthodoxies. They had lost in the competition today and were planning to drink away their sorrows at the Four Seas restaurant. They did not expect that someone would book the entire place. Lei Mingtian could not help but frown in dissatisfaction. Beside him, Lady Snowflake's heart skipped a beat. Sect Leader Chu, the Black Heaven Sect's Sect Leader Chu. That's right. The Sky Prides felt even more aggrieved. Not only did they lose to Chu Kuangren, but they also wanted to drink away their sorrows when the entire restaurant was booked by Chu Kuangren. How could they live like this? You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.